check out our alternative lobbies as well as our TikTok feed. If you want to catch all of our facial reactions to big things happening in the game, then the TikTok stream is surely one way to be able to do that. Now, with that being said, let's get ready for our first game of day number 2, where we get a chance to keep this party going. We've got Nandede in this lobby, our points leader from day number 1, and we get to see him duke it out alongside real big favorites.
Oh, look at Nandede. You can see some excitement already. He's waving over to the crowd. I don't know if he actually knew that we were looking at him, but
he knew.
He's
waving right. It was actually just at you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nandede.
Yeah.
I think it is worth kind of circling back to what Hupe was bringing up before. Nandede, one of these players from the JOC who I will say, I agree with you, Hupe, that at large JOC I think is maybe disrespected a bit in terms of the strength of their players. We don't get to see them play the PC version, which sometimes does have minor differences that can make huge swings in the meta. But we're actually seeing him show up, not just do well, but
เกม7ก็คือเกม1ของวันนี้
over second place.
Yeah, not only that, because actually he had little time to prepare after the JOC ended to actually play TFT on PC, so that's tough. And one of the big things we've seen him lean on are those ambushers, and you're talking about the stats, that being a great comp. Well, if you're playing it a lot and you pick that up early, it gave you a lot of early success, and Nandede, we'll see if he can keep kind of finding it uncontested.
I will also say, as a mobile TFT gamer, I've played a lot on mobile. Playing reroll is like the way to play mobile. It is so much harder to do these level 8 huge transitions on
Nandede คังซงจองอุ้ยทำไมกล้องสั่นอย่างนั้น สเปนเซอร์ทาโร่อูโซอะไรเนี่ยอูโซลูคัสเหรอไตเติ้ลไมโลแล้วก็ชื่ออะไรแดงมิมี่อ่ะให้สวัสดีพี่เคทีครับสวัสดีครับวันนี้มาทันนะมาเกมยังไม่เริ่มเลยนะครับวันนี้มาเชียร์บูมแฮร์นะเมื่อวานบูมแฮร์เอาจัดเลยนะสวัสดีครับสวัสดีพี่โฟตี้ครับวันนี้แจกเสื้อเหมือนเดิมนะพี่โฟตี้อย่าเพิ่งถอดใจนะพี่เคทีด้วยนะครับ
First lobby, it's also very important to keep an eye on dank memes. One of our players from the Americas
ถึงแม้ว่าเราจะเฉียวเฉียดไปหลายรอบสวัสดีค่ะติดตามพี่ตลอดเวลาเลยนะโอ้ขอบคุณมากครับซึ้งใจมากนะตลอดเวลาเลยเหรอ
Yeah, it was even a wild end to day 1 with him barely kind of squeezing by 1 point above the cutoff actually in that 32nd place, and he's gonna need some big games to actually bring it all the way back. We talked about how hey maybe they don't need 1 or 2 minutes.
กล้องแหละเวนเดอร์เอ้า
Yeah, they said Hupe got it this time.
ขอเฉย
That's crazy. Every single time that I've been on the broadcast, we have successfully predicted.
Okay, this time we hedged our bets a little bit. We actually got 2 inputs, but still. Oh, it's okay. Next time it is Mbessa, actually. I think we're going to call it already for the second game.
So we're starting on board with
วันนี้แข่ง8เกมเลยป่ะครับ6ไม่ใช่เหรอครับมันเล่นถึง10เกม12ป่ะวันนี้แจกกี่โมงครับแจก3 ทุ่มครึ่งครับแจก3 ทุ่มครึ่งครับวิธีแจกก็เหมือนเดิมนะถ้าเกิดคนน้อยแต่ถ้าเกิดคนเยอะเราอาจจะแบบว่าใช้วิธีสุ่มเลขเอาจะถ้าสัก10-20 คนแล้วก็หมุนเหมือนเดิมทุกคนได้ลุ้นเท่ากัน
You can't believe the stats, you have to believe the magic, Gangly, and that's the big thing with him. You watch his play, sometimes it doesn't make any sense, and then he still makes that top
โอ้คนนี้ดรอปสเวนมาไตเติ้ล
We saw yesterday that Lucas played a really creative line
ไซร่า2
worth the wait and he had a vex
มีความวินสติกลุ้นพี่บูมแฮร์
He was using the vexes he got every
ลุ้นแต่ว่าเหมือนไอ้นี่นะล็อบบี้นี้ไม่มีบูมแฮร์
But instead it's a showcase I believe of Lucas saying I'm just going to play to the beat of my own drum, right? I'm going to play the game the way I know how to succeed, because if I can't succeed playing like me, I'm not going to succeed at all.
Yeah, and also this is the veterancy, right?
นี่เปิดสมิชนะ
He was more maybe an AP player, and now that created a side that
อุ้ย
in Gangly is
ใครเนี่ย
amazing. We saw the Vex 3-star. We have seen him also innovate.
แต่ก็ชอบพี่ไตเติ้ล
Actually work in the Golden Spatula.
เนี่ยห้องนี้มีไตเติ้ลรีไปแล้วครับไม่เล่นแชมบารอนผมไม่ได้ถือไว้ อันกลางนี่ก็เก่งนะเล่นได้หลายคอม
The question is, which Lucas are we going to see show up, right? Because we saw in the Golden Spatula days 1 and 2, got to cook up something really cool, find success his own way. Day 3 comes along, and all of a sudden, he's still cooking. Don't get me wrong, but it feels like these days are coming out burned.
เฮ้ยวันนี้มันเหมือนอักเมนมันไม่ใช่แบบเดิมแล้วอะดีครับสวัสดีพี่กบน้อยครับพี่กบน้อยเฮง
Sometimes it's just a decorative coffee table look, right? You don't intend anyone to ever open it.
I wanted to talk a little more about Taro, secondary, normally thought
of
behind the shadow of Taro. This is the second best player in Japan, highly regarded in ladder, highly regarded in tournaments. He's playing very flexible, so he doesn't have an actual line. He's playing so many comps and actually just adapting to what the game is giving him.
Taro also on top of that is one of the most resilient players. This is a player that in the global field is so good at dodging 8th places. To me, this comes
เดี๋ยวผมดูก่อนนะวันนี้แข่งกี่เกมนะ
very consistent.
Day 1 Day 2 ล็อบบี้7 8 9 10 11 12 13เดี๋ยวนะ7เกมว่ะวันนี้แข่ง7เกมว่ะทุกคน
To me, I think if you're in a position going into day 2, you want to just stay alive and wait for the high.
อันนี้อยากเล่นเชมบารอนนะเนี่ย
Being able to dodge 8th place finishes is pivotal to finding success that way.
สถานการณ์คนไทยตอนนี้เป็นไงโหดมากครับพี่บูมแฮร์จัดอันดับ4ครับตอนนี้จาก40คนพี่บูมแฮร์อยู่อันดับ4ครับสถานการณ์ค่อนข้างดีครับแล้วคะแนนของเมื่อวานทั้ง6เกมก็คือมาสานต่อของวันนี้แล้วนะยาวๆไปคืนนี้ยาวๆครับถ้าเกิดได้เข้ารอบถ้าเข้าไฟนอลล็อบบี้ก็ยาวๆครับแต่ถ้าคือวันนี้มันเป็นอย่างงี้ครับทุกคนวันนี้มันเล่นเกม7เกม8ใช่ปะแล้วเขาก็จะตัดอีก8คนก็จะเหลือเท่าไหร่อ่ะ24คนแล้วก็เกม9เกม10แล้วก็ตัดมาแบบน้อยลงเรื่อยๆเกม11 12 13อ่ะจะเหลือแค่16คนเท่านั้นนะครับของวันนี้ซึ่งถ้าบูมแฮร์พลาดตกรอบผมก็อาจจะลงสตรีมเลยแต่ว่าผมคิดว่าบูมแฮร์น่าจะได้เข้ารอบอย่างน้อยๆอ่ะจากสกอร์ตอนนี้นะน่าจะได้เข้าถึงรอบ16คนอยู่นะ
Trainer is like, you're not playing ambusher.
Yeah, you can't out Smeech this time around.
No, you don't want to go like ambusher watcher.
I don't.
Me personally.
Me maybe not, but.
Lucas might.
วันนี้เขาจะคัดออก8คนทุกๆ2เกมนะอันนี้เสาคอนเคอร์เลอร์วัตเชอร์จริงๆมันก็เล่นได้นะเขาไม่ลงไอ้นี่หรอ4คอนเหรอเขาลง4คอนแล้วลงไม่ได้
four different 2 costs on level 6. There's also more creative ways to be able to fit 2 costs, so he'll have a very easy time stabilizing his board on stage 3.
Quick check here as you look, Taro and Lucas both being able to pick up Chem Baron very early on here. Smeech on the board for Lucas as well as for Taro. We did just see Taro, of course, having that with the Hand of Justice, but that is going to be Lucas as well. And I am curious about that shop glitch because it's not.
วันสุดท้ายไม่ใช่คะแนนวันที่1-2ป่ะครับใช่ครับวันสุดท้ายไฟนอลล็อบบี้ก็คือเริ่มใหม่วันสุดท้ายคือไฟนอลล็อบบี้ก็คือเหลือ8คนถูกไหมก็แข่งกันเป็นฟอร์แมตไอเนี่ยฟอร์แมตไอ้นั่นน่ะเขาเรียกว่าอะไรวะเช็คเมดวันสุดท้ายเล่นวันสุดท้ายแข่งแบบเช็คเมดครับก็คือไม่ได้ใช้คะแนนและคะแนนนี้ใช้เพื่อเข้าไปที่ไฟนอลล็อบบี้คะแนนวันแรกวันที่2บูมแฮร์ยังไม่ลงหรอครับบูมแฮร์ยังไม่ลงหมายความว่าไงครับ
Yeah, I mean, you got the good Smeech items to just kick things off. I mean, it's potentially an open line. You can scout around. There are
บูมแฮร์อยู่อันดับ4ครับตอนนี้
so we'll see if that ends up being the direction. As we got Sorks from the other side here with title.
แต่ว่าล็อบบี้นี้ไม่ได้ดูบูมแฮร์ดิหมายถึงว่าล็อบบี้ออฟฟิเชียล
every
Song
round
official.
is going to be feeding this Swain HP. Sorcerers oftentimes can struggle if their front line can't hold up. This is one of the best ways to patch up that weakness in the comp.
Yeah, and also he has the possibility of the Exodia. We were seeing a little of the comps. Emissary Sorks is doing amazing. When you have the +1 Sork and you can put the Emissary in, you have 6
อันนี้คือเล่น
Emissary, fully
Full Mad
aggressive,
Value
and obviously you can get
Chamberlain เหรอ
the Elise in and his back lane just destroying everything.
Yeah, it's a very good top
โลได้ทีละรอบก็เหมือนเอามาโลหาตัวเชมบารอนไปเรื่อยอะไรเงี้ย
big game to kick things off, to feel comfortable for that first cutoff. Title, of course, being at 25 points. He actually was struggling quite a bit in our first day of competition. Maybe the fact that he hadn't competed the entire set actually coming to bite him, or maybe just trying to find his way in this tournament, in this meta.
Okay, once again here, Taro going up against Milo here. So Milo looking strong here, already with Cassiopeia, just holding items. But Taro is still sufficiently strong and taking out the win. Now Spencer or Kanson Junsari going up against that means. That means very strong. Already with the Bruiser emblem, has the Ginsu. So maybe him and Kansu, I think
Kang Sung Jong,
with the possibility of Twitch.
Embessa, Kunsu.
Yeah. So
Bruiser.
Kang Sung Jong playing with the Bruiser emblem, and Spencer on the other side was actually with the family, the welcome to the playground. And that's interesting. I always have a hard time judging how strong that augment is, because in my mind, what it essentially does is that it guarantees that you get to hit. But if you're playing family, aren't you already kind of assuming you're going to hit everything as a baseline?
I want to see Lucas's board though, because he has the shop glitch right now, and so let's see how many champions he's actually able to hit here.
อันนี้ช็อปกิ
At
จ
least it's going to be
น่าจะเล่นมอร์กาน่าปะ
nice little
โลเวล
2-star bonus there.
Yeah, he's on 6 Renatas. The return of Renata reroll? Is this where Lucas is going back to?
In my mind, it's a problem. He's actually trying to get the Morgana scene. He only has 4. So obviously, Renata 3, if you get it for free, is great. But it's not actually what's going to make the difference in the comp.
Is there any world where he doesn't slam blue buff and he just makes a Shojin here
Or
instead
Shimbaron.
to play around the Renata? To me, I
ยังไม่แสดงไอเทม
you
นะ
need to just kind of stick to your guns, slam blue buff. The rest of your items are so good. He could make a Gunblade as well or a Jeweled Gauntlet. His components actually were amazing setup. I want to see patience out of Lucas to just kind of chill. Get your Chem Baron cash out, maybe even forego the full reroll angle and say, like, if I can 3-star Renata, I don't hit Morgana. Instead, I just use Morgana as an item holder and instead play a shop glitch variation around that level 8 board, the Heimerdinger instead.
That might actually be the line that we're looking at here, because consider he's already on the 4 Kember and he's on the Lost Streak, right? And he's got these upgrades coming through. I really like the concept of just the 3-star Renata push levels instead of sticking low on levels and trying to wait for a Morgana to show up.
With a glitch up, I don't. I'm like, I'm inclining to. He needs to.
สเปนเซอร์เล่นบิลดิฟนะ
And we've seen it. It's the second most played comp, the Visionary Heimerdinger, and it's not performing well. It's almost like a 5
ไม่ค่อยดีนะฮะ อาจจะเลือกบักกี้ปะบักกี้น่าจะดีสุด
actually telling to him, you need to drop out and do another thing, but Morgana is obviously best.
All right, well, we just saw Kun Sung Jong stop Spencer's win streak, but maintain his own as we enter into the second augment choice. And it's another gold one, right?
Get used to it.
I can't believe it. More gold.
Spencer, who did just lose his win streak, like you
ห้อง3ทอง
was playing built different, which I will say
ห้องเวนเดอร์
pretty bad to be playing built different. You get the 5 win streak and then you aren't able to maintain it going into the front half of stage 3. I will say picking up the bad luck protection from Spencer is a really cool pickup. This is an augment that I think a lot of players are not super familiar with. Generally speaking, it does well when you are playing things like the Pit Fighters, even something like, well, does really well with
แต่
Pit
เต้นเล่น
Fighters.
ซอกนะ
I think there's another line I'm blanking on as well.
Pit Fighters, I think.
Oh, yeah. Right, Pit Fighter Vibe, Pit Fighter CP. It's a lot of these units that don't rely on the crit or have the innate crit built into it. Something like Ambushers does not particularly want it. I imagine Twitch does not particularly need it as well.
6 ซอกแล้วอ่ะ
Built different, and you just have so many
3-2 6 ซอก
stats on your team. It makes all of
เมื่อวานฮึกเหิมไปส่งออกลูกทุเรียน ผลลัพธ์ทุเรียนตกเครื่อง ไม่ลั่นเหรอทุเรียนไม่ลั่นเหรอ
Okay, let's see. Dank Meme's gonna start to roll a little bit here.
ทุเรียนหมอนทองอ่ะ พี่บูมแฮร์จัดให้
But I I feel like with how many losses Dank Memes has taken, I think he might want to start to
ตัวเป็น
think
สอง
about
นามิ
rolling
สอง
more to try to find those unit upgrades.
Yeah, I think it's because he's on the welcome to the playground. He's kind of sticking, trying to roll above 50 here and see if he can hit. But he didn't look very happy about how much he hit going into this stage. He was quite a bit
สวัสดีทุกคนนะสวัสดีทุกคนนะ
so he's gonna have to take
วันนี้เรามีแจกเสื้อนะ
losses unless he wants to send some gold. But it's really hard to send the gold when you have that
3 ทุ่มครึ่ง
augment
นะครับ
because you're already down power by taking that like economy augment that.
ตอนนี้คอมเวทเหมือนเล่นกันอยู่2คอมมีซ็อกเซอร์กับมิชชันนารี
Right.
Yeah, for him, 100%. Two people with trade tracker, both Milio and Taro. So they
แล้วก็ส่วนมากเป็นสปอร์ตรีโลปะ
a little this stage 3, and then on round 4, Gangly, what's going to happen?
Oh, I know exactly how this episode goes because you got to see it in the pre-show, right?
Yeah, thank goodness we have the trade tracker stat hackers here to help us through it.
I didn't quite see what Milo's setup was, but one of the things I was talking with Clement actually off in the wings is that Trait Tracker is cool because there are so many different ways to cash it out. You can play it with things like the experiment units, you can play it with things like the form swappers. There are a bunch of unit combinations that allow you to creatively get that cash out, even on level 6, believe it or not.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And then in the end, we already saw a Smith action, we saw Ambusher, we have seen obviously the Scrap. There's also a possibility of playing Academy with Sentinels. That also has been a thing. Weisha has done it in the past with Trade Tracker. So there's not only Scrap, we can do many options here.
I imagine one of them is Scrap though, right? Surely.
Well, yeah, of course it's
Milo
not.
did actually take expected unexpectedness though and got 3 champion duplicators out of it. The lesser champ duplicators you can see on his
ไม่รู้
hand.
มีแชมป์ดูป
I
3 อัน
think that helps you out a lot when you look at just
What?
trying to play this emissary sorcerer line. Now all of a sudden you actually use those champ duplicators to get the Nami, get the
ขาด
Swain.
สเวน
Yeah,
2
exactly.
ตัว
It's a great point with the Swain because
แล้วก็ยัด
you were
ลูป
saying
สเวน
earlier
3 ดาว
that
นี่
you need the front line to be strong for the
ชิล
sword
อยู่
or
นะ
else they can fall off, and so those duplicators on the Swain, that's going to be huge.
สปอร์ตพี่ไมโล
Once again here, Kanson Young representing Gonos against Lucas. Lucas still maintaining a good possibility.
คัง
Finds
ซุน
the
จอง
silver,
เลือดร้อยครับ
going in into the
บรู
camera
เซอร์
and
สแลม
getting
แบบ
control
บ้า
of
คลั่ง
so
แต่ผม
far.
ว่า
70, I believe he has
บอร์ด
some
บรู
time
เซอร์
to
มันเป็น
get
บอร์ดที่แคป
if he do
ต่ำ
went
นะ
for the
เดี๋ยวต้อง
small
ดู
cap.
ว่าหลัง
So
จาก
looking for that 300
เดี๋ยวเขาต้องเล่น Twitch เล่นอะไรอยู่แล้วแหละ
a lot of Rainies, a lot of Mitch, and can help you either stabilize
ไม่รู้ว่าหลังจาก
or
นั้น
go
แบ
for
บ
the start.
จะเป็นยังไงนะ
There you go, still keeping this win streak going for Kanson Jong.
Yeah,
Able to win
generally-
entirely through stage 3 here. One more round and he gets it all the way into Wolves. We've seen some big streaks like this end up falling off.
เอ็มเบ
but
ซ่ากุนซูตัวนี้แม่ง
Organization
โคตร
and
ลั่น
the Bruiser emblem early on does lead towards a pretty easy swap.
นี่แคทเอาท์มาแล้วเหรอ
Find it.
Okay, so we got confirmation that the icon that looks exactly the same as this one was not Trait Tracker, but this one actually is, right? Before I say it again.
ทำไมดูเหมือนไม่มีอะไรเลยครับ
So
แคทเอาท์เหมือนไม่มีอะไรเลย
Taro is actually playing Trait Tracker. So let me just give the spiel again. There's a ton of different combinations that you can play on stage 3 and 4 that'll give you that cash out. He needs to hit 8. Right now he's at 7. So one more synergy alive will allow Taro to cash that out. Then the question is on stage 4, what does that board end up looking like?
Oh, Dank Memes, as we get a check-in with him, also starting to look a little bit happier about his current place. He's got the Darius 3 as well as the Violet 3, and so, okay, things starting to look a little bit better, right?
They're looking a little, he's halfway there, right? Because he's got the units, but the items are not really that great right now. Leave a lot to be desired. So going into this PvE round, it's going to be crucial to see what he hits.
But he does have a Pit Fighter emblem. He had that frying pan on bench, and now
เลือดร้อยอะเมมจัดอะ
the emblem. And so
คังซอง
I
จัง
actually
อะ
think it's a huge piece of the puzzle to get yourself to
Kang
a
Song
better
Jung.
board later.
Absolutely increases the cap significantly, right? Pit Fighter and family emblems are the ways you can actually cap out this board for a first, and that is open if you can get there.
Okay, I appreciate the optimism.
อันนี้
know
แคท
it's
เอา
not
ท์
bad.
I just want to say he is
เท่าไหร่
32
ครับ
HP
300 เหรอ
and 20 gold, and he's not quite
Oh,
there.
I did not see the 20 gold. That's pretty
And
tough.
And
He's
still level 5.
Also
So
not
he's
had a
got
win yet.
he's got a ways to go. Yeah, it was an econ loss, Necro. So
The
maybe-
items are big here. This is really important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's looking tough. No item for Draven. He needs that
Rage
Lucine
Blade
aggro.
is always good
Yeah.
to have here.
นี่ขนาดคิดไวนะ
You can actually make the, but I don't even know if you want to make the Ginsu.
แต่ว่าไอเทมไม่ค่อยดีเท่าไหร่แล้ว
I think you need to actually make Titan's Resolve.
I think if you can find something like
แต่เต้นโลแล้วครับแต่ว่าสเวนนี่น่าจะยากอยู่ครับเพราะว่าพี่ไมโลเนี่ยถือสเวนไว้เยอะเขาขาดสเวน2ตัวก็ทำ3 ดาวแล้วเขามี3 ดุเล็ก
Double rod was a little grim.
Yeah, I said I think I saw double rod.
แมงมุมยืนหลังครับ
A tier and an open tier on the very
อย่างงี้มีภาพที่เราจะได้เห็นใส่ตราแล้วก็ไอเทมอีก2 ชิ้นนะตรงนี้ไตเติ้ลก็น่าจะสเตเบิลแล้วผมว่าแต่ติดตรงที่ว่าขาดแทงเลยเด็กเนี่ยพี่ไมโลสเวน3 ดาวแล้วครับแทบไม่ต้องโลอะไรต่อแล้วนะเนี่ย
The
สเตจนี้
duplicators to immediately get the Swain 3, but then backlined it for now because a Garen was found for the front line. I love this. I wanted to see him use it the second he could 3-star instead of trying to save it in greed because of the amount of tempo you generate from a 3-star 3 cost on 4-1.
It's extremely hard not only to find a 3-star 3 cost, but specifically Swain, a form swapper who fits into so many different boards. Specifically, all the people who are playing Trade Tracker all want him. The title who's playing Sorcerer wants him. It's a contested unit. I think Milo able to do that while maintaining 40 gold. He's now in an incredible spot.
แต่บอร์ดพี่ไมโลนี่มันแคปเป็น6 ซอกไม่ได้นะ
This is Taro.
แต่ก็น่าจะมาแล้วครับน่าจะสแคปแน่นอนนะดูทรงแล้ว
Let's see what we get. We have Sniper, Visionary, Quick Striker, Scrap, Huge, Hit Fighter, and Sentinel.
อันนี้เทรดแท็กเกอร์มาครับ
We can see the
super useful.
I mean, this is 6 scrap already. Question is, can you upgrade things, right? Because you have
แต่ผมว่า
the synergy, but if things aren't upgraded, the shield will do okay.
จริงๆมันก็ดีนะมีอะไรบ้างเนี่ยมันทุบได้นะทุบ โอ้ทุบควิกสไตรเกอร์ทุบสไนเปอร์ทุบวิชั่นได้น่าจะทำไอเทมไปก่อนนะคอร์กี้2นะไม่มีดาบเลย
There's the reforge.
ใส่เบลไปก่อนได้ใส่เบลทำการเบร
I
ก
think I saw an ambusher emblem that dropped.
Did he get that? That would be a good hit.
Another Sentinel.
Sentinel 2 อัน
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't see what all 3 were.
We end up is that Firelight Ambusher.
มีแอมบูเชอร์ด้วยโอ้โห
This improved a lot.
Wait, he actually is
บอร์ดโคตรบ้า
unique emblems, all which work in conjunction with one another. Even the 2 Sentinels. Keep in mind, he doesn't have Rumble on his board yet, but he's.
แต่ผมว่าบอลฟอร์ไลท์อาจจะไม่ตอบโจทย์ปะ
into the scrap board, but we're seeing on the other side, it's not just enough to hit the unit. You got to be able to outlast as well. And Lucas, who's making it work, he said, "Forget. Let's just pretend like I don't have shop glitch. I'm not gonna reroll anything.
Heimer
I'm gonna play Heimer."
time.
Lucas just doing Lucas.
He's just gonna spin the wheel and see where.
เอ็มเบมใช้ได้ทุกอันเลยครับ
Landed on
Quick set.
Heimer this time around.
But I think this goes back to the conversation.
นี่บอร์ดสเปนเซอร์นะครับบอร์ดบิลดิฟที่ไม่มีเอคอนเลย
We're saying, oh, you know, if you don't hit the Morgana or you don't hit the other visionaries, just go vertical. That's why we see so many games of Heimerdinger played to varying degrees of success. But
จนมากนะ
Lucas also just knew I was gonna go for Heimer the entire time.
นี่มันห้อง3 ทองแล้ว
Varying range of placements that Lucas will
ตรงนี้ไตเติ้ลก็ดีครับหลังจาก
If he finds the Heimer too, we might be.
ไม่เจอสเวนแต่ว่าก็ยังมีแมมมุมยืนหลังทำดาเมจให้อยู่นะครับตอนนี้ขาดแค่แทงนะอาจจะไม่ต้องโลแล้วหรือเปล่าเพราะแมมมุมก็น่าจะทำดาเมจได้อย่างแรงนะครับบวกกับมีโซอี้ด้วยนะ
really only see come up in this patch now that backline Elise has been buffed, but it gives you an additional out. One of the cool things about sorcerers in previous patches was the flexibility of the front line. Are you
long distance ด้วย long distance ดีนะสำหรับบอร์ดซ็อกนะ
Now you have the flexible front line and the flexible back line, and you can cap out really high with a 4 form swapper angle in the late game.
Yeah, even there's the Jace. Even if you don't hit, if you're playing sorcerers and you get the Elise without the emblem, you can just put the items of the Elise and make sense.
I've seen
That's totally crazy.
4 emissary, 4 sorcerer, and a random Elise with all your items.
Oh, Dank Beams trying to find a bow. I was looking at the Vi on the.
ผมว่าบอร์ดพี่สเปนเซอร์อะบอร์ดบิลดิฟน่าจะไม่น่ารอดว่ะ
Doesn't take it because I want to set the stakes here a little bit for Dank Memes, right? 23 points coming into this game. Yes, maybe a bottom 4 can still be mitigated by a first to not get knocked out in these first 2.
But you have to look for a first.
I don't think an 8th is getting you there, even maybe if you take the first afterwards being at 23.
I think what's wild about that is that we look at family reroll being
คือบิลดิฟใส่รถถังไปมันเล่นไม่ได้ปะ
So the fact that that might not actually be what Dank
เพราะว่านอกจาก
in this game
มันจะติดเทรดส่วนตัวแล้วมันก็เป็นสแคปเป็นเซนติเนลอีกมันไม่สามารถลงอิลาออยหรือว่าคอกิได้
Unique games coming into the day today, but right now on the precipice.
บอร์ดนี้นี่
Not looking good. Not looking good for all. Trying to go for the
ไม่ไหวครับ
conqueror here. Find some more
เสาคอนเคอร์เลอร์แต่ว่าไม่ได้เล่นต้นเกมเลยมันเลือดน้อยเกิน
defense here to maintain him alive. So this a dire spot could be the first ace for
I think
Nandita.
he's lacking the ambushers on that wandering trainer to help find the win here, and this is a struggle with trying to cook something up, getting the Sorks behind the Wardens, and now it's just up to this one cast from the Elise that should be able to knock everything out. Nandita will go down. It looks
ตาย
like
ไปเลย
he also took a loss. Was it big enough for him to fall as well? It looks like it was.
Dank Means goes out in 7th, and yeah, that puts him in a bad spot, but like Necro called out before, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of the game yet. And maybe even with a top 2, top 3 can find himself alive in the tournament with the next game. The question, though, is can you turn any game into a top 2 or a top 3? Because he's out of time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We've seen him with his back against the wall before, and he's made it happen. And we just have to hope for Dank Beam's sake that the next game is able to go better than this one.
Share your energy
Lucas on a win streak, as he did find the Heimer too.
Share your energy.
ทำไมเขาชอบกด share your energy ให้เร็วกันวะมันเก่ง
Share
เหร
your
อ
energy on any competition that has Rel is fantastic. She has so many base stats.
อ๋อแต่ว่าเร็วเขาจะ3 ดาว
Sentinels as well. You don't have Conqueror
เขาไม่ได้ใช้ดูปด้วย
right now, so you're not getting the
เดี๋ยวเขาโลต่อ
AP
เอาเร็ว เอา
but you still have a lot
Rennie.
of stats coming in, and one of the things that's nice about Visionaries is getting base stats on Visionaries is very strong because they're already going to cast a lot. They just need a way to amplify it.
Really nice. He's 1 away from the Rel 3, and with the shop glitch, even though his gold is relatively low right now, he is going to get a lot of free rerolls on this next round coming up.
Spencer on the other side, we haven't seen them that much. He's playing build different still with Twitch 2 stars. So this is so bad for him right now. Access to the backlines is just falling off. So he could easily be the next one to go out.
But so close to being able to get some pretty significant upgrades. I mean, the fact that you have a pair of rumbles for some reason right now is awesome. Just, one more, please, one more. You get 2-star there.
Let's take stock of the lobby HP.
Oh,
right
shop
now,
gate.
right? So we are seeing a pretty big gap between that 7th and 8th place, and then
เร็ว3 ดาว
was that the
Rel 3 as well as the 6th copy of Rennie. So there's even possibility for a Rennie 3 coming out of that comp from Lucas.
25 HP in the 6th place player right now means that everybody has guaranteed 2 life going into the stage 5. Perhaps maybe there's a world where you can actually be 3 life. I think at 28 HP. Actually, I think with 25 as well, if they're 1 unit losses. So everybody that's left in there is
กินแล้วอ่ะ
still
ดูยังไม่ได้ใช้เลย
has the capability of finding themselves into the top 4.
Lucas is now 1 off of Rennie 3 as well.
No,
with
found
There it
it.
is.
No, he's not.
Nope, never mind. Sorry, my bad, Gang League.
Yeah,
He's actually has Rennie 3 and one of the best in slot, if not the best in slot items for this Rennie coming from the Chem Baron. And Share Your Energy Rel is giving it stats. And I said there was a large range of potential outcomes for this composition. I think we're at the very top of the range, and this is one of the tastiest recipes in the cookbook.
Here's the thing I do want to say. We're joking a lot about Lucas and kind of saying how sometimes it's kind of silly when you do watch him play. But the reality is, Lucas is playing off of intuition. He's in a spot where he's saying other people believe that Shop Glitch has hard and fast rules. I believe that it gives me any given set of win conditions. And I'm going to play to what I believe to be the strongest win out potential. And he's found a really good angle. This, on the other side, though, is our trait tracker player that we saw earlier in the game, who is going to be able to play with a very high cap. And Lucas is actually able to kill.
บอดสแคปผมว่าโหดแล้วนะแต่ว่า
right now, but obviously Taro will be the one who
บอดนี้มันคิดมาแล้ววะ
as much as the game advance, more items
ไม่ได้ต้องการอะไรแล้ววะบอดเนี้ย
cap, so more shield for him. In the late game, he should be the strongest. Title, who was in a win streak, now losses again.
สิงห์2 ดาว
I'd like to see Taro if we can, yeah. As we're hopping on board, he's 58 gold. He's just short of being able to go level 9. Doesn't look like he has an immediate in. I mean, he should be able to put the... Wait, did he not buy the Jace? Oh, he did, yeah. The Jace is going to be your next in, but I don't know if he's going to have enough gold even on the next turn. I don't know, next turn he will be able to level off Cadence. So he's got to survive 1 more round, and he actually does get quite a bit stronger next turn.
He has comeback story also. Maybe so additionally...
That's huge. I mean, you look at this board.
นี่น่าจะไหวอยู่นะ
The power that he's got there, the Firelight Vi and the Pit Fighter Echo as well, getting some extra.
ไหวครับไหว
This board is so powerful. And it just goes to show how strong Lucas is, right?
แต่เติ้ลเลือดเยอะนะ
Close when Lucas beat Taro, but now it doesn't look close when Taro's beating Title.
It looks less close.
Yeah, even less so.
So actually, I wonder how much confidence this gives Taro. Do you ever now say, like, oh man, I'm really strong. I'll just wait till after Carousel. I'll level on Cadence. I'm not afraid of nobody. He's leveling. Okay, he's afraid.
He said, "I am afraid of Lucas."
Yeah. That's a good fear to have. I mean,
ไมโลเวล9ครับตรงนี้จะทำนามิ3ดาวขาดอีก2ตัวเลอบองฮิตแล้วด้วยครับ
elimination potential here.
Yeah, once again, huge win streak into just falling off of that.
นี่บอร์ดพี่คังซุงจองนะที่เทมโปมาหนักๆนะแต่ว่าพอสเตจ4มาเล่นเปลี่ยนเป็นทวิตก็ไม่ไหวกับใครแล้ว
Actually, specifically, Dish Soap was the player that was streaking 100 a lot, and then we saw some fall-offs like this.
This is a winnable matchup, I believe.
ไม่ไหวกับใคร
The other player that we've kind of seen on that free fall since the really strong early game. These two players who were contesting each other back in end of stage 2, early stage 3 for Tempo are now competing against one another for their life in this game.
Access to backline for the Twitch, but it's not enough. Falling down here, Necro.
And it's so interesting because I think if Spencer is
3 เมมเลื่อน100มา2สเตจ
Blitzcrank, he literally only needs 1. He gets that 3-star Blitzcrank and he opens up 2 more spots on his board to actually make it even stronger.
A couple emblems on this carousel. Another bruiser opened up.
I don't know if it does. It's probably still too hard to fit 5 experiments.
ไททันหยิบบูสเตอร์
Pick it up instead.
Taro with a sniper just to accompany the Caitlyn there.
ไททันขาดแทงอ่ะตอนเนี้ย
I think that gives Spencer a pair of Jaces though on top of just a good item.
Whoa, pretty cool tech from Taro. I didn't even notice that. He didn't level for the Jace. He found a Caitlyn instead on level 9 and opted to play that.
อันนี้ไม่น่าไหวนะครับ
It's going to be cool to see it in the end. And the importance,
Look how many Blitzcranks he has.
His army of Blitzcranks.
I've been
บอร์ดพี่สเปนเซอร์กับบอร์ดพี่คังซุงจองเนี่ย
And now we're
super
receiving confirmation for Spencer.
Yeah, but not 1 but 3 Blitzcranks.
Okay, from that, it looks like the Kansung Jung board was able to get, I believe, a 3rd item for the Elise, try and guarantee that.
มีเคลลินด้วย
This is Taro's board, which we've seen.
เอาแวลูบอลฟอร์ไลน์นะครับ
gnarly damage earlier on. Question is this Bruiser frontline?
บอร์ดทาโร่น่าจะสู้ได้หมดอะขาด
I'm not quite a believer.
แต่ว่าสู้บอร์ดเชมบาลอนไม่ได้
Damage, right? The time might exist, but even then, it's looking a little bit rough trying to deal with that ambusher Corky.
Nah, it's too much.
It's just not close. Kang Sun Jung is going to go down. Spencer taking another loss. We're getting close to our top 4 here as Lucas yet again finding a win, this time taking down Milo, who is winning a lot.
I think Lucas wins.
I think so too.
I think
he
after
looks
a
so
9
strong.
win streak
Oh, now you believe in him.
I believed in the magic the whole time, Gangly.
นี่จะขึ้น10หรือว่าจะรอหานามิ
Infectious anomaly here for Milo already in all of the units, so he's already in the cap. Nothing else really to improve his board.
He's on his way to 10 right now, though. 37 gold, right? Might actually be able to find a way to try and outcap Lucas, who, despite having a lot of gold, being incredibly strong, is still level 8. So it's going to take way longer for Lucas to get 10 than Milo.
But
Spencer. Yep.
Milo also only is missing 2 copies of Nami, so you actually have another slot in your board that opens up if you do get that as well when you roll.
Yeah, board 3-star 3 cost is definitely a way that he could cap and maybe get more than Lucas. We didn't see between the two, so certainly that 3-star could make the difference.
Okay, so the ghost of Taro takes out Lucas. The real Taro is going takes out.
อุ้ยทาโร่แพ้ทาโร่ตายไปเลยครับ
Wow. Spencer's out.
That's crazy. I mean, we talked in our segment earlier about
บอร์ดเชมบาลอน
tracker is one of those augments that can increase your cap so much, and Taro looked like he was primed to find a top 2. I mean, his board.
ไม่ใช่บอร์ดเชมบาลอนชนะบอร์ดทาโร่คือบอร์ดสแคป
The fact that you have to deal with Lucas, like he's the big bad. Taro had just taken too many hits maybe to Lucas, and then you run into Lucas again.
นี่ดูได้นะ
Just consider, right? The Share Your Energy 3-starred Rel, 3 items on it, and then in the front line, I mean, these are nearly biz, if not biz items on a 3-star Rennie, who I think is generally the best tank in the game. If you 3-star Rennie, there's many that
มอสฮา2 ดาวได้ก็คือจบแล้วมั้ง
The closest is probably Rennie 2.
นี่ดูไปเนี่ย
Yeah,
หรือว่าซื้อไปวะ
Rennie 2's pretty good as well.
ก็ซื้อแล้วก็ดูตัว3 บาทก็คุ้มกว่าอยู่ดี
It's
นะ
just more stats, right? And on top of that, he was holding 3 Namis. He's actually playing it now for the emissary bonus of the Nami, but that's going to potentially deny the 3-star that we were looking for Milo.
Right. Milo is still leading in the HP though for the lobby, and so maybe has just a couple more breathing room here. But now it's Tidal next up to potentially get eliminated in 3rd place.
โอ้สเตอร์แล้ว
Very
สเตอร์แล
important.
ก
The
ให้
face-off is going up
ซิงครับ
against Tidal. And now this is a real one. So title going up against
แต่
Lucas.
น่าจะไม่ไหวแล้วครับ
Goes
น่าจะ
for Milo.
จบไปที่
Yeah,
3
see if the damage from this Elise is enough. I mean, the Swain is holding fast in the front line. The damage is spread, but there is just so much of it, and there's so much bulk. You see these itsy-bitsy spiders coming through, but they're just not able to get the job done. And Lucas just going to obliterate Title here in 3rd place. But still, solid game for Title. He needed a bounce back today. I think the top 3 to start the day off. Exactly what he
บอร์ด
did.
มาสหะบอร์ดให้มืออันเนี้ยมันขอแค่แทงหนา
bounce back, and our top 3 is actually just primarily made up of the players who wanted those points at the start of the day.
ๆทีนี้พอมันฮิตแทงหมดเลยมันก็แบบชิลแล้วปะ
Had some of the most points. Nandita, of course, falling in 8th. Spencer and Hansung Jung in 8th and 9th, respectively. All falling in that about 4 means that our standings are going to get flipped a little bit.
Just goes to show you that anything can happen, and
เกมนี้แจกรูปเยอะจัด
towards the bottom needs that opening. And so as we enter into what is probably going to be our final round, I think.
If Lucas wins, could be only 19 HP.
And I think the if is almost feeling like a certainty as we've watched some of these fights, but this is closer than expected as we're going to see that Swain 3 get off more casts, but can he break through the Rennie? It does not look like it is even remotely possible. Lucas going to take it down, and he's going to join Bio.
จะชนะต้องแบบเวล
at the top of the table.
ทำแบบ
Get one more win, but I think we're kind of they're just
โอ้
milking
แต่
it
ว่า
at the
มันไม่
top
เข้ารอบ
at
ว
this
งว่ะ
point.
ไม่ไหวแล้วป่ะมันต้อง
Even if
วอวิก
you find
2 ดาวอาจจะแบบ
The problem
มี
is
ภาพ
not
อยู่
that
ปะ
you don't have damage, it's that the durability of this front line. I mean, you have
ทุกคนวันนี้มันจะมี
the
ไอ้นี่ด้วยนะ
forgetting the name, the Kembarian item that
สปอยนะครับเซต 14 นะวันเนี้ย
There's just so many shields coming through at the very beginning of this fight.
จบเกม 2 อ่ะ
That the question when you're playing against Visionaries is, can you kill the front line? If you can kill the front line, you can kill everything. But if you can't kill the front line, you're not killing anything.
The problem is you have to kill 3-star frontline that are doing amazing here with the Rug, with the Rennie, and also the Singe 3-star final fight. If Lucas takes the win, Swain trying to do as much damage as possible. LeBlanc also there with the Rose. Access to the backline doesn't look like it is enough. Backline is already free, and Lucas already savoring the victory. Great win for him on game 1 of today.
3-star frontliners, and you're just talking about Rennie. This
เรียบร้อยแล้วผมขอไปดู
It's already just the one there.
มันมี
Already
ล็อบบี้ไหน
starting
ฉาย
the
บูม
show,
แฮร์ปะ
and also your
Your
canonical
mom?
mom? Is that what?
มีล็อบบี้เดียวกันแล้วอะ
It was Rennie's son at the
The
start of
son.
the show.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. I didn't want to do spoilers if anyone hadn't seen our game, but there's a moment where Rennie
ล็อบบี้เดียวกันหมดเลย
takes a bench off because of her son. So I feel, I don't know. This is my favorite character, Rennie, and we can see why here right here on TFT. Great character, and it's totally broken. So the best character.
It was cool to see Lucas play around.
รอเลยเมื่อวานโชว์น้อยเกิน
I say it was cool.
เดี๋ยวผมหาช่องที่ฉายบูมแฮร์ ไม่ค่อยมีอะไรเกมเมื่อกี้บูมแฮร์ได้เท่าไหร่อะ
Magic lines a million times, but it was
เก้า
fun to see the on the global stage. He plays a very creative
ได้
line
3 คะแนนเอง
this variation of
ได้
shop glitch.
6 เกมเมื่อกี้ได้
entire
6
time vamping until I could think of the name shop glitch.
You're welcome.
Where he's playing tempo, right? I realizes, listen, I am way behind tempo if I try to play the Morgana reroll. Instead, I need to play around Kembear and find a new way to cap out. Plays on level 8 instead, ends up hitting Exodia, right? He hits the nuts, and because of it, he finds himself a first. But I think it's that recognition that the traditional line was not going to work for him that favored Lucas, because he's willing to play the non-traditional line any single game that he has the opportunity.
That's it. You don't care about the stats. You care about the magic.
That's right.
That is it. The Brazilian magic on top with Bio and Lucas, and they're popping off at this tournament, carrying the Americas right now.
But I think when you look at just how this lobby even started, okay, we get the Vander encounter. Thank you, Hoope, for that one. We have some really just good, kind of classic TFT, I feel like, that comes out of this as well. A lot of people already identifying what reroll lines they want to play for. Even, I think, just taking a look at Milo's, like, Sorcerer reroll line, where you had those 3 champion duplicators to get that Swain so early. I think that also was a great recognition from Milo to say, all right, well, Stork's great. 3-cost reroll, excellent. I can enable that.
And I love players just in general are using those like lesser champion duplicators for tempo a lot more. And now obviously this is a 3-star, but instead of trying to greed out, hit Nami and Swain, roll down, it's like the second the 3 made a Swain 3, he's like, all right, let's go. Let's just create.
ก่อนมาสตรีมผมเพิ่ง
To go back to the Vander,
แตะไว้สองเกมนะ
in a B
ที่แปลกก็ด้วย
by encounter they have a lot of units. Maybe the trade tracker would work.
เจ๋งเลยอยากกดต่อ
But
นะ
actually, we saw he was missing a lot of items. So actually, the threshold that we saw and we showed with Ironbog with Disho
The
was not happening right now.
2500 HP shield,
And
right?
trade tracker in a good setup, only going 5th here for Taro.
I think it went 4th.
Yeah, don't sell it short. Man.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it went 4th. Either way, I think it was.
Could be more. Could be more.
It could be more. You're right. There was
did go
more
4th.
potential there, but at the end of the day, I mean, take a look at how Lucas kind of did this nice swooping motion. You know, starting all the way kind of at the bottom and showing how you do slingshot.
เอาเรื่องจัดอะ
What's funny is if you just look at this graph, you
พี่
would
แนน
think
แนนเดเด้จัด
traditional
ที่
shot
8 ไปครับ
plays
จากอันดับ
where you sacrifice your early game,
จากคะแนน
you
41 คะแนน
stabilize, when you stabilize, you're able to continue your streak, but that's not. In fact, actually, maybe there's an argument that if he's playing the traditional line, there's a little tiny baby spike earlier on, but Lucas finding his way to play this line in the most Lucas way possible, playing around tempo, playing around level 8, and then actually finding way more value with the free rerolls on level 8 and level 9 instead to get the full version of this board.
Rolling for 3 costs is expensive. It's great when you get a bunch of free rerolls on level 7 and level 8 to try and find them instead, right?
So true. Absolutely so true. And I think that's something where we're going to see shop glitch get taken more often. I mean, Lucas did have a shop glitch game yesterday. I cannot remember what he actually played in terms of the line that he went for, but it's clearly an augment that he seems very comfortable with. And I think shop glitch still gives you a lot of economical value when it comes to building out these compositions. Who doesn't love free rerolls, right? Exactly.
I wanted to call out that because
Exactly.
Nanda did go 8th, you know, we talked about how we expected the results to really flip on their head. I know when we were looking at it, we still kind of have it on the wall here. I don't know if we can show that wall, but on the right-hand side, we have all the scores available. And despite the fact that Nandita went 8th, he said he had 41 points. Nobody's even close because the 2 players that were close to him, Kang Jung and Spencer, also went bot 4. And so Nandita, I think this is a great example of giving yourself some breathing room. And I think it actually makes it way easier to bounce back because he knows he has a little bit of room to breathe.
อีกกี่แต้มขึ้น Challenger ครับ
You reset the points. So actually, I think he's
อีก
practicing.
ประมาณ 200 ครับ
He came from GOC. Now he's doing the practice. So maybe wandering training. I don't
He's
need
like,
to
I
force
gotta
right next
wait
meet.
for some first.
เท่าไหร่วะ
I can wait for Smith for tomorrow.
1,000
He also took a
20
wandering trainer with Conquer and
อีกประมาณ 200 อีกประมาณ
I only think got 1 copy of more.
100
so do that what you
103
will when it comes to the vertical Conquer line.
Yeah, it was a little
ประมาณ
tough. Even the early
130 แต้มอีกประมาณ 130 แต้มครับ
Conquer opener
ตอนแรกผมขึ้นไปแตะ
getting to utilize all of the different
ตอนแรกขาดอีกประมาณ 40 แต้ม
It was just
แล้วก็แตกที่ 8 อีก
a normal watcher
วน
opening
อย่างนี้นานละ
and getting just like maybe 2 Conquer and later
ขึ้นไปแล้วก็
so kind of rough.
แล้วก็แตก 2 เกม
But the reality
ท็อป
is
4 4 เกมขึ้นไป
means that in order to make that
แล้วก็แตก
traditional
2 เกม
threshold that we saw last
แล้วก็กลับมาที่เดิม
set when we introduced the 40 player format, it was 66
เล่นที่
points.
2 เล่นได้ที่ 2 แม่งบวก
Not a guaranteed number,
20
certainly not set in stone.
พอแตกที่ 8 แม่งลบ
To
50
hit that 66 point
59
threshold, he has to play it safe. He doesn't even have to average a top 4
Sad.
today. He has enough breathing room based on day 1 to just play for placements, and when the high roll presents it, I know I keep saying it, but I gotta say it again, play for the high roll when it's there, be patient when it's not.
Let's take a look at our
เศร้าเลย
standings now as all of our first games have concluded. And so at the bottom here, unfortunately, Dank Memes and Bintum at the bottom of this page. Like
PBE น่าจะมาวันที่ 19 ป่ะ
gap get formed
แพท
here.
ใหม่
It's going to be really close at that 25th
เข้าพร้อมแพท
place
ใหม่
that you
แพท
can try to
แพ
get
ทปล่อย
yourself
ผี
through to the next round.
แล้วก็
Bit of a struggle
PBE
to start there, but another player who we were looking at near the
เดี๋ยวหลังจากนี้ผมน่าจะไม่ได้สตรีม
was a
เซตนี่แหละ อาจจะไปสตรีมเป็น PBE แทนนะ
trying to keep the hope
ช่วง
of getting his
ช่วง
second crown alive.
ช่วง
And
เซต
that's an amazing
14 อะ
start. He's already pumped
แต่
up
ว่า
to
ไอ้
place from that
เล่น
first
เก็บ
game.
Challenger ก็อาจจะไปแอบเล่นคนเดียว
To not get eliminated immediately.
อาจจะไม่ได้สตรีมเซต
Well,
13
we
แหละ
saw in that game finding a top 4, and as we move into the third page here, this is where we actually see quite a huge spread. Every region represented here, only 3 points separating 16th and 9th compared to the 5 points separating the bottom versus that 25th place. So this is
ดิสโซฟอยู่อันดับที่ 12
get really, really tight, and anybody's looking to
มุม
just
แพ
push
ง
themselves
คงอันดับ
into
อยู่ครับ
that
ที่
top
อันดับ
four.
ที่
I was gonna say,
4 ครับ
looking at Nandita and saying
จ
nobody
ริงๆถ้าบูมแฮร์ซักที่1นี่ก็โอ้โห
Day6 matching that point total with
ขึ้นอันดับก็ขึ้นมาแบบลั่นๆแล้วนะ
this day with a second
พี่แนนเด
place
เด้เขาจัดที่ 8 ไปอะดิ
to 45 points
พี่อิมไบโอเนี่ยจัดที่ 3 เกมเมื่อกี้ได้ที่ 7 ขึ้นมาที่ 1 เลย
Brazil making a statement. Both of them qualified in different placements and having
ท็อปตารางแม่งแบบ
so the magic is
สูสีกันอยู่นะคะแนนบูมแฮร์สูงมากนะผมว่า
Can we talk about
มีโอกาสได้เข้าท็อป 16 แต่ว่าช่วงท็อป 16 อ่ะต้องแบบ อาจจะเน้นนิดนึงเพราะว่ามันน่าจะคะแนนมันน่าจะเบียดกันมากช่วง3 เกมสุดท้ายของวันเนี้ยเซตใหม่นี่ไซเบอร์ซิตี้ป้าใช่อะใช่เขาจะสปอยหลังเกมที่ 2 นะ หลังเกมที่ 2 จะมีสปอยเทรดแล้วก็ตัวละครของเซต 14 นะครับไซเบอร์ซิตี้นะสวัสดีฮาโลนะ
My favorite reason to watch him is that this guy is the most entertaining player in TFT. He wears his heart out on his sleeve. He is the most electric man in TFT.
เซตนี้บอกเลยว่าคนไทยนี่
You think it's just that he's
พี่บูมแฮร์แบบว่าเอาเรื่องจัด
This guy is a beast as well.
Well, I mean, he's fun to watch not just in the player cam, but the games, right? I think that's what you're getting at, is that being able to watch sometimes the lines that he ends up going for, you are pleasantly surprised that he's able to pull some of this stuff together.
It's the reason we call it Brazilian magic too, because we've seen some really creative stuff from Bio, just like Lucas. You know, we saw him duplicate those Urgots and end up finding a win off of that. And he just has these crazy creative lines. And yeah, he's been overshadowed a little bit by maybe ego illusions in Brazil. We always talk about ego when we talk about Brazil, and sometimes Bio gets put to the wayside, but he's always been kind of right underneath, and maybe now, I mean, he's finally surpassing the expectations that we always put on ego.
When we see archetypes, normally Bio is the archetype of the enjoy player that helps in reset mental.
ฉันต้องการคอมอีคอนแบบเฮดเทคไดโนเสาร์
What's the possibility of getting another 8th? In case of Bio, he doesn't care.
มันคล้ายๆเซต
He's always happy. He's always outperforming.
เซต 8 ปะ
Clarity is actually what's gotten into the first place.
เฮดเทคไดโนเสาร์เป็นเซต 8 หรือเซต 9 อะ
Seeing players enjoy playing
แต่ผมว่ามัน
I think some of the best
ทีมไซเบอร์แบบเนี้ยมันเซต 3 มันก็เคยทำไปแล้วปะ
and you can see that come through. It's
ที่เป็น
like,
Galaxy
okay,
อะ
I kind of expect that to happen. Not every single game that I play on ladder is going to get me a first or a second. You got to take 8s every once in a while. Who hasn't when playing the game?
Bio certainly has, let me tell you. One of the reasons that I love Bio is because this guy is willing to opt into variants. This is something that you were kind of alluding to before, Casanova, and we haven't actually seen the top ones come through for Bio, but let me just make it clear. Clement and I did a really fun little pre-show segment on day 1 where we talked about Bio.
The day with Gangly and Clem.
That's right. We did a little show on why Bio is a volatile player and the ingredients that go into that and why he's more first or 8th. He goes second this tournament. That's a first or 8th player, right? Yeah. How many middle placements does Bio have throughout the tournament?
1.
Yeah, exactly. Everything lives on the outliers, so and I love that. Yeah. And is that not just like the most Brazilian magic kind of visualization?
แต่ว่าเขาสรุปคะแนนมาแล้วมันน่าจะ
He loves to be able to play for that high variance because he believes that if it comes, he's able to capitalize it and pilot it better than the average player. And because of that, sometimes he's willing to take a bot 4, take an 8th, because he knows he can bounce back.
One thing that we got to mention too, we've got the 2 Brazilians there in the top 8, and not since Slooper have we been able to have Brazilians convert here at the international stage. And if they can continue to
Gizmo Gadget ฟีลแบบเทคหน่อยอะนะเซตแรกที่มีอาร์เมนก็คือเซต 8 ใช่ปะเซต 8
I do want to temper some expectations that we still have 6 more games we've got to get through for today
แต่เหมือนแบบทีมเซต 14 มันจะคล้ายๆเซต 3 อะที่แบบเป็น Galaxy อะ
for you to maintain this consistency through
Yeah, I mean, even
แต่ก็คล้ายๆเซต 8 เหมือนกันที่แบบเป็นพิทักษ์โลกเป็น
the variance of the game. Sometimes it's that players aren't respected.
เป็นแนวแบบ
I think that a lot of the quote-unquote underdogs, to me, these are players like Nandita, Day6. I would consider Boom Hey there as well, and Experion, and Lucas to some degree. There's an element here of like, you can be excited, you can be proud of yourself, you deserve this, but like you're saying, Necra, don't get ahead of yourself. I expect that some of the more veteran players are able to do that. The players who not only have been around for a long time, but have found success. The player that comes to mind for me, Lee Tuchuan. This is a player who Guan got
รวมร่าง
attention for
Super
dominating
Galaxy
TFT because of how flashy he was. Lee Tuchuan was right there behind him the entire time. When Guan went first in the TOC last chance qualifier, guess who went second?
ขอแค่ทำระบบมาดีๆก็พอแล้ว
Format in 4 games. Guess who went second? It was Lee Tuchuan.
Really? What? Really?
Lee Tuchuan has also found a top 8 finish at a previous Tactician's crown back in set 11. This is someone who clearly knows how to keep a cool mind. I expect Lee
การเล่นใหญ่ๆเบิ่ม
in this roster currently in the top 8 to be able to maintain that spot, and I think
มีโคบุโกะด้วยนะเซต14อ่ะ
6
โคบุ
games
โกะ
left to find themselves into a top 8.
ตัว
I want to talk about Day2.
ตัวที่มีเฉพาะใน
That's
TFT
a player that we haven't really had a chance to give flowers to yet. But how amazing is it? Maybe as one of the more underdog players coming out of
เดี๋ยวเราก็ได้เล่นแล้วครับ
you find yourself in
อีก
this top
ไม่กี่วัน
Yeah, and sometimes I hear Day6 underdog, and I just keep thinking that's not.
สัปดาห์หน้าก็ได้เล่นแล้วเซต
We've been casting Day6 in set 1, and in set 1 and 2, Day6 was considered one of the best players in the world, and we kind of forget how long ago that was, and there really hasn't been a ton of results since then for Day6, and so now the fact that he's in a position where he's in the top 8 and he had a phenomenal day 1, it's really exciting, and as wrong as it feels to call him an underdog, he is, and this is his chance to really shine once again that we haven't seen the likes of since the very early stages of TFT.
Yeah, to complement, Day6 has had those ups and downs. Like you said a few sets ago, on the top, an innovator, someone who actually understands the game, always playing PvE and getting the comps in before no one knows what to play, then falls down in performance and goes to now with the high rollers only to train. I call it the high roller plus extended family. So one of them is tactic training, and that's what he was lacking. He was already great in thinking the game,
นานมาก
knowledge from other tier 1 players. Now he's doing amazing.
I remember in set
เมื่อไหร่เกม 2 จะเริ่มครับ
PvE tournament that I think Mortdog hosted, and the winner of that tournament was Day6, and he earned the title, fittingly enough, Innovator Supreme. That was like that was
เริ่มแล้วไม่ใช่เหรอเนี่ย
the winning of that tournament, and I think it's so fitting. I remember we were talking to Panda earlier in the week.
พี่เกมมันเริ่มแล้วไม่ใช่เหรอ
Stood out to me is that people sometimes consider Day6 gameplay or playstyle to be
หรือว่าเขาจะไม่ได้ดูล็อบบี้เดิมอ่ะ เขาจะไปดูล็อบบี้อื่น
someone
อ่ะ
who likes to play off intuition. He's someone who likes to find the shape of the game and play off that. And some of the criticism he's received is that you play this game like it's too balanced, man. Sometimes you gotta be willing to just play what's good, break the rules. But Day6 is able to find the middle ground there, right? Because we're seeing
แล้วเราดูล็อบบี้นี้นะ
success. It's his
แต่ว่า
second
แต่ว่า
Tactician's
ล็อบบี้
crown.
ห้องนี้มันก็คือล็อบบี้ของเมื่อกี้แต่ว่าเกมเริ่มไปแล้ว นี่อาจจะฉายคนอื่นปะเรารอดูเผื่อเขาฉายบูมแฮนะ
And it's cool, as funny as it is to consider Day6 an underdog, I think it's more a representation of we're just old.
We're just old. And one of the most balanced patches we've maybe ever had in TFT, and Day6 can play his style.
ดูอันนี้ไปก่อนดิ
3 sao để anh ta có thể mua được thêm con Sky. Nếu anh ta muốn mua Sky, anh ta hoàn toàn có thể bán con Violet này đi. Thì nó vẫn đủ tiền.
Hoặc nếu không ấy thì bán
มี Wander
bây giờ nếu bán Violet cho vào 4 giám sát khéo có khi là mạnh quá.
Sao mạnh quá.
Bán con Amumu đi cho nó cẩn thận. Spencer ở đây thì anh ta lấy về một cái lõi
นี่อักเบนลูนานครับลูนาน
Lunan. Thì khả năng cao những cái vị tướng phù hợp nhất chắc là vẫn sẽ chỉ có Ezreal kết hợp với cả Trick gì đấy mà thôi. Một trong hai những vị tướng kể trên tạm thời đang giữ
คนเวียดนามเข้ากี่คนเนี่ย
sao đang khá là chiến.
มันจะขึ้นเป็นเอเปกหมดเลยนะ
Tuyển thủ còn
เลยไม่ชัวร์นะ
và tay
เฮ้ยล็อบบี้บูมแฮมา
Previous sets, compare that to Boom
มาบูมแฮมา
earlier on in the pre-show, who are getting their turn at Stardom. Preston in particular is someone who has really impressed me, especially since the merging of the Americas.
หาวแล้ว
To have maintained a
พี่ลี่หลูลี่หลิว
the last 3 sets. He's been able to find his way into the final day of 8 of the last 11 tournaments. 2 of those were golden spatulas that he missed. This time around, though, he made it into that final day. He's finding himself to the Tactician's crown, and at 32 points, he's not doing too bad.
And it's always surprising to people when they hear that it's his first time, because he's always the one organizing scrims and getting things ready to go for all the rest of the players when they're trying to get ready for the Tactician's crown.
Here we go.
โอ้โหบ้าปะ
The good boy.
ห้องวอลวิก
Warwick is, in my opinion, the one that I'm very scared of whenever I see it on the loading screen. It is an encounter that fundamentally changes the way you have to play the game, because you get so many more resources from being ahead. There's a question of, how much can you actually just play what the game is giving you? How much do you have to brute force early game strength, because if you fall too far behind, the snowball of everyone at the top can be too fast to catch up with.
You don't have an option. People are up in levels, so the player damages so much. So even if you get the perfect augment to do maybe a lose streak or something like that, you will be so penalized. It will be very difficult to ramp up. So
snowball กันมัน
this win streak and
โอ้แต่คนที่มันไม่ได้สโนว์บอลเขาไม่มันกันเลยดิเราลองดูว่าบูมแฮจะไหวไหมนะตรงนี้เหมือนมีคนจะเก็บตัวละครซ็อกกันเยอะแยะมากมายนะ
I play Conquerors because then you get double the loot, double the fun.
Wouldn't it actually be that it's not as effective?
สิงห์2 ดาวครับ
additive, not multiplicative. I don't know how that would
but double
work.
the loot, double the fun sounds better.
No need to make it more complicated.
Lekoko, I think, is someone who we haven't gotten to talk too much about today, but this is a player who's kind of, I don't want to say upended double 61, but has been like the hot commodity coming out of EMEA, and this set 36% top one rate over the regular season has just been dominating the field.
And I was so impressed with Lekoko's play yesterday. I think we saw a couple of games on stream where Lekoko looked like he might have started out in kind of a rough position
ชีวิตเที่ยงมี
and
30 คะแนน
able to turn that around into a top 4 twice. I think that's phenomenal, and maybe why Lekoko started off today with a second place.
เขาหยิบขวาเปล่าวะ
but
เพราะเขาหยิบขวา
also had
แน่
a couple of those tempo games that we were seeing as well, which is so important when we get the war
เพราะว่าห้องวอลวิกเขาก็เอาโดบมาแล้วก็
So we take a look at
เท
this
ม
first
โป
offense.
แม่งเลย
It's
ทำ
goal
2 ดาว
this time. No
ถูก
way
ปะ
they're making it happen.
เขาเล่นกันแบบนี้ จับจอบูมหน่อย DM บอกทีมงานหน่อยขอดูแค่จะบอกบูมให้ไปสตรีมง่ายกว่า
There were no 3 costs there, so they had
บอกบูมให้เปิดช่องสตรีมเลยง่ายกว่า
So there are some options to double duplicate a 2 cost. It's on the table.
Okay, artifact.
I like that though. I think there were 2 really enticing options there. I think you look at some of these. Oh, you see I think that's worth the wait from Bintum.
นี่วัตถุเวทได้อะไรอ่ะวัตถุเวทได้
All right, we're gonna have to get confirmation on what those champs are, but I think you also have the economic option, as you said, from Lilo. I think Boomhey had an enticing option of also maybe even picking Cluttered Mind just to get increased experience given to you while you keep your options open.
Yeah, we definitely saw a lot of players opt into
บูมแฮเล่นอะไรครับ
based augments, right? We're seeing here with the
เล่นรูสติกหรือเปล่า
armor coming in from Wage and Iverson, which is one of the best augments that you can take on 2-1 if your goal is to be able to streak. Problem is you don't have an upgraded front line, which can make a difference, but having that Lux makes it really easy to burst down the other side of the board. So Bintum, who does not have a combat augment on his plate yet, is going to fall to Wage and Iverson there.
Bintum having a strong start anyway, though. We've seen this Amumu before. We've seen it win streak for a very long time.
เขาวัตถุเวทได้อะไรอ่ะเอามูมูเท่าเดิมเลยเมื่อกี้ ได้ตัวอะไรวะ
Bintum's worth the wait.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we saw a big Amumu yesterday. He was actually ramping up and a great unit. He was
หรือว่าคือมูมูนั่นแหละ
actually 3-star Amumu, great to see. Obviously, Watcher line is maybe not the best. You don't have so many options right now. It's not the best front line, but he can make it work.
Yeah, it can be a little tricky. I mean, I'm trying to think. Primarily, Watcher, you know, Zeri is like the main one, but I feel like just with your items, right? He was tier.
โอ้บอร์ดคนนี้
Cloak. You're gonna have to play
คืออะไรครับ
to more of an
หยิบ
AP line. Is there some sort
เอ็ดออฟไนท์
emissary,
เล่นอะไรเนี่ย
sorcerer, but you slot?
ทำโชจิน
The +1, it makes sense. You have the Garen, you can use Vladimir for Black Rose. There's some angles there.
Maybe even a Kog'Maw angle as well. That's on the table.
Citoren at level 5 here on 2-2 as well. Just trying to be.
แต่ก็คือหยิบเอ็ดออฟไนท์มาเทมโป
Just gonna take the loss.
ถ้าได้ดาเลีย2 ดาวก็อาจจะแบกได้ยาวๆวะ แล้วก็ไปเล่น เล่นอะไรเล่นคองเคเลอร์
8 players will be eliminated, so these are the players to watch at least. They need a top 4, maybe more for Cituren.
ได้มูมูจริงละ
So if they don't perform, they're out of the competition.
บูมแฮเล่น
Okay, maybe with this
โอ้
Gold Collector, I
Gold
mean, you've got
Collector.
the like semi-family going here.
ไอเทมก็ไม่ได้สแลม
games where I'm like, yeah, I'm upgrading stuff and that should be good, but I'm not upgrading the right stuff. Being able to have a Draven 2 plus a violet too would feel way better in
บูม
my
แฮร์จะเล่น
opinion.
Family เปล่า
Plus
เมื่อกี้
the powder because those
วันนี้
two
แกล้งบ้า
are
กดเวล 5 มาแล้ว
really working in conjunction with one another as well
เดี๋ยวก็ได้เงินคืนมา
compared to the violet plus the draven.
Yeah, because even
Chill,
Tactician
huh?
can be pretty effective. You just want
Right.
that one monkey to go out and deal a bunch of damage, and instead you need that consistent damage, and it's not really there.
Oh, 200
Self-driven.
speakers right now.
Yep, we'll have to take a look at Prestivan and Sitoren to see who can actually keep that win streak, because as we're saying on the Warwick, you want that win streak extremely badly.
Well, looks like it is going to be Prestivan. And Prestivan's board is already pretty well put together, I think, as like you have so many upgraded units, a lot of 2-stars. You also have that jewel gauntlet onto the Lux, and so you're just going to be able to really push that damage through.
This is comfort zone for Prestivan. He played a lot of Sorks yesterday, a lot of AP.
ถ้าบูมแฮร์เล่น Family แล้วแบบ
This is
ฮิต
kind of
ไว
like
ๆก็อาจจะ
TFT, early JG, look
มัน
for
เหมือน
that
มันต้อง
line.
ฮิตส
It
เต
is
จ3 เลย
exactly
อะ
where he found his
เพื่อที่จะแบบ
success.
And it's the NA
ได้
section
เงิน
of
คืน
the
มา
ladder of stream, also Setsuko, also Soyu.
Yep.
They're the ones who love to play this line of sorts, and they train with him. He's actually Vitality team, and it's great to see that he maintains the line that is working for him, obviously what he prepared for.
Liluo, I was trying to see if there was a 3 cost that he was going to pick up because he does have the 2 duplicators.
มีคนหยิบคิโนอิแก็บแบ็กมา 2 คนแต่ว่าบอร์ดเหมือนไม่ได้แบบ
We're gonna see the scar duplicated there. He
ไม่ได้
did
ดูป
find the bow as well though.
ยังไม่ได้ดูปเลยอะไร
Set
เงี้ย
up for an Ezreal on stage 3, double duplicate Ezreal. Hope that's enough tempo. Double on the
ไม่ทราบ
other hand, another one of our
Swain.
duplicator players.
ตอนนี้ถือแพรเยอะมากนะ
This
คุณ
was-
เบน
This was the duplicator player that we were seeing
Yeah,
from before.
double.
Yeah.
I mean, the Swain would
There's 2.
generally be a good target, right? But
Yeah.
because he started out
Yep.
lost streak,
There it
I'm
is.
wondering. And
Ah, do
okay,
ไปเลย
so he's
ครับ
gonna
จะเป็น
try and
2
flip the
ดาว
script now.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, pretty standard heroic grab bag into Swain tempo, a really strong way of playing the sorcerer line, and on top of that, having the early GP makes it so that your Swain is not only going to be upgraded, but also going to have the additional HP from the form swapper buff.
Yeah, should be able to start turning this into a win streak from here on out. I feel like this is a very powerful board. The damage is a little bit lacking, but I think it's bolstered a bit by the fact that you have that Ionic Spark on the Swain.
Yeah, you have the 1-star Gunplan that is also great to watch. The Ambessa also, not items as you just mentioned, but just raw power on the units. Great units to have here, especially in the early game.
Potential for 4 Conqueror, like Nekra's been
Oh.
praying for this whole time. So
Gimme! I
Double
don't
may
know.
be able to try and snowball even faster on stage 3.
I don't want just 4 Conqueror. Gingly, give me 6.
No, wow, okay.
Give me
I'm
all of
greedy.
the
Give me all the
I mean, finding
Conquerors.
the early Ambessa
Ah, Darwin.
conditions in which it actually could work.
เมื่อกี้
Who knows? Maybe
ถ้า
Okay,
เปิด
now
4
it's
คน
the
ก็
Mordekaiser on
สโน
7.
บอลน่าจะโหดอยู่
That's it. Liluo is the other player that's playing the heroic grab.
นี่ยังไม่ได้ดูปนะครับ
He waits also.
Yeah, this one is actually lower tempo, but take a look at the HP, 95 HP. So Liluo was actually able to streak the last 3 rounds after losing the first on this board alone.
อันนี้ไม่ได้ไอเทมไม่ได้แสดงไอเทมอะไรนะแต่ว่าแบบเลือดก็เยอะอยู่
I
นะ
just can't even
ไม่ได้แบบ
imagine
ว่าแพ้ใคร
There's no items, everything's 1-star.
Wait, hold
But the
on.
Rebel buff. Hang on a second.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the 3 win
Ngân
streak is a little
40 นะครับ
confusing, but you're at the Rebel buff.
Yeah, I mean, with this rebel setup, I think he's just waiting. Look at the items. He's waiting for the Ezreal, trying to go for the Ezreal to get the Hurricane. We saw that power that he has. An aerial 2-star with Hurricane can even take you level 9.
We got Prestivan that's going to continue his streak.
Is he going to hold this stuff? Okay, no, he's going to sell that as
โอเคบูมแฮร์ได้อยู่ครับ
any indication that he might be pivoting one way or another.
No.
แพ้ชนะแพ้ชนะ
At this point, I mean, he's got some strong pieces. I feel like his board, despite being the 5 streak, is the one that feels a little bit more flexible. I imagine it's going into
บอร์ดอามู
sorcerer
มู
mode.
ไม่
Yeah, but Zoe picked up for Bintum having the Amumu 3 frontline with the...
บอร์ดอามูมูยังรู้สตินะแต่ว่าถ้าได้ไอเทม
I
3
guess
ชิ้นตรงนี้อาจจะไหว
an
อยู่นะ
opportunity to play the Zoe alongside your Nami for at least this stage of the game.
I think there's a pretty easy 4 sorcerer line that you play on
Yeah.
stage 3. You have the Vlad that's a watcher as well. You have your Nami as well. So you can play 4 on level 6 without sacrificing too much from your board.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I actually really like that you might be able to go like the Black Rose Sorcerer direction, just knowing that the Amumu helps to kind of fit the pieces together. You also have a potential Dominator line as you have the Ziggs in already. So I think there's a lot of flexibility here that we can see Bintum
ตรงนี้
work
น่าจะ
around,
เล่น
and
ซ็อกเซอร์
something that
ไม่
Bintum
ขาย
is
โซอี้ไป
quite
แล้ว
known for.
I like the Dominator call out because there's the blue buff available as well. You have this Amumu that you might want to stick around, and just having the 2 Automata when you're playing around the Blitzcrank and it's still kind of helping anchor your front line. I think that's a good point, and I think maybe the Dominator is going to be what is wanted from Bintum.
Ooh.
Like Coco got Maddie out of the Worth the weight. And so I'm super
เดี๋ยว
curious
โค
to see
ได้
where this board goes.
Oh,
Meddy
I know
นะค
where
รับ
it's going. The trail on 3-2, you get 2
Oh.
Maddies per turn, and then it's a
Maddie.
Maddie 4. 2 Maddie 4s
Two
incoming.
Maddie 4s.
I mean, that would also be a treat. We haven't seen a lot of Enforcer get played.
That
And
could
so
be
I
an
think
angle
that
with a
is
+1
a
maybe.
possibility, yeah.
Yeah. Normally the Seri 3 is not something you want to go for, so maybe just get good tempo with the Maddie 1, with the Maddie 3 star right now, and then up level immediately to level 8 or even to level 9.
I mean, this unit is a beast on stage 3, though. I mean, absolutely, it's going to do a lot of work for
บิด
Lakoko.
เทียมมืดอีกแล้ว
She's missing to be perfect
เขามาเอาความมืดครับ
is Rage Blade, and that would allow you to cast so much
กับเอา
faster.
ม่วงเหรอ
I thought you were going to say the only thing missing from Maddie was not to be a traitor.
Oh, okay, maybe that's
Was loyalty.
Okay, 2 things missing.
Prismatic Augment coming through. Lakoko took whatever it is that he took
Boom Hab.
immediately. So I do want to see that at some point. Wage
บูมแฮร์เหมือนปรับกล้องใหม่นะกล้องไม่เหมือนเมื่อวานเอาหมุน
as well.
กล้องเมื่อวานกล้องจะแบบฟ้าๆกว่านี้นะอันนี้เหมือนเปลี่ยนกล้องใหม่นะหล่อขึ้นนะผมว่า
Benjamin's Prismatic
เอา
Pipeline
เรื่องนะ
rolls it though, and also gets a Sorcerer Crown.
กล้องใหม่นะ
Don't think so. I mean,
He could go Sorks
like
instead
with
of the
the
Dominators.
Mumu, yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking that could be a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's all about scouting around and just trying to see what's uncontested right now. I mean,
เอาหมุน
if Preston clearly is angling toward the Sorks, he has the. You might have a really hard time.
Coco picked Enforcer's snap pick.
Yeah.
So I know we were saying it was an opportunity with the
โอ้
Mercy.
ตายอินฟอร์สเอ้าอะไรเนี่ยทำไมมันหมุนอ่ะทำไมมันหมุนอ่ะ
And that is going to be what he goes for.
It is so necessary to have the Enforcer emblem as well, because you actually don't have the option to hit the Prismatic without it, because you only have 7 Enforcer champions. So the fact that you've got the emblems, you're playing in Warwick, you might be able to get more gold.
โหพี่คนนี้เล่นง่ายจัดเลยเลนโค
Coco
โค่อะ
is generating off of just maintaining a win streak as well.
Level
The
7.
economy is great. You're going to have that Enforcer immediately.
Trying
So you
to
just have to find Caitlyn now, and that's a different story.
Well,
But you know,
truth be told, you know, the Caitlyn is clearly vital to be able to find success, but there are a lot of variations of the composition that even if you are playing around the 6 Enforcer and putting strong unit quality in, you kind of have this Maddie to lock in a lot of your damage on stage 3 and 4.
พี่เลนโคโค่ฟิลเหมือนเล่นห้องปูแล้วนะเงินเยอะจัด
In the Warwick encounter in general, if you are the one that's playing from ahead, if you are the one that is snowballing, you're in control of the lobby.
Yeah, single target so impressive here in the early game for Lakoko. So huge stabilization, now having a good
แต่ยังเป็น
front line.
4
Hitting the
4อยู่นะ
echo early also just as a great unit. So actually in a great spot.
Going up, Boomhay with that gold collector. Was expecting to see Ezreal from there.
โอ้บูมแฮร์เหมือนจะเล่น
exactly the
Academy
Ezreal
นะ
items you see most commonly. Ginsu not your favorite, but there's still a lot of damage with IE and collector.
There's just no front line, nothing is upgraded. This is a full 1-star board, and this is kind of the best description of the Warwick encounter in general, right? It's a feast or famine sort of game. Those who are on top are
Boomhay.
upgraded and they're snowballing, and Boomhay at this point, without any upgrades, is not going to be farming additional gold, putting him further and further
จะไปจบบอร์ดแล้วผมว่า แต่บูมแฮร์
Well,
ทำกุน
I mean,
ซู
look at the massive loss that
อาจจะไปจบ
Lakoko
ทวิส
just
ก็ได้นะ
delivered to him. It's
กุนซู
gonna be
ไอ
tough
อี
to recover from that, but I like
Go
that you
collector
at least are
ไม่
able
รว
to
มกันนะ
play within the academy tree, like the IE does
ผ
fit
ม
that
ว่ากุน
role.
ซู
Yeah, I mean,
ถ้า
look
เล่น
at this
Academy
Legion
ก็อาจจะไม่ไหว
on
ปะ
full Chem Baron setup during the Warwick encounter.
So
Very
risky.
risky, but he's not going to be very contested on Lost Streak because of it. So we'll see if he can actually turn that around, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, is this looking to actually play around the Visionary, or is it looking to play around Silco? He has no mana generating items. I don't know exactly what he picked up from this carousel. The other tier, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, you're looking for mana generation, right? So I guess that's not, that in of itself is not going to be the tell. But it could be a Visionary Heimer game, which we've seen him pilot so many times in the Golden Spatula. It was the crux of his win as the regional champion of the Americas. Another player I wanted to call out that we saw at the carousel was Liluo, who has still not used the double champion duplicators. Looks like he's angling toward the ambusher line, which is traditionally a win-out line. The question is, can you win out with a normal win-out line when everybody else
ที่บูมไอเทมหน้าหนูท่อมาก
Want to call out the win condition that
ใช่ครับ แต่ว่าเขาตั้งบอร์ดเป็น
Only
Academy มาก่อน
Maddies away for Maddie 4
I want
star.
to see your notes. Did you find this out?
Yeah, I have it.
แต่หนูผมว่าถ้าคอมมิตไปเล่นหนูจริงอาจจะ
But if Coco can actually stay winning,
ตาม
like,
คนอื่น
you
ยากหรือเปล่า
can hit the Maddie 4 naturally on like end of stage 5, I think.
I think it's. I believe it's end of stage 6. I think.
Still, but it can happen.
It can happen.
แต่ถ้าเล่นเอาอันดับที่ดีที่สุดก็คงต้องเล่นหนูแล้วนะ
You're saying there's a chance.
Yes. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a Maddie, there's a
กลางๆวะ
There's also a way.
ไม่ได้แบบ
Okay, so this was way
Nah,
that we were talking about before.
แพ้ชนะ
Cash out. So we
Yeah, he already cashed.
we did take the cash out
Yeah.
before, right? Okay. So we've taken one cash and now
พี่คนนี้เหมือนจะไปเล่น
continuing the loss, have 2 additional
ให้เมิร์ม
losses
ได้วะ
after that. Oh man, this
Yeah, I'm not sure where we go.
this feels like a very, very difficult game for Wei Iverson to pilot from this position.
Yeah, because the items are saying Visionary or Silco, right? Of course, kind of feels more
บิดเทียม
Visionary.
กลับมาแล้วครับทำการเปิดเทรด
How are we actually getting there?
เยอะมาก
in this stage? I mean, we have
อาจจะไปเล่น
but not
ซิล
much
โก้
more
แล้วเหรอ
going on
ตอนนี้มี
for the
อีลิส
Warwick.
แพ้แล้ว
A lot
นะ
of other players due to the Warwick.
I mean, he has.
อู้ของแซมบูบาแบบ
I see that he had.
อาจจะมีภาพได้เห็นเล่น
So actually, I
ไฮ
didn't see
เมอ
that
ร์นะ
exactly.
อาจจะเขาอาจจะเล่นไฮเมอร์ก็ได้นะ
The XP.
Okay.
ทำบู
Vinta
บัฟ
is
มาครับ
going to go towards this Dominator line, though. As of right now, you've got the Black Rose teched in, as well as just the Emissary from
วินส
Nami.
ตีกลับมาได้ครับ
And
สำหรับ
it's
พี่
gonna
บิด
be
เทียมนะ
good enough to be able to
ผมว่าเขาไปไฮเมอร์เว้ย
Yeah, and good enough for the win streak here.
แต่ก็ต้องดูด้วยว่าฮิตอะไรอ่ะ แต่ว่าไอเทมมัน
Find the
บู
elites
บัฟอ่ะ
this early into the game, giving them that strong power that he actually needed. And now we were talking just about this Nakara. Huge possibilities. He can go Nominator, he can go into the Sark line, so anything is possible still. Black Rose is what makes more sense.
I do think that the Dominators is a little bit easier because you did just
Smish.
impressive in with that Sorcerer Emblem.
ไททัน
I think
แสง
you have to assume that
2 of them, yeah, with the Stark Emblem. Yeah, you're right.
So I think it's just, oh, I didn't even realize there were 2 players that have it. So I think it's so difficult to just opt into something that you know is already contested by 2 people.
Also, Blazing Soul, pretty good at when you're playing around the Dominators, getting the additional attack speed procced onto your.
พี่คนนี้เซฟเลือดได้เยอะมากนะ ขนาดไซล่าแค่2 ดาวขนาดไซล่า2 ดาวตัวเดียว
Play a bit more on the Cassiopeia, so I don't know if maybe there's
มี
very
เรนาต้า
Is it a Heimer Black
ใส่มาแบบ
Rose?
ซุ่
Are
ม
we back, baby?
Oh man, this is patch 1 again, isn't it?
We're so back.
Okay.
แต่คือด้วยความที่มันเป็นซ็อกเซอร์อะนะ
Iverson and it's very
โอ้
close
ตร
to
งนี้
93, but didn't
อัน
find a
นี้
single copy of
ไม่
Heimer
เจอ
here.
ไฮเมอร์เลยครับ
This is the tier
ผมว่าสปอร์ตพี่คนนี้ไม่ไหวนะ คัมแบ็ก
the neutral
ไม่น่าได้นะ
Tiered no swords, so you can't even
เพราะว่าเป็นห้อง Warwick
go
ด้วยนะ
Shojin and pray. I mean, it's really just. It's a
ห้อย
very
เทียร์ไว้
tough spot. He's still
น่าจะ
losing.
รอ
I
ทำบู
don't
บัฟให้ไฮเมอร์
see
ตอนนี้มัน
winning
ก็โล
against
8 ไม่เจอไฮ
Bumei.
เมอร์
Maybe
ทักตัว
Bumei with the unupgraded backline and this is
ทำไมพี่บูมแกถึงไม่เลือกทิซาน่ารีโหลดหรือมีคนเล่น ผมว่าเขาไม่เจอทิซาน่าตั้งแต่แรก เพราะว่าทิซาน่ารีโหลดอ่ะต้องเล่นตั้งแต่แรก แล้วก็มันต้องเก็บสติกมาตั้งแต่แรกอะไรเงี้ย
He needs to try to find a perfect element here. Maybe try to
คือกว่าเราจะเลี้ยวมาเข้าทิซาน่าตอนแบบเวล6อย่างเงี้ยมันเราไม่สามารถทำได้ เพราะว่าทิซาน่าเป็นตัวที่ต้องการเก็บสแต็กมาตั้งแต่เริ่มครับ
There's gonna be gold.
gold.
Maybe reinforcement. Find
Betrayal?
Heimer. There's an angle.
betrayal for Look Up.
Betrayal.
This is Boomhay who's playing around that Ezreal that we saw before. Nothing.
เพราะว่าจริงๆบูมแฮก็อยากเล่นทิซาน่านั่นแหละแค่แต่ว่ามันแบบเราจะโลหาตั้งแต่แรกเลยมันก็ไม่ได้
Finds the Jace. I mean,
แล้วถ้ามันไม่มาเลยก็อาจจะแบบ
Could
it's a
you
high
imagine
quality.
if?
It's a
But
high
Sim.
quality unit, right?
what if you had high rolled the Caitlyn?
Yeah, which I mean, I think that's
That's
one of
what
the
he's looking
reasons.
บอท
you
อามู
definitely
มู
get
เมื่อกี้น่าจะเล่น
to, like, you know, knowing
น่า
that
จะเล่น
there's
ไอ้นี่
a
นะครับ
out
เล่น
there.
เตียวโก้นะ
This is going to be Glass Cannon, I believe, coming in from Wei Iverson. Makes a lot of sense if you
ผ
have.
มว่าพี่คนนี้ไม่น่าคัมแบ็กได้แล้วนะ
Problem is we don't have all the units.
เงิน
We are just
เงิน
one Rennie
สาม
off, though, from Rennie 3. So Wei Iverson just
หาไฮเมอร์2ตรงนี้ยังยากเลยครับ
If he had 20 more gold, I feel like this spot would feel way easier to bail himself out of. But right now, it's looking disastrous.
ห้องโปรลูสติก
the famous jail of level 8. You have to roll. There's no other possibility.
พี่ดับเบิลตอนนี้ไม่รู้ว่าจะเล่นบอร์ดอะไรนะ
From the Warwick.
ฟิลเหมือนจะเล่น
Now going up against Dog.
Conqueror หรือว่า
Going two on the back.
อิมิสลี่หรืออะไรสักอย่างอะมันเป็นลายแบบ
Trying to hold on,
มัน
but
เป็นลายที่ไปแบบ
Rennie 3 comes
4
through.
วิชั่นอะไรอย่างงี้ป่ะเอ้ยไม่ใช่4 วิชั่น
Damages
4 ฟอร์มอะไรอย่างงี้ป่ะ
Don't have the damage to
มี
capitalize
เจสอยู่บนบอร์ด
too. Morgana
มี
Warwick's not
ทิ
gonna
ซาน่า
fight
อยู่บนบอร์ด
that Renata, and
มีนามิอยู่บนบอร์ด
it's not the worst. He needs the
เพราะว่าพี่ดับเบิลอาจจะแบบเล็งเล่น
realistically, I mean,
อิมิส
we're
ลี่
looking at trying to outlive
อะไรทุกอย่าง
as the
อิมิสลี่ฟอร์มสวอปอะไร
We
เงี้ย
did find one Heimer. We're still missing a blue.
เอสเดียวรีโหลดได้เปล่า
Off the Rennie.
เดี๋ยวต้องลองดูครับ
We're able to get our items on there now at least. We're very close to spiking. We are very close.
Thinking about changing items here. Maybe to the.
ถ้าเอสเดียวรีโหลดก็อาจจะไปบอร์ด Academy ปกติแหละ
Yeah, no goal here, and actually 25 HP, so he should.
บูมแฮมมาเป็นบอร์ด Emissary ครับ Emissary ขอกี่ครับ
Carousel, maybe there's Rennie waiting there.
What's the out? Rennie on carousel
tier.
or
Rennie
Heimer
with
with
tier.
tier, and then a Heimer in the shop, so you 2-star it.
Exactly.
Something there.
Lilu on the other side. Not sure if you use the duplicators, but we are seeing this is the ambusher setup coming.
มองว่าเป็น3คอมแบทก็อาจจะไหวอยู่นะสเตนนี้ขอกี่2 ดาว แต่อาจจะเหนื่อยอยู่ครับเล่นเซฟคะแนนได้อยู่นะผมว่าแต่เอาท็อป4ก็อาจจะยากพอสมควร
with a tier.
Lamina, you probably just take the tier, I imagine.
You have to, right? I mean, you just need items.
it-
Oh, Malzahar.
Oh,
He's gonna try and just go
okay.
1-star Malzahar instead.
Hey.
I mean, it replaces the Morgana one on his board.
It does. That's a pretty good upgrade.
Yeah.
Does it save him? Not really.
Yeah, it feels really hard. I mean,
Let me hope.
I will say in defense of Weijin Iverson, Weijin is one of the best players, actually the best player in the Americas at
เพราะว่าตอนนี้พี่เลสโคโค่ยังไงก็แบบชิลปะเฮ้ยแต่ว่าเขาแพ้มา2 ว่ะ
2 games in a row. And so if there's anyone that you can trust in to take an 8th place because it's a hard game to play.
What's the name of that stat, Gangly?
พี่คนนี้ครับ
Like the
Yeah,
bounce rate?
resilient.
5 ซ็อก 4 Emissary เดี๋ยวขึ้นเวล 9 ลง
If
6
there's
ซ็อก
anyone I believe in to
แมงมุม
bounce back
2 ดาว
after a bad 8th, it's
ถือ
Weijin.
ของใส่ตาซ็อกยืนหลัง สบายๆแล้วสเตนนี้ขึ้น 9 ได้จะได้นะ ขึ้น 9 ลงโซอี้เบิ่ม
Now, Situren, the player who's also contesting or a pressed event here with the plus
วันนี้
1 of
hit
course,
Smith
and
แล้ว
Lilu already with the Smith, so
He just
Smith-
found it. He's hit his cap now. 4 ambusher, doesn't have the jinx, which is okay. He's level 8 now as well, though, which is very nice. So it's going to be a lot easier for him to find that high end. And having the Radiant Titans is quite nice. You have double survivability on the Smeech, and then you have the ramp up as he's able to
โดน
get,
เกียร์นะโดนล้วง
get those stacks and try and 1v9 the fight. Looks like it's going to be enough to take this fight over Satoran.
I mean, it's huge. With the Titans, with the Radiant Titans, so much healing. Maybe not the best to burst in the start of the game, but actually this is exactly what you want him to do. Just start cleaning up slowly, and then you should win the fight.
Weijin Iverson lost. That last fight is going to go out in 8th place here.
ขู่แล้วได้ลัดแชนแบบ
Anomaly as Lilo
Last
picks
chance.
up the last chance.
Massive for the Smeech. It's gonna be
ได้ลัดแชนแบบไวจัดอะ
this unit, and it's still
แบบ
gonna
แทบไม่ได้โลอะไรเยอะอะ
up on that Titans plus all that Omni Vamp is just absolutely insane. It's
Echo
perfect.
2 found as well. So 2 primary spikes found on the Smeech 3.
ดับเบิลมาเป็น4 Emissary 4 ฟอร์มครับ
To try and go level 9, try and find that jinx and hit that the
แต่ว่า
Ooh, dramatic
Swen ยืนหลัง
entrance on a Garen here.
I just want to
Item 3
recognize,
ชิ้น Item เวท
double still with the 2 duplicators, so he's just saving them
for next game.
for next.
But I know, I understand why though, because he really wants to get this
แต่มีภาพฮิต
Swain.
Yeah.
Double use it to
มีภาพฮิตเจส2 ดาวอยู่นะ ไม่รู้ว่าจะไหวเปล่า
So he now
Oh, he's
that-
getting
Ah,
them
it
from
could be.
Warwick.
It's the Warwick one.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right, right.
Warwick.
He's got
So
2 new ones
great
that he
tempo.
told us to do.
Yeah.
Wow,
I was like, I'm having deja vu. I was like, I saw him use those. I'm
Do
so
it again. But yeah, no, that's a great catch. The Warwick has a chance to actually drop champion duplicators.
โอ้มีตา
as
Dominator ให้แมงมุมด้วยว่ะ
so
Bintum found
Bittiam
an
ว่ะ
absurd amount of tiers this game. We have 2 Shojins and a blue buff, which I mean is pretty nice for this Dominator, and you have the Dominator
แต่ว่า
plus
ซิล
one
โก้
on the Elise backline carry. This is a tech that again we've seen since the
โอ้
start
พี่เว
of
ส
this
โคโค่
patch.
ไม่ไหวเลยครับ พี่เวส
Traditionally,
โคโค่
you've had
นี่
that Elise in
เงิน
the
หมดแล้วนะ
front line, but now Bintum is saying I'm going to opt to just burst them down, have
พี่บุ๋มแกหยิบ
damage threats in the backline.
Yeah,
Power
the
Shield ไปสแคป
Sword
หรอ
line, the,
Bruiser line.
เขาเล่น Emissary อ่ะพี่บุ๋ม
Doesn't matter what
บุ๋ม
line
บุ๋ม
we're
เขาเล่น
on,
Emissary
best
นะ
carry is Elise. We don't need Silco. We don't need Zoe. We need Elise.
We don't even have Form Swapper in, right? This is just an Elise who's playing with a Black Rose. You get a little bit more frontline there. I will say I'm kind of surprised that we actually saw this Amumu 3 hanging on for the entire game. And Bintum on a 2-win streak going into stage 5. Lobby HP is really tight. Nothing is set in stone. I think Prestivan is pretty much a lock for probably a top 5, top 6. But anything can happen right now.
is it worthwhile though to have the automata enabled because you have the Watcher synergy plus you've got automata between the Mumu and
ตัวนี้ถ้าซิลโก้มัน2 ดาวมันใส่โชจินบูบาบได้เลยปะ ผมว่ามันน่าจะใส่โชจินบูบับได้เลยนะ
I don't think Amumu 3 is going to hold up as that strong of a tank going into stage 5. So I think at this point, Bintum's saying, I have so much gold. I've got 90 gold waiting in the bank. I need to go level 9. I've got enough damage. Well, what else can I throw in my front line?
Sell it, I guess.
We might even see like the front line Jace or something coming in from Bintum to get form swapper plus a little bit more front line.
ผมว่าบูมแฮไม่น่ารอดแล้วอะ
Looking at maybe 3-star forecast as well. Boomhay is in a lot of danger. He's a little too low that I'm not confident he makes it with these.
แต่การเล่นก็ถึงอยู่การเล่นมัน2วอร์มอกอะแล้วมันมีไอเนี่ยอักเมนวอร์มอกอะเว้ยได้อยู่นะชนะบอลนี้ได้ผมว่าอาจจะไม่เจ็ดนะอาจจะได้อยู่นะแต่ว่าขึ้นก้าวยากว่ะขึ้นก้าวยากมากเลยอะ
I think Bintum's going to level here, I imagine. It looks like it is on cadence. We'll see him on the right-hand side. Both he and Prestivant leveling up to 9, it seems. So we have 2 players trying to spike right now. Bintum able to level and still have a decent.
แต่ผมว่าพี่บูมแฮโดนสมิธว่ะวนไปเจอสมิธอยู่ดีว่ะอันนี้เวล9ไม่เจออะไรนะครับ6ซ็อก4ฟอร์มต้องรอคนอื่นตายก่อนอันนี้จะเอาแคสซิโอเปีย3 ดาวด้วยวะโอ้ยนี่เจส2นะครับพี่ดับเบิลจากที่ตอนแรกจะไม่รอดแต่มีเจส2มาจะรอดหรือเปล่าตรงนี้โอ้มันไหลเข้ามาแบบชิลจัดเลยเหมือนไม่มีแทงเลยวะเรียบร้อยบูมแฮแข่งไว้เดี๋ยวบูมแฮแพ้เหรอเลือด4บูมแฮเลือด4เขากี่3ภาพเปลี่ยนมาไหมล่ะเขากี่3เวล8เลยเหรอเขากี่3เวล8เลยเหรอ
I'm sorry that Dragon Soul Maddie was disgusting
Oh yeah
Oh my god
Whoa.
Normally, Maddie is not a unit that you know the anomalies that will be ideal because you don't do Maddie 3. Maybe with Mad Scientist in a moment. And actually makes sense because normally she like hits and then hits a little on the back. So procs the Dragon Soul in a very effective way.
Right. Once she kills one unit, she'll retarget her ultimate to another
วาย2ตัวครับ
She wants to be able to get as much value out of her ult.
วาย2ตัว
As many units as possible. Look at a single shot just did half of that unit.
ทุบอย่างเดียวครับเฮ้ยแต่เขาขายไอ้นี่ว่ะเขาขายแมดดี้ว่ะ
It's just so much AD. When you finally get the cast, it just starts wiping the board. So able to even get.
โอ้ไม่ฆ่าไม่ตายครับฆ่าสมิธไม่ตายมันลัดแชนอ่ะมันลัดแชนแล้วดิ
You might call this one slow Maddie, right?
นมอรี่อะไรโหดเกินบูมแฮไปแล้วที่ได้ที่6นะบวก3
And it's important to recognize that because actually that Maddie should be the counter for the Smith to actually burst him down, and she couldn't. So this Smith might be the strongest that we have so far.
But Lakoko still could actually find the Caitlyn.She's not here yet.
แต่มันเป็นห้องวอลเวียมันคัมแบ็กยากอยู่แล้ว
The Maddie did not get the cast on the Smeech. The auto attack came through, but the cast hit the backline before swapping back to Smeech. So maybe if it lines up perfectly, the cast goes through, it's enough to actually get there.
That will be the chance. Now Prestivant once again 6
มา ตรงนี้มีหมวด2 ดาวครับหมวด2 ดาว
He found the Mordekaiser too.
Oh, and look at the item. I mean, this is best in
สายตาซอก
can't get any better
ไอเทมอย่างดีแข่งกี่รอบอะครับแข่งวันนี้มันแข่งถึงเกมที่13ครับวันนี้แข่ง7 เกมครับอันนี้คือเกมที่2ครับของวันนี้ก็คือเกมที่เท่าไหร่วะ8อันนี้คือเกมที่8ครับ
Oh, but he's got enough time, and now Maddie's too slow on the cast. She does take him out.
อุ้ยหมด2
Wow.
So Prestivant does find the big upgrade.
เดี๋ยวพี่บูมท็อป 4-5 เกมติดโชว์ขอให้เป็นอย่างนั้นครับเมื่อวานพี่บูมเอาเรื่องนะเมื่อวานบูมแฮแบบเอาเรื่องจัดนะแต่วันนี้ยังไม่แปลงร่างเดี๋ยวต้องรอแปลงร่างก่อน
On the right for Lilu.
These are the 2 win streakers. Keep in mind, Sadoran on a 5-win streak, Lilua on a 6-win streak. Both these players vying and looking
ขอบ
like
คุณมากครับไม่เป็นไรครับ
3.
ทุกคนวันนี้เรามีแจกเสื้ออยู่นะใครที่เข้ามารอแจกเสื้อได้ครับ
This is definitely looking like one, as you're saying. A locked in top 3 might just be enough to
3 ทุ่ม
escape
นะ
the jaws of that bottom 8.
So I should be on the right. There's the Mordekaiser, and on the left, Cituren also with the possibility
3 ทุ่มครึ่ง 3 ทุ่มครึ่ง
out against.
เดี๋ยวหลังจบเกมนี้เขาจะมีสปอยเซต14ด้วยนะ
See that Mordekaiser finally just
อุ้ยสมิธเข้าไปล้วงครับตรงนี้
the built-in Omni
เหลือหมอดอยู่หมอดทุบตายไหมเนี่ย
Smeech is still up. It's just a matter of if Kenny takes it down, and Mord's no longer casting, so this should just be.
หมอดมันทุบไม่ตายอ่ะ
Wow, the timing there. Smeech not going on to the Mordekaiser until after the Mordekaiser ult wore off means that Smeech is able to stay alive without any threat, and because of that, Liluo maintains his win streak on the left-hand side. Satoran, I believe, took out Bintum in that fight, so Bintum, while still staying alive, only at 10 HP, and we have 3 players sitting on death's door going into the beginning of stage 6.
I think Lakoko has it.
แต่เราไม่เห็นบอดสมิธ
Like, you need
วินเอานานหรอ
the
ปะ
8 enforcer. Like there, where is it? You know, you have the enforcer crest on
เน
the
เวล
Smeech, which is
8 มี
fantastic.
เซวิก้า2 ดาว
Are holding 7 copies
แต่ยัง
of
ยัง
Vi.
ถือ
But
วาย
I
ไว้อยู่
still
ครับ
think that like the real big cap of this board is always 8 enforcer.
วาย 3 ดาวเวล 8 มีภาพไหม อุ้ย
Copies?
One more
อุ้ย
round.
ขาดตัวเดียว
I3,
Got some gold.
ขาดตัวเดียว
I3 could definitely do it.
Yeah, but he is on level 8.
Oh no.
จะเจอไหมอ่ะ
What else can we sell?
อุ้ย
Not
วอลวิก
a lot.
ขายว่ะ ขายซื้อวอลวิกว่ะ เอา
Oh, there's the
Fine,
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn.
That's a big
Two
deal,
Caitlyn.
actually.
ไม่ไหวแล้ว ต้องขายบอร์ดแล้วครับ
We're missing. What are we missing? Do we have Camille?
No,
Did
there's
we
no.
sell a Camille to roll? We
Ooh.
sold a
You
Camille
might
to
have.
roll.
I mean, if you're one off that Vi, I think the Vi.
เขาน่าจะโล8 เยอะมากเลยนะเนี่ย
But I
จริง
still
ๆ พี่
think
คนนี้เขารวยมากเลย
that
นะ
Caitlyn, like you're getting the enforcer. She's helping with the enforcer anyway.
โดนยกครับ
Oh, wow!
Where did that come from?
Oh, so Lilo actually had a support item and
Yeah,
reforged
third
it to get
augment.
the Zephyr.
Crazy.
That's
Really good tech
massive.
from Liluo. Be able to find the Zephyr on the Maddie in the last
Wow.
second. You see that board just explodes the ambushers. And Lakoko, 1 Vi off of I3 is going to take a bot 4.
Surprised us just as much as it surprised Lakoko there. I don't think he was ready for it at all.
แรง
That
จัด
is wild, though. That's actually so many eliminations. Lakoko, Bintum, and Prestaven all fall at the hands of our top 2 players in this lobby. Cituren and Lilo both find themselves with just continuing to like increase their lead on the competition right now.
เวอร์ชันอีลิสแม่งโหดกว่า
Draining
ออ
Supreme
ใส่
once
ให้หมอด
again.
ดีกว่า
The ambushers popping off another top 2 for this comp, and maybe even getting the top 1 here, as we haven't seen them fight in quite some time. You see the 7 streak and the 8 streak.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you're like the person in third. You're like, why am I playing them again? Can't they just play each other, please?
ทำไปเล่นไปบอร์ดซอกเซอร์จริงๆ มันสู้ไอ้นี่ได้อยู่นะผมว่า
Decent front line. A lot of his damage is
มัน
coming
สู้
in
มัน
through
สู้
this burst, but the ambushers
สู้
want
ส
to
มิธได้อยู่นะ
find
บอร์ดซอกเซอร์
So this is all going to come down to
มัน
the
เบิร์ส
target.
แป๊บเดียวสมิธ
How
ตายได้อยู่นะ
long does this Smeech get to ramp up?
Yeah.
You need to put your damage dealers in front of
ต้อง
the
มี
Smeech,
เล
or
อบอง
do you
2
want to
ครับ
put them on the opposite side to try and avoid it? In this fight, I don't think we've procced the last chance yet.
We have
Because of
not.
that,
Wow.
the ambushers once again able to take the fight.
But there was also a big walk back from Echo
เขาจะขึ้นเวล 10
onto
เงิน
the
60
back line, and so all of a sudden, you know,
พี่ชิ
LeBlanc
ทุ
is
เรน
actually around long enough to cast.
ขึ้นเวล 10 ลงตัว 6 บาท
So she's not adding in damage.
บวกเลอบอง
My concern is the Embesso is
Deal
essentially
ไหม
targeting the Smeech for most of that fight, and that's one of your major sources of damage. I think maybe the
มีการกระจายของกันเกิดขึ้นนะครับ
with the Embesso now
เพื่อไม่ให้สมิธมัน
at the
โดด
same
มา
time
โดด
because
มา
that
ฆ่า
was
นะ
tried a little bit too early.
Yeah.
But the
สมิธมันจะตีตัวที่ไม่ถือของ
Smeech, it was not really getting anything
นะครับ
done.
ตอนที่มันกระโดดมา
For Liluo, he's just not dying.
ขาดวายตัวเดียวเอง
Making the possibility for the
แต่ว่ามันก็ยากอยู่ดีครับ โลหาวายเวล 8
Positioning difference here, okay? I want to see where this Elise and the Embessa target. They are on similar sides. The LeBlanc does get Zephyr, so we aren't able to get that off.
Stuck on Garen.
We are stuck on the Garen.
เขาน่าจะโล8 แบบเยอะมากอ่ะ
Sides the Garen, and so that we can find our way.
เพราะว่าตอนแรกพี่คนนั้นเขาเล่นสบายจัดเลยนะ พี่ที่เล่น
All the
Enforcer
damage dealers are
There's the
very
proc.
healthy. Last chance is proc.
Yeah, it should be proc here.
He will fall. if
นี่
he
จะขึ้นเวล
doesn't
Best can
survive.
live. If she's still got the Edge of Night, she does not.
Close.
Oh my goodness.
อุ้ย
She does get the win. That is best case scenario.
บอร์ดซอกเซอร์นะแต่ว่า
Ever
แอมเบซ่าเอาให้
cast on Smeech at the end
สวัสดีครับ
there
สุดหล่อสวัสดีครับ
and
สวัสดีพี่ไมนัทครับ
Smeech
Wow.
almost holds on for the rest of that.
We're sitting on LeBlanc one and Jinx one, so keep that in mind. See if we can pick up the LeBlanc off the carousel. Looks like Liluo will deny that instead to get a Runaan's Hurricane, but he wants to make sure that Zitoran doesn't get that LeBlanc too. If you can find that, all of a sudden your burst is amplified so much more, and it'll be way easier to find that burst onto the key unit.
But Cituren just went level 10, or is level
เวล 10 แล้ว
and is definitely starting to roll
ขาดเลบองอีกตัวเดียว
bigger pairs. See if you can actually finish one of those off.
2 LeBlancs being held on the side of Liluo, 1 Jinx being held on the side of Satoran.
And the Zephyr will be very important here.
Yep.
The change in the last second here for Liluo. Go for center.
I think he got it.
I think it's 50-50 for Elise or
you're
Soy.
right.
If it goes on Zoe, that's really good for Satoran.
โอ้โดนโยกว่ะ
It's massive.
So much burst damage being lost out there. Watch this Smeech on the right hand side.
แบบนี้ต้องแบบสับเกรียนๆหน่อยนะ ไม่นัดมาด้วย วันนี้เรามีแจกเสื้อนะ อยู่รอลุ้นรับเสื้อได้นะครับ
Oh, this Meech is so low.
There's still multiple
There's the
damage, right?
proc. The CC.
อุ้ยเอมเบซ่ามัน
just the right time.
Oh, but
เอมเบซ่ามันเกรียนสมิธอะดิ
no way,
Ambessa
the
taking it.
Ambessa.
We saw the proc and immediately Mbessa picks up the Smeech so he can't Omni-Vamp and he takes so much damage from the last stand.
คน
Smeech.
ต่างถือ คนหนึงถือจิ้ง2 ตัวคนหนึงถือเลบอง2 ตัว
No, where can they go from here? I mean, look at how many Blancs and Jinxes are getting held still at this point as well.
Liluo is 54 gold. So Liluo is actually opting to play this very slow, leveraging the HP lead that he's gained over the last few rounds.
He wants level 10.
If he can make it to the next neutral round, he'll be able to go level 10, or if he wants to guarantee a roll down, deny the LeBlanc 2, he'll have that as an option as well. 2 Jinxes have been taken out of the pool, so both players trying to play spoiler.
Zephyr on the Soy.
Goes on Zoe.
Yep,
Okay,
this
it's a
time.
lot better.
โซอี้โดนยก
this time.
แต่เมื่อกี้ขนาดแมมมุมโดนยกยังแบบไม่ไหวเลยว่ะ
Blast from the Elise just shotguns into the Smeech, but he does not proc yet. And he's able to get away and start sustaining. Finally, that last chance is going to go through. There's a lot alive.
So early.
ไม่ไหวนะดาเมจไม่พอ
Looks like a pretty big win this time
ดีงับ
around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ding
the
up.
Zephyr has to be in a special
อยู่รอแจกเสื้อก่อนนะครับ
or
ทุกคน
has a chance to take the win.
3 ทุ่มครึ่งนะ
Item remover from the neutral round right now,
นี่
which means that Liluo is
เสื้อ
going to be able to cheese
Arcane
position, have your units
น้องหยด
spread out
น้ำ
like
into
that,
the
and
Arcane
try and
เห็นปะ
guarantee. The question is, how many units do you actually have that you can put in the backline that won't grief your positioning?
ตรงนี้เป็นแบบ
I would argue at the
สกี
very
ลื่น
least, the Camille, maybe the Scar, and the Loris
Yeah.
can be thrown there too.
It could be dangerous.
บอกเลยว่า exclusive มากนะเอาไปขายต่อตัวละ 2,000 นะครับ วงในเขาบอกมา รอเล่น
He's gonna go level 10.
อย่าไปขายต่อนะ
At level 10
So you can
here.
just plus
Goes to
1
the
and
backliner.
put it on a backliner.
Yep,
There's a Jace.
30 gold as well. Mel,
Mel is perfect.
เฮ้ยมันต้องฮิตได้แล้วป้าเวล10 อ่ะ
Jinx 2
LeBlanc
picked up.
2.
อ้าวต่างคนต่างฮิต
Might be enough to deny the Jinx 2.
อ้าวเราเล่นด้วยนะเราเล่นเลอบองด้วย
This is probably
ล่า
as
สุด
strong as we're gonna get on the
Well,
side
there's
of
the pair.
Liluo.
นี่เอาเจ็ตออกใส่ไอ้นั่นได้ปะวอลวิก
Pick up here. The LeBlanc 2 added is actually the LeBlanc 2 even
หรือ
without
เจมันเก่งกว่ามันเอาเสามาล่อสมิธ
Keep in mind 3 items now on this rumble, so the burst damage is going to increase. Let's watch the Zephyr.
Here he goes once again, trying to hit the Elise. Just gonna corner. Only gonna get
wow.
Nami. Not gonna
No
get
Zephyr
anything with
value.
that.
I don't exactly know what happened there, but with
Thinks
the Nami.
Pikuran's very happy about that
Yeah.
though.
Look at the Smeech, still able to stay healthy for now, but it looks like that proc came through.
Rumble is out.
It's already gone, trying to heal up.
Elise cast right now.
Does not get enough.
No
That
dip.
is gonna be it. Torren gonna pick up the W.
Wow.
เนี่ยถึงขั้นถอดหูฟังอ่ะ
Felt like it got
พี่ชิทูเลนอ่ะ
less close and less close. Even with the Zephyr, I feel like that was such a big deal.
I'm not gonna lie, I am floored by the Zephyr play there. I don't exactly know why he wasn't able to get the remover there, but to me it felt like a crucial win condition for being able to beat that enemy.
แต่มันก็ห้องวอลวิกอ่ะเสียดายบูมแฮร์ว่ะ
Specifically, I think the Elise.
แต่จริงๆมันไปเล่นรีโล
on the
น
side of Satoran, and without
จริงๆมันน่าเล่นบอทน่าเล่นรีโลอยู่นะ
any of those core fights, it
โอ้
was
แต่ว่า
clear
ดู
for Liluo
แล้ว
that
ห้องมัน
And we saw it when
จะ
we-
สู้
when
บอท
we got the
พวกนี้
Elise,
ได้
there
ก็
was a chance of winning, and in the rest
ความ
of
ต่าง
the
มันเยอะมากเลยอะ
actually great
คนที่แบบ
position.
วินส
Not
ติ
to
ก
see the
มา
Zephyr once again
ห้องวอลวิก
on the game. Normally we don't see it.
Yeah, I
So
was gonna
to
say.
see it back, it's so fun. It brings me back, and this is the joy of TFT. Not only what we have right now, but also to celebrate what has been in the past, and obviously what's coming with some cyber action, maybe.
But what a smart choice to be able to get, okay, and maybe a little lucky that you ended up reforging it to get the Zephyr, but when there were so many strong backline carries, to be able to have that additional support item, it gave you a really great fighting chance against everybody.
It became the win con, right? Because the Smeech was continually getting focused by the Lee, so maybe there could have been a positioning difference, but realistically, stopping that damage was so impactful.
We talk about the reforge, you could say a Tyrell, but I would
โดน
actually
แซงแล้วอ่ะ
different
บูม
outs
แฮ
that we can get. I think it's a heads-up play from Liluo, recognizing that whatever support item he got originally wasn't enough, and maybe you find a Zeke's, you find a Banshees, you find a Zephyr, all of a sudden you're
เดี๋ยว
even
ข้าวอ่ะ
able
ทุ
to
กคน
There's a lot of different picks that can enable that ambusher's comp. So I think it's heads-up play from Liluo. Again, if you know
อ้าว
already,
ทำไมไม่ใส่คะแนนล่ะครับ
World Champion of Set 6, back again at the Arcane set, found a second
ไทยเบรกกันอยู่ปะ
Cow Open, and now with the second place finish, yeah, you didn't win the lobby, but I think you're feeling pretty good.
It's the plot armor buff from all of the storylines that have been drafted by her script writers.
โอ้บูมแฮโดนแซงเลย
Right.
Also to
น่าจะไปอยู่อันดับ
he was actually
ประมาณ
contested,
นี้
Supreme
ปะ
was against Prestiven that also had the
7-8
plus
9
one
อันนี้
work. So actually not the best spot for him, and he could perform. So actually that flexibility of playing again with the elites, then trying to see what the game's evil. He didn't even have the LeBlanc 2.
แต่ยังไม่ตกนะยังไม่ตก อันนี้เราคัดออกเขาคัดออก8 คน8 คนด้านล่างถูกไหม
I'm glad you brought up Prestiven because I
ก็คือ
forgot
คัด
there
ออก
were
ตรงนี้
6 other players in this lobby. We were playing on the Warwick encounter,
พี่บิดเทียมรอดปะวะ
which snowballed the game so fast. The effect of that, Wage and Iverson fell before the anomaly. 6 of the 8 players, they fell over a full stage before the last 2 players
พี่บิดเทียมไปไหนน่ะ
had a
บูมแฮ
full
อยู่อันดับ
level
6
1v1. And it goes to show the power of some of these encounters that it alters the way that you have to
ดิสโซฟ
play the game.
ดิสโซฟเอาจัดวันนี้ขึ้นมาอันดับ8ครับ
Viral is presented from you, or when you have a really cool angle, like Liluo, who
สั่งแรงมากินยัง
playing for that win out, recognizing that
กินไปตอน
this is still enough
กินไปตอน
to
บ่ายๆอ่ะ
slingshot when
บ่ายๆเย็นๆอ่ะ
you can find
เดี๋ยวน่าจะกินอีกทีหลังสตรีมเสร็จเลยครับ
Standings, because this is where we make our very first cut of our
ไม่รู้จะกิน
competition.
อะไรด้วยประ
And
เด็นอะ
it is bonkers. We're sending out in our first top 8 today 2 previous
พี่บิดเทียมอยู่ไหนแล้วล่ะพี่บิดเทียม
My pickums are doomed.
I thought that first from double was going to do enough.
นี่ไงพี่บิดเทียมรอด
Safe, but the 7th was too little.
อุ้ยไตเติ้ลตกรอบแล้วว่ะทุกคน
I was thinking the same
แชมป์
thing.
เก่าเรา
We didn't even talk about that in the game because we said, oh, you know, with double getting that first place, like, it'll be okay. Like,
Yeah, we were
with
thinking
come
more
standings.
35, maybe 34 as the cutoff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
losing here, last representative for Latam for America Species here means
วันนี้เราแจก
Yeah,
เสื้อ
the
1 ตัว พรุ่งนี้แจก
the first,
3 ตัว
he bounced back like
Wow.
you would say, oh, he needs
พรุ่ง
to.
นี้รอบชิงแจก
It's not
3 ตัว
enough. The 7th was way too much at the start of the day.
Yeah, I don't actually know exactly what happened in the standings here. This feels like we must be sandwiched pretty tight here. Look, that's why.
There you go.
Five.
Tie breaks all the way up to 20th.
Tiebreaker.
So that's what, I mean, yeah.
6
no.
tied for 20th place, and double 61 is the one player of the 6 tied at 35 points who gets
ไทย
eliminated.
เบรกเหรอ
Heartbreaking
Citoren
แพ้ไทยเบรก
first saves him,
Wow.
coming from 27 points up there.
1 by 1 Zephyr. That is
Wow.
crazy. A lot of
อยากเล่นนะจริงๆผมอยากเล่นนะ
Pretty rough first day. Staying alive
ออก
right now in the
ออกไปกด
tournament.
เล่นสักตาได้ปะ
Prestiven and Spencer from the Americas representing us in the top 16, and a pretty nice
ดูแข่งแล้วแบบใจมันมานะ
We got APAC, we got CN, EMEA, and Americas all on the precipice of the top 8.
And on the first page, it's going to be Bio that stays on top, but we can really start to see
แต่ว่าบูมแฮก็อันดับไม่ได้ตกลงมาเยอะนะ ถ้าเกมหน้าได้ที่1อะไรเงี้ย มันก็คือคะแนนมันเหมือนมันไม่ได้เฉือนกันขนาดนั้นวะ
we lost 2.
แต่สุดท้ายวันเนี้ย
but we still
แม่งก็เล่น
have
เอา
two crown
8 คน
winners
ว่ะ
here with the possibility
ก็จะเอาไป
of second
Final Lobby
position
อ่ะ
from Lilo from the CN server, so it's making popping off, and they actually in the great position. They're the favorites to advance to day 3, but obviously a lot of games still to come. 7 games today.
And things really might start to shake up because when you look at that top 8 as well, you see Nandere actually taking 2 8th places back to back, as well as Boomhey taking 2 6th places back to back. And so it's not even that the players that are within our top 8 actually are maintaining a top 8 because they're continuing to do well. So much more action ahead of us as
Nice
we are going to
game.
take a short break. But when we come back,
Oh
we'll
no,
have limited
Titan
lobbies
got
and
eliminated.
start our next phase of our competition for day 2. Stay tuned.
โอเคครับ เดี๋ยวจะมีสปอย14แล้ว รอลุ้นเลย เล่นเลยแบ่งจอเล่นผมก็เล่นอยู่ แบ่งจอเล่นเลยเหรอ น่าจะตัวระเบิดนะ ย่อจอ YouTube เดี๋ยวจะมีอะไรให้โฟกัสหลายอย่างเกินเด็ วันนี้อยู่กันยาวๆอ่ะรอพักเบรกสักครู่นะครับไซเบอร์ซิตี้ เปิดเผยเซตใหม่ ถ่ายล็อบบี้พี่บูมอีกไหม เดี๋ยวต้องรอดูครับว่าเขาจะถ่ายอีกไหมนะ เหมือนเกมหน้ามันจะเหลืออีกแค่กี่ล็อบบี้เอง มันเกมหน้ามันก็เหลือแค่3ล็อบบี้เราก็มีสิทธิ์ได้ดูบูมอยู่นะ แต่ก็ไม่รู้ว่าเขาจะฉายเปล่า
Welcome back to the Into the Arcane Tactician's Crown. I'm Casanova, joined by Impetuous Panda, Alan ZQ, and Clement here on the desk now.
มันเหลือ3ล็อบบี้นะ
First two games,
รอบ
and
นี้
we had some rough eliminations.
Pretty crazy ones. We thought double was safe for sure at 35 points. All of a sudden, 6-way tiebreaker, and just hadn't done enough on day one to win that tiebreaker.
That has to definitely hurt, given that you are going on the last one. And it was looking pretty close, because we were all thinking 33, 34 at most, and then boom, 35 and being out on the day two. Brutal.
Looking at the top of the scoreboard, on the other hand, we do have 3 Western players and 2 EMEA players. I know you're going to be very happy about this up there. Meanwhile, following up with that is the 2 CM players, but a tale of 2 different stories. Nandita, the first place from yesterday, now taking 2-8, still within that top 8, but his stock's falling really off fast.
Well, we're going to be jumping into even more of that soon enough, but we've got another reveal from Cyber City.
มาแล้ว
This time for Zeri's origin, and she was revealed yesterday, so let's check out Exotech.
มา
Cyber City is crawling with different factions, all vying for power, territory, and in Exotech's case, patented bio upgrades and exo weaponware, unique items only their members can use. Exotech is one of the bigger traits in corporations.
อันนี้คือไอเทมแบบพิเศษเหรอ
item-bound traits. There'll be specific users
เป็นเทรดที่จะแจกไอเทมมันเหมือนอิงไอ้นี่เว้ยมันเหมือนอิงชาโดว์เว้ย
through the full arsenal,
มันคือ
including
Ink Shadow
repulsor lantern, which grants
Ink Shadow
defense
set 11
and shields while reflecting damage
อันนี้ได้แหละ
to
เกาะ
attackers.
อันนี้เป็นของไฟเตอร์
The flux capacitor, which charges up as you attack
อันนี้เป็นของ
until it
ชาร์จ
blasting
ยิง
your target.
ของ AD
There's also my personal favorite, Hyperfangs, which
อันนี้
grants AD
เป็น
an
เขี้ยว
auto ramp and releases shockwaves of damage.
เป็นช็อคเวฟเอ้า
All right.
เอาหมดแล้ว
We actually are starting to see some of those traits pan out. We saw the
หมดแล้วเหรอ
getting the images which looked so cool previously, but now we get to see special items once again.
I just love the term exotechies. I think it sounds so good. I'm ready for set 14.
Hey, I'm all for it when you get
Can you-
some extra items. We have now Academy when we're gonna have EXO, some more fun action, and we'll see if those items are randomized or they're always the same.
I really like those trait trees that let you customize with emblems. You get the special weapons, and then
มีอีก
everyone
ไหมเนี่ย
can figure out which is that +1 best on to kind of fit with those special items.
Yeah, trying to find the sneaky one because we saw one that was like an AD item with some extra shred. It was on actually some units were gonna get spoiled there. We saw Nefiri playing that in the front line, and I wonder if there will be some other, frontline bruisers or melee assassins that can actually really abuse it.
No melee assassins allowed anymore. Relax.
You don't like Smeech?
You're done speeching around here or what?
I have bad news for you, Alan. Next game's loaded up.
We're gonna have plenty of speech to go around.
Considering yesterday's play rate on the stats, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, the highest play rate while maintaining such a high average is pretty much, I don't want to say unmet,
หมด
because it is, but
เร็วเกิน
given a cash out comp, like the loss streak comp being that high, and players who might be just going into that, given how easy it's to force.
No, I think it's a great thing to kind of
อีกไม่กี่วันก็
out. What can you find when you're playing that loop?
อีกไม่กี่วันก็จะให้เล่นแล้วไม่ใช่เหรอ
The quick striker
ทำไมให้ดูน้อยจัง
going down a little bit, but other than that, Alan
หรือว่าอาจจะต้อง คงเป็นพรุ่งนี้ละมั้งที่เขาจะแบบ
cling on to when they're
เป็น
they don't have
โชว์เยอะๆอะ
2-1 and they're
น่าจะรอบไฟนอลแหละ
Oh, we've seen players lean towards some sort of farm swappers, given the line can be played either from the AD or AP after all those buffs to Elise, and AD items can go just towards the Jays. The main problem with the comp is you need to build two type of shreds if you try to go for the mixed type of damage. However, we've seen plenty of picks of arguments like Piercing Lotus, which solves that issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the form swappers, maybe the other issue sometimes when you are playing from behind is actually getting there. Since everyone's rolling for it, you're sort of kind of putting your hands in Mort Dog on your roll down to see if you can actually hit.
I mean, you can have just Mordok on the speed dial, right, Panda?
That's a special privilege that I think not many players have been able to accrue the last two sets.
I haven't been able to get through to him. I'm just putting that out there.
You've been put on hold, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, what are some of the other lines that we want to talk about here? Because, we had the ambushers popping off. We had visionaries starting to slow down, and that would have been another one that you'd maybe look at out of Chem Baron, but now it's been struggling, and maybe players are going to start to stray away.
I think especially Morgana visionaries, we saw a lot at EMEA regionals. You need to have much more specific conditions to play for it. You need to have the blue buff components ready from 2-1 onwards to guarantee the blue buff at stage 3. You need to have Morgana copies. There's a lot that has to go right, but when you're able to find the spot, yesterday the stats were insane. Only 5 games, small sample size, but 2.20 AVP, which is pretty damn insane actually. I'm hoping that some of the players who need
ขอ
to
ส่อง
go
ดู
first,
ช่องอื่น
if they see
ๆไป
some
ด้
of
วย
those conditions being met, maybe take that
Bên
risk
trên
for that
chắc là
roll
còn
down.
các vận động viên Việt
And
Nam
that
xem
on
là
top of
từ
how
17
Visionary
cho
were
đến 2.
contested, we've seen plenty of Heimer and Malzahar being across the boards contested, and Rani, Nunu, those units were taken off, and we've seen players like even Dish Soap go AFE because he couldn't just find that Heimer 2 to stabilize eventually of the argument such as strong as Ghost of the Friends Past, scaling that AP and HP for the Visionaries.
Yeah, what we've seen is that the tempo visionary line going straight 8 without the basis of that 3-star 1 cost, Morgana, just didn't work out very well. The other tempo line was actually a 5.6 AVP. Another line I'm really liking is actually going to be the Tristana line. We've actually seen this as being something of an America's special. They have the most played on that one, and it has a very, very high first place rate. So if you're gunning with it, you have the good spot, especially on stage 1. I think it's one of the higher options.
It was well liked in the Americas, and also sometimes they'll find the early Tristana 2, get the items, and then if they're not seeing enough Tristanas, instead push levels, put it on an Ezreal instead, and actually play around that for the mid to late game. And so there's options to go into the line when it looks really good, and options to bail out when it doesn't.
Do you guys know the Tristana tech? You can get a 3 triple shot on 1-4.
No. Yeah, you put 2 backlaners to the right. And
it only works with the double Amumu.
มันพักนานจัดเลยอะ
For that is you put the Tristana on A3 and then you have the Amumu on C4.
แล้วเรายิ่งสมาธิสั้นอยู่เดี๋ยวประเด็น นี่ห้องใครครับ
All right, well this will be the lobby
This
we're gonna
up.
jump into here. Couple of players who are at the top of the tables with Day6 still holding strong at 48 points.
ขออนุญาตส่องล็อบบี้อื่นได้ปะ
Quite a resurgence coming up to 41 points right now.
I'm curious about Nanda Day, player that his mental situation for the stage is going to be really interesting to analyze because comes
อยากดู
into
บูม
this
แฮ
game
ร์
with
ประเด็น
40
อะ
points,
ประเด็นคืออยากดูบูมแฮร์
one
เลย
trick player out of the entire field, 4 games of Ambusher, comes into this day, doesn't play any Ambusher, 8th into 8th. Does he try and go back to Ambusher? Does he force that comfort comp that he found so many great results on yesterday? Does he continue playing a more flex plan and turn things around regardless? That's my big question coming to this game 3.
We've seen that he's pretty much aware of the strongest lines to be linked towards, because a part of the ambushers, he had a
พักนานๆมีจบตีหนึ่ง
a small touch on the
นั่น
emissary
ดิ
so he's aware
วันนี้เล่นทั้ง
of
7
what
เก
lines
ม
are
อะ
good. He's not clear
ไม่น่า
only 1-3.
ไม่น่าได้ดูครบ
Being
อะ
one
ผ
of
ม
the
ว่านะวัน
strongest
นี้
comps, which we clearly have seen was an ambusher line.
On the other hand, we have Kian and Shizoran coming in exactly on the cut with 35 points. This does mean to go over, they probably have 3 or 4 points they need to make up in just 2
ผมน่าจะอยู่ถึงเกมที่ 5 ประมาณนั้นอะประมาณแบบ
for them. Again, the
ส่งบูมแฮร์เข้า
the most obvious answer right here. Looking for them to go into it.
What if it's exactly a bait you don't want to go into? Because given how many players needs to go for that second, third, or even first place, and there will be more contested smitches around.
And we don't want to get too comfortable either, even if they get a first, because we made that mistake last time and we lost some people we didn't expect. So definitely going to need 2 big games if you are at the very bottom of the tables to actually feel comfortable whatsoever.
And for Kian, he's a player who feels most comfortable playing rerolls. Yesterday, only played 1 game of reroll. We saw it on broadcast.
สวัสดีทุกคนนะสวัสดีทุกคนครับ
First, I think his AVP on Rebels was 6.5 across 3 games. I don't think it's something he's touching any longer, but I'm curious to see if he really tries to force into those rerolls, play more for his comfort, try and maximize those points in these remaining few games.
And he was one of our players we were looking at as a big 1st or 8th player, right, Clement? This was somebody who coming in, we expected to be able to swing for the fences, and now might be the time we really get to see that.
Now he's forced to go into that playstyle. Like going to top 4s is not really going to work out for him here. And in terms of like the Kian lines or like the first place lines we've seen a lot outside of the Smeech, I think it's of course kind of like the form swappers. That is the more macro cap that we can kind of expect a lot of these players going for.
We've seen the fair balance between in the best doing players going between the reroll lines and there's some sort of tempo into fast 8, fast 9 compositions like Daisy played 3 rerolls, 3 tempo comps, and it's been working out great for him so far.
We can talk about the most stable composition as well, and that's going to be
ที่สบู่
the Sork line. It's a very, very stable top 3, top 4 type of composition that I expect the top of this lobby to be.
พี่ไดซิกเนี่ยคะแนนเยอะจัดเลยนะ48คะแนน
Yeah, and plenty of these players, even top 5 is phenomenal. That's great points to just continue to rack up as you're making your way towards the end of this tournament.
Curious for Dishlip as well. Started off the day really hot with a 2nd and a 3rd in these first 2 games. Has a chance to continue moving forward with that great momentum. Played a lot of reroll regionals, mostly maybe off of that Vi encounter coming up so often in the North America Golden Spatula. But I'm curious to see if we see him still on reroll today or if he goes more with the 4-cost flex like yesterday.
Yeah, we've seen the Dishlip known for his great line recognition. Day 1 started for only 1 reroll and playing 5 tempo lines, going fast 8, which had 1 big on the way, but besides that, pretty good results overall.
I do want to point out someone that's on a hot streak, and that's going to be Lee Tu-Chuan, 8873 in terms of points, not placements.
Oh, yeah.
points. Sorry. In terms of points in his last 4 games, he's actually the most points out of just those past 4. And, you know, we expected him to be the carry for CN. Guan was kind of the breakthrough player, the new player on the block, but Lee Tu-Chuan holding the highest expectations. He was able to come back on compositions. I believe it was Smeech. As you expect, 2 Canberran games to get him back to this spot.
And for viewers at home, the mental math around cutoffs, we have 2 more games than a cutoff, and the cutoff for the end of the day tends to be 55 to 6 points. So you can already look at your favorite player, see how far he is from reaching that tally, and cross your fingers. Hopes he can maybe high roll this game 3 and have that positive momentum.
All right, well, we are going to be jumping into this game 3, starting off on experience board here. Don't see the anomaly or the encounter just yet.
It was not a Jin encounter. There was
it did look like a Jin encounter, didn't it, right? Experience standing in the middle.
วันนี้ไงโอเวอร์เลย์เดิมกันมาแล้วเนี่ย
There might be some players that are leaning towards more rerolls, more tempo. He's one of those players that day 1, he didn't touch any rerolls. He just played tempo, worked out decently. We'll see if he sticks to his guns, or perhaps the players have some sort of stats on each other already being fed by the teammates, by the observers. And if they know there is less of the rerolls in the lobby, they might go for it.
Alan, I have a question for you. If you have to go for a first place, does that change what champions you hold on stage 1?
Absolutely, you don't hold units like family because it's not a comp that you can win out without specific case like
เดินควงปืนน่ะ
perhaps Radiant Sterak.
เล่นจินน่ะ
Quite specific setup to being able to win out unless it's some sort of +1 family spot, but when you are playing it off like some sort of wandering trainer.
Here are some potential units you do hold when you're looking for win out, which would be
กิษณาครับ
for Canberran units. Of course, we don't have a 3
เอามายืนเก็บสแต็กไว้ก่อน
so Experian may be in a position for that.
One, I think, important note to make, Runon's is an academy.
Ooh, Samish pair.
Which completely opens up the line of going for an Ezreal reroll of category 5 potentially being an option as well. And Quick Strikers and Smeech on the menu here, it looks like.
Quick note on the academy item.
ไอเทมเป็นไงครับเนี่ย
Great item Hurricane, but on the another Death Cup, which is really bad.
ไม่มีคอมโพเนนต์เลยเหรอ
And under there, double
อ๋อ
speed.
ดาบธนู
Back in business, baby.
Also want to just quickly call out in
Oh.
like a Jin encounter.
มุ่งปะเนี่ย
A no encounter at all. We did not have a single one, which is why we didn't see
Oh,
anything at the
we
start.
see a
Working
cover.
up City.
For the Experion.
Yeah, it's not going to be Nanda today, unfortunately.
That would scare me. 180 stacks on stage 2? It
Yeah.
seems like he's
เขามีเลนาต้าด้วยเหรอ
There
เมื่อ
are
กี้
Smeeches though, so still looking pretty happy about that.
ก็
Let's
กด
not forget
ปะ
about
กดอยู่ดีปะ
defense in the lobby. It's
ยังไงก็กด
now
กลางอ่ะ
win. With, like, obviously the players could be saving the lobby given it's a gold. There could be some what doesn't kill you spot that players try to
มัน
defend.
เปิดได้นะ2-1ยังไงก็กดว่ะ
Nandada getting those 2 Smeeches is so much pressure on like the bottom of the lobby that needs
เขาน่าจะสเกลแหละว่าแบบ
that loose streak
มันมีใครที่จะเล่นรูสติกเหมือนกันไหมอะไรเงี้ยเราค่อยกดแต่ว่ายังไงก็กดผมว่านะ
So maybe needs to make a bit of a comeback to try and dodge that next big cutoff in 2 games time.
And you call
มาครับ
that
สายติดยานะ
great way to play for top 4s and just play
ส่วน
some general
พี่ข้างบนนี่เล่นเป็นคอนเคอร์เลอร์นะคอนเคอร์เลอร์แซมบัตเติร์ดมาครับให้อามูมู2 ดาวไปก่อนนะ ตรงนี้เปิดเป็น4คอนเคอร์เลอร์ตั้งแต่ต้นได้2-1นี่บอกเลยว่า
Pretty much looks like a 5 streak ball.
ถ้าวินสติกได้เอาเรื่องอยู่นะ
Darius to go with that Amumu with the BT on top.
I really like playing Conquerors. I know this patch, the buff was a little bit of a placebo, but just knowing the extra things you can play towards, having the Reforger, knowing all the loot tables, I feel like it's a tree that really rewards you for knowing the line well.
Very interesting idea from the Citorn. Going into the Torn plated without a single upgrade. Maybe he was just based on the
บอกพี่คนนี้ก็เก่งนะได้ SDL แพรมา SDL นี่
This spot looks horrendous.
คือเทรดเรเบลกับเทรดอะคาเดมี่อ่ะมันเป็นเทรดที่แบบเล่นต้นเกมเก่งมากแล้ว SDL มันเชื่อม2เทรดนี้พอดีนะ
You should be able to slingshot a win streak from there.
And the carousel could be very impactful. 2 hits there, Leona or Ezreal could really swing that, late swing.
แต่ว่าจะต้องเหนื่อยหน่อยเพราะว่า
that Kian is already playing defense since
มีคนเล่นคอนเคอร์เลอร์เหมือนกัน
he's being
อาจจะแย่งวินสติกกัน
against
ส่วนคนที่แย่งรูสติกก็แย่งรูสติกกัน
Unities on the stage 2 and it should pretty much guarantee him getting a loss against Experion, Griffin Experion that is trying to play that 5 loss streak on the stage 2.
อันนี้คือห้องอะไร
On
อ่ะ
the other hand, Dysik also gonna go for Daysik, sorry, also gonna be starting with the Rebel star. It's a really strong start, but looking to not slamming any items. Doesn't only have 2. Looking to still go for that lost streak, and I feel like the lost streak lobby line here is
เขาไม่ได้
so
เขาไม่ได้
contested.
I'm really curious.
ห้องอะไรวะ
To be jumping into this.
Maybe
Phải
higher
gian.
players see how far at the end of the day from reaching that.
ห้องธรรมดาห้องไม่มี encounter
He has stacks on Tristana. He can really snowball that as well for stage 3, and then have Ezreal come in stage 4 and do a lot of that damage.
พี่เดซิกครับ
Game 6, the very last
เล่น
game was a Tristana Ezreal duo.
เปิดเป็นรีเบลกับ
We've also
บอก
seen
ทิศนาไปก่อน
Ezreal with the Radiant Hurricane be able to carry.
ส่วน
all the
ดิ
way
โซฟนี่
around.
เล่นซอกครับ
The Academy version of Runans is another way to juice up just the 2-star Ezreal.
This carousel is going to be huge. Ezreal, Smeech, and Gangplank pairs across the board.
There's a GP.
There's the Gangplank, 1 out of 3.
That's why not too shabby with it here.
Experian is going to grab that Swain with the tier
They
and get
probably
that out
wants
of
a
there.
bow or the cloak, I would assume, if that's the line he's thinking about. There you go, the bow. Maybe might be Rage Blade Tristana. It'll depend on the most likely Krags drops, and then he'll determine if he wants to go towards reroll. If Tristana is contested, uncontested, he might be a bit too low HP to try to go into the 8. But if he drops like a bunch of like Hurricane type of
encounter จิน
stay there. But he's
จิน
in
ยืน
the shop, which
สง่า
might into leading
เด่นเลย
might be more of a rebel game.
เหมือนคนนี้จะเล่น
This Morgana could still.
มอร์กาน่า
Morgana reroll we talked about being a comp that
พี่แคลนจะเล่นมอร์กาน่าดีโล
really highly yesterday.
And his Starry Night, so I think the reroll angle is looking quite good for this position from Kian.
Oh, we're already starting things off hot. Double Runans onto this Ezreal.
โอ้ดับเบิลลูนานะครับ
One of the strongest traits in stage 2 because of that extra item on just the perfect synergy Ezreal already.
Oh, and this is one of Iron Bog's best spots. He loves to go early combat augment to play all full win streak into stage 4. And honestly, in the Golden Spatula, this is what we've seen twice. Getting those 4 costs on level 5, just the 2% chance. He was only 1 out of 2 players that was level 5 on 2-3.
That is a very interesting point, given combat arguments usually are not something that
บอก
you
พี่ไอรอน
see
บอกแม่ง
when you're trying to go for win streak. You usually
โหดนะ
look for the item
มี
component
เอมเบสซ่า
type
ด้วย
of arguments. However, mentorship is one of those rare cases where it actually provides so much power it might outpower the item kind of argument.
Especially the high roll via Bessa, right? Being able to get the mentorship value right away, which is a rare thing in stage 2. So just everything going to plan for Ironbog here. We can see a little dance accordingly.
And he's been able to use it 2 full win streak right now. He and Dish Soap are going to be our full streakers going into Krugs right now. We'll see if they run into each other and who would actually be able to pick up the win.
Does look like Ironbog to me, considering that he has an extra unit here.
They're fighting.
Face.
Will Magician GP be strong enough?
Magician frontline GP, Gangly smiling in the green room.
I have vague memories from set 1 with the Sonic GP.
But it doesn't look particularly close. It feels like Ironbog just so
น่าจะเป็นไอรอนบอกที่ได้วินสตรีกไป
anyone
นะ
else. Yeah, the mentorship just popping off.
So strong.
มินเทอร์ชิพทั้งบอร์ด
Sion on top of that, and Sion is just, it's pretty much 2-star at 2-cost unit on the stage 2.
And look at the loss streaks. Experian up against Kian. We'll see what the outcome is of that fight. Who has a 5 loss streak? Who has a Cambaran streak online for stage 3?
Kian was planning to grief that, so really expecting this to be an Experion win and really hurting his game plan for the game, but maybe he was able to get around it, and he was!
And
Able
that's
to
a good
take the
loss.
loss. That's a huge loss for Experion.
Yeah, it's, wow. Such a low HP, a high HP given the 5 loss streak.
Yep.
It's big dub for the Experion. Kian probably just pivoted into a bit stronger board, tried to kill a bit too many units instead of playing defense throughout the whole stage, which might punish him in the long run.
อ้าวเป็นกลซูว่ะ งี้มีภาพไปเล่นเรเบลนะ
Preserving HP for the start of stage 3 as
แต่
well.
กลซู
So continue to maximize or minimize the HP loss coming forward.
Last one to watch out for, Nandada, right? And we're not sure exactly how weak that board is, but coming out of Krugs, a little easier to try and power down your board and escape other lost streakers.
This feels like a very high cap lobby already. We have both of the Cambaran players on full loss streaks going forward into stage 3.
Some big Krugs here, the components for maybe a second Runan with the Anvil already.
I think Daisy, given the Rage Blade slam early, when there was no streak, he opted to go for the template. Leads into thinking that this kind of Rebel line, but going Rebel without necessarily a good start might be a bit off. However, the Hurricane mid-game throughout stage 3 might stabilize him enough where it will allow him to pivot later on.
Day2 actually, the best performing comp from him in the EMEA Golden Patch though was Academy. So I think this is a line he maybe is more comfortable on for stage 4.
Yeah, big roll down from Kian. Looking at those Starry Nights.
หัวหน้า2ใน30ตอนนี้
Nearly hits the Singe 3 already.
เปิดเชมครับ
Not much else as far as his comp goes. Not the biggest roll down ever, but still only on the 3 Morganas.
Yeah, I really would have liked to have that Singe just on 3-star, able to turn the corner into win streak from here. Taking that loss from Zyperion, taking that win, excuse me, really hurts his chances here. Remember, Kian 35 points. He needs to go all the way, basically double top finals to make it in.
Have to continue lose streaking ideally to have first pick probably on the carousel to guarantee the blue buff.
Experian got griefed here. Fernanda not able to continue.
โดนตัดไปครับ โดนตัดเชมครับ
Quite a bit.
The full sell from the player who is on patient study. Second augments coming around. Blazing Soul, immediate pickup. Most of these AP lines are happy to have just a really good generic combat augment for their backline carries. Uh-oh.
I mean,
time?
we've already +1 Sork. I
Oh.
doubt it's a trade tracker angle. And yeah, Experian picks up the Spirit Link. Great augment.
ตัดเมนเหรอ
Pair it up with the
นึกว่าจะหยิบ
Lost Streak
เพจ
augment.
แท็กเกอร์แต่ไม่ใช่หรอครับ
That he got griefed. So we'll see if he's gonna lean towards playing the Visionary lines. Because we have double tier. The defensive items are looking pretty okay. We have the half Gunblade as well. So yeah, might be Heimer angle.
Shitoran finally does get that Ezreal 2 online with the Academy +1, and just a reminder, the Academy itself does count as a
Academy +1 2 ลูนาน1 AE เดียว 2
strongest board we've seen so far.
We're seeing the impact of the sponsored item right away because of the Runons too. Maybe 3 players trying to go down this line in stage 4.
I'd love to see that Dev Capader on the set or Leona. Like on looks, it doesn't do much here, and set actually could output a bit more damage, get a bit more HP from just having the sponsored item.
Yeah, the other big thing, just having that Ezreal too. We saw the pair earlier on, but now that he's got the Leona upgrade, the Ezreal upgrade, this is the slingshot we were looking for from this board. And it's going to happen here on stage 3. It's going to be impossible to beat this board.
I mean, this board could even go in from this spot.
เยอะออยโคกิเอลิเลีย
Oh my god.
Not too bad.
Oh.
Not too bad.
Hey,
It's
that's
okay,
a
I
decent
guess.
chop. I mean,
Okay.
reasonable.
I mean,
Maybe stage 2 would have been better, but
I think he
no, it could be actually worse because
you're right.
it would
There's
kill
too much
Econ.
gold.
Now it's perfect. Just make 50, get all the units.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Well then. Oh, but Academy not only Lois also kind of.
น่าจะ
more
สปอต
damage.
คือแบบเซฟเลือดยัน
Soko as well for Ironbog
สเตจ5นะเมื่อกี้
With the Blazing Soul as
Oh
well.
goodness. Some big high rolls coming through, which means that most of these players looking at their boards and thinking, what's going wrong here? Why am I losing every fight in stage 3?
I mean, we've seen the day 1 Blazing Silk, I want to say. The Black Rose Dominators have been performing
แล้วมันบอกได้
very well
เล่นซิลโก้นะ
comps to be played, but when you get it from this spot, it might be actually one of the lines worth consideration.
Absolutely, and there's so many ways to flex this line as well, as we've seen a lot of players with the Shojins, they can go into 4 form swappers. And a big find here for a lot of these players is going to be that Elise.
The tier for Kian really big, racing towards it, trying to finalize that blue buff, the 3rd item on his Morgana. We'll see how that'll go for the rest of his stage 3. At least pick up the race was there, but Experian just a little bit faster.
I just noticed that Nandada sold his smidges and leaned towards quick strikers instead.
Trying to save the lobby. Had to sell everything basically when he opened for it for Experian.
I mean, you said
Hey,
that was
that's
me.
CN TFT. I'm complaining if Experian's the one that's on the losing end there. Most lobby heroes tend to be from CN when it comes
โอ้
to
โซอี้
situations
มีแต่คนไฮโลนะเนี่ย
What are you implying, Panda?
I'm implying they know the importance of stopping a Canberra
of
player
playing the defense?
of course.
From EMEA players? Okay, fair enough.
Or else Experian will take over this lobby
Wouldn't
in
be the
stage
first
4.
time.
สปอตดิสปอตดิสโซก็ดีนะ6ซอก
I think especially the importance of checkmate in CN is what really hones these players' skills in terms of trying to stop it. And playing defense, like you're saying, Alan, it's really important.
Yeah. Jumping on board with Dishub, finding the early Zoe to go alongside with these Sorks. Decent items already as well, and he's still...
พี่แนนเดเด้ครับเล่นเป็นควิกสไตรเกอร์หรือเปล่า มีอากาลิ7 ตัวแล้วนะไข่2 ตัวแล้วนะ
Correct ones as well, which is kind of crazy. And taking a look here, Nandada, of course, with the Mbessa, I'm really curious if he really doesn't have any gold left in the tank. This seems like a pretty massive roll down for him.
Patient study into reroll quick strikers. I'm not sure about this. A bit on the met of the line.
I think it was a 3-5 level to 7, roll it down to stabilize, and I mean, I've been there before. If you hit, it looks good. You can stabilize and win most of these rounds coming to stage 4. But if you low roll just a tiny bit, your game is essentially over. It's very hard to come back from.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up the first win, but yeah, the board not looking like it's gonna stand toe-to-toe with some of our other, high roll boards that we were looking at earlier on.
Normally not the most exciting unit to see from the forecasts, the Mundo. However, again, pretty good spot, getting all the forecasts that actually you can utilize. A bit unfortunate having that mentorship. We are getting less and less value.
ติดไฟ2 คนเจอกันครับ
I do want to point out that he Ironbog did roll quite a bit on 3-5. He wants to continue that win streak here.
Yeah, it looked like he might have been able to get to that against Dishub. Dishub not having a ton of upgrades, even though having the 4 cost in the Sorks. Strong board, but Ironbog feeling like he has a lot.
ออก300 ปะ
This is really one of those extremely terrifying boards with Dasic having the Ezreal 2 online and that
ออก300 ว่ะ
Hurricane.
มันไม่ค่อยดีอะดิเงี้ยเหมือนแบบ value heal มันก็เหมือนได้ใช้แค่2 ทีเองวะ value ของ Augment
Looking at Day2 has the Heimer online, had the heroic grab back to try and go for the high tempo Ezreal play to win streak most of his stage. That panned out for now. 5-way tick for Day2. So what his game plan and his approach to this tournament has been really good in terms of preserving HP and being very healthy the early stages to then finish.
บ้านนี้มี Heimer 1 ตัวครับ
And I just want to point out the Ezreals are holding
ก็คงเล่น Academy เหมือนกันแล้วเนี่ยแต่ว่าแสลมกุนซูนะ
without running into each
No
other.
surprise.
Hurricane, baby.
You know, you know.
I mean, Daisy, understand that he doesn't need to be winning those lobbies. All he needs to do is just stay consistent.
Corky 2 on 4-1 already.
Such a big hit.
So just taking this game the same way he left off the last one, a winning game 2, now coming to this game 3, completely dominating the lobby.
Yeah, Satoran was the one who needed the big game last time around. The first barely saves him. He was in the 35s for that tiebreak, which still leaves him at the bottom of this next split. And once again, looking to try and find another first. He has to swing big, and the Corky is coming to help a lot of that.
To be fair, things like Loris 2, Eloy 2 even would be a bit more helpful than the Corky. It's nice touch, but again, it's a support unit in this case. It's just red buff.
โลไปแล้วนะแต่ว่าไม่เจอ Heimer เลยปะบอร์ดพี่ชิทูเลนอะ
A lot handier given the Ezreal items.
And a big find here for Keon has 3 3-star units already able to crush Day6's win streak on the right side.
แต่ว่าน่าจะวินสติยาวๆเลยผมว่าจริงๆแล้วหยุดโลก็ได้นะอาจจะแบบไม่ต้องเล่นยังไม่ต้องแบบโลหาไฮเมอร์อ่ะมันแบบพอเกียร์2อ่ะเมื่อกี้
I'm looking at the 4-2 macro player Ironbog 37 points. He needs a big win here.
We need to take an eye for the Litu Swanson, given that he was playing the Conquerors early on, and he's still.
He looks very far behind.
This is
the crucial point of the game where if you are not snowballing right now, your game is going to start falling apart in stage 4 if you're playing directly into this Conqueror line.
I mean, it was hard to snowball in this lobby, given all the Ezreals with Hurricanes, given all the upgrades. Like
very high tempo start.
Yeah. It was not like there was like 3 over.
ว้าว6เชมบารอนไปต่อว่ะ
One of them just rolled down, got stronger.
อย่างเงี้ย500เนี่ย
Players open 14 pretty much.
6 Cambarian, 340 stacks. How far are we going to go for experience?
Yeah, and not uncommon, but the
บวกทีละ70ป่ะบวกทีละ70
essentially spend all their gold. The highest amount of gold.
โห400ว่ะเดี๋ยวนะมันมีเพิ่มเลือดพอไหมวะ
to cap out here, and that's going to be hard for Experian because there might be some big hits coming through, and we see the item slams on Elise to try and mitigate this.
He's only 2 losses away from a 500 cash out, so just have to hang in there.
HP because the extra you get from our under CP, pretty much guaranteed.
It's going to require a fast transition though, and a fast roll down once he does get the cash out.
เลือด20
Certainly going to be 1 life.
เพิ่มมาก็จะเป็น28ป่ะ28
We can see that he's going towards the visionary kind of line, so he has
ต่อว่ะไปต่อว่ะเฮ้ยมันได้จริงมันบวก30ไงมันบวก70ไง500
Not great stats yesterday for this.
เล่นชีวิตเดียวพอ
From a very high risk spot. I think it was a 25% eighth rate directly off of this spot because if you don't hit, if you don't stabilize, you're in big trouble.
And I do want to point out that there are 2 Heimer players and also another.
บอร์ดควิสไซเกอร์ดูไม่
So that Heimer 2 is not guaranteed.
ดูผลงานไม่ดีเท่าไหร่นะ
If we get like Shimmer Bloom or
Head near.
over armor, I think it won't be a big problem because the Renny 2 with those items will be such a menace throughout the stage 4. It might be just enough to stabilize him.
Items removed again for Experian, trying to play it very safe, knows that if he wins around, his game is over. But he is going to be taking yet another huge hit this time from Iron Ball.
We see the pretty much beast items waiting for the Heimer on the bench.
มีทุบหนึ่งอัน
Some sort of little touch for the front lane.
โอเค500
HP. Gonna go up by another 4. So pretty much 2 lives.
Carousel could be impactful here as well. No Heimer, unfortunately.
Oh no, sorry. I was like, oh, he's gonna save. Go 600. I'm like,
He's at 9.
Would have to be a very good loss. Maybe too good.
I mean... Oh, a LeBlanc here for Lee Tutuan, who already had a LeBlanc.
Getting to pair that unit, try and look for the LeBlanc 2. Can potentially play around that as the pivot out point.
Okay, this is the script. He goes 200, another LeBlanc drops, stabilizes, 330, and then Mordekaiser. Okay, that's it.
There you
Just
go.
leaving that out there.
I think you should have back off with the script.
Revealing too much.
บรูม
Shimmer
กับ
Bloom
เซเวก้า
and a Savika.
Ooh, Perfected Shimmer Bloom is really good for the Visionaries. Should be able to stabilize him off.
And we'll have to see Experian, how he's able to stabilize in this moment on 1 life. Massive cash out.
He's rolling down extremely heavily right now too. He's down to 8 gold already. Absolutely sent it. We'll see where he ended up with that board.
I mean, if there is justice now, like the Experian meets Undead who griefed him on the
run, send
him eighth.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Not quite.
Instead, no, it's
the lobby leader.
This is the strongest person in the lobby. At least it seems to be that way. This might spell doom for Experian because it looks like the roll down didn't hit everything, but he does have the upgraded Elise and the Silco to anchor the backline, and Renny is itemized. So it is enough to hold on for this round.
And it's a good test of how strong you are.
เชมบาลอน
The
500
lobby leader right now. We'll have to see how many resources Saturn
ต้องมีบอร์ดเวอร์
work whether he's trying to go maybe more of a greedy play style into the anomaly.
And Nandita will take the 8th just as we reach our anomaly, as we start to see
ไฮไมล์
these
ว่ะ
players pick up.
ไฮไมล์เอาปะ
Did seem a little too much to kind of grief Experian for Nandoto's spot there. We're gonna have to look at the other
4 คน
see if they have a way out of this.
ทำไมอ่ะ
This cash out.
We've just seen a hive mind on Experian perspective, and we know there's another player playing around the Renny main tank, so and he's 2 of Renny, which could lead into him hitting if he would pick that for his Silco.
โหเขาเพิ่งเจอเอมบาซ่าตัวแรก
Exactly that, Renny 3-star of that.
Oh, mini-me's on Ezreal. Does that go to a 3-star, please? Please, no.
Well, he only needs 3 more, so yeah, there you go.
มินิมี SDL ครับ
I think on that Eloy too is kind of hurtful. A bit surprised that Storen went dead deep on the roll down, just trying to get that Eloy.
แต่เขาโลงเงินหมดเลยว่ะ
Push for the 9, going for the.
ไม่ได้ขึ้น9ไง
There is probably a bit another plan points-wise, but given that he's slightly behind, I would love to see a bit riskier line. Like line selection, like decision making.
ผมว่าเชมบาลอนที่ 1 ว่ะ มันดูทรงไม่น่ามีบอร์ดไหนแบบเวอร์แบบสู้ได้อะ
Deep roots on this Renny as well. This fight could be the most important for Experian. If he makes it past this, gets a little bit of extra gold rejuice on the PvE round, maybe he's able to hit the upgrade. And we see a very big Singed. All of the upgrades have been hit. Will that be enough? A Chembear battle between Kian and Experian here.
Would be massive to get the Renny as the first kill for that hive mind, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Keep in mind, this is a 6 Chembaron, right? It's with the Spirit Link at minimum HP with Epitaph. Those combat arguments with the situation that Experian
ขาดเลนนี่ตัวเดียว
making it pretty safe spot. And it's just 1 Renny off. There will be a 100 cash out. And it's pretty much guaranteeing a Nico or the 1 Renny. The odds of not getting either one are extremely small.
Lee Tuchuan also a loss, so not really able to snowball his game plan with these conquerors.
เขาสามารถเพิ่มเลือกขึ้นมาได้จากอักเมนนะทุกครั้งที่เก็บเชมบาลอนได้100 แต่ว่าอาจจะเพิ่มเข้ามาชีวิตเดียว
They've been able to hold on these win streaks still deep into stage 4. They're still finding wins and saving that HP, just showing the power when you get that Runons as one of the sponsored items.
Kian and Lee Tuchuan, I have to be honest, their game plans do not look like they're going to take them much further here.
เดี๋ยวคนนี้จะถึง300ไหม
For Lee Tuchuan is to get that LeBlanc 2 from the 200, 4, and 5 cost cash out. If that doesn't happen, I don't see how he can do it.
เหลือบอง2ไหม
We're playing GP main carry at 5-1. This is not looking too good. No Jace for Form Swapper just yet.
แก๊งแพงมาน้อยด้วยทำแก๊งแพง3ไม่ได้ด้วย
Visionary to finally get in is going to get the life steal.
บ้านนี้ก็ดาเมจน้อยเกินนะ
On Singed, able to finally get the 3 items on this frontliner. Actually swapping out some items for this Morgana as well. Fully
ขาดตัดฮิล
itemized
วะ
3 stars on the back line, fully itemized 3 star on the
อ๋อ
front
มี
line.
อยู่ของ
But
ใส่ให้
it's
มือเวลา
enough to take down just a wee little Ezreal.
Faces Setoran against that kind of
โอ้บอล
Morgana should be fine giving all this use.
บอลแคนามีได้เมลมานะ
That comes of the visionaries, but like that Singed is melting. We'll see if the Corki takes it down and Morgana is just trying
อุ้ยนิดเดียวครับ
a bit more and
โอ้โหนิดเดียวครับ
From the Heimer nearly takes out the Renata, but it is enough for Kion to hang on just a little bit longer. Really, at this point, he's just looking at Li Tuchuan saying, please go out before me.
And this win is the Glass Cannon Renata Glass synergy. That's what made her win there.
How long have you been thinking on that?
He's been waiting this entire time.
There was a patch on, I don't know if you remember, Renata was kind of strong, so that might be why.
Did you have that one in Macau? I'm not sure. I don't think this is the first time for me.
เนี่ยแสดงว่าเขาจะโลหา S เดียว3เว้ย
Ramping up.
เขาโล8แบบ
On the other side, Setoran finds ML. Pretty good.
ตอนนี้เขาโลหาอีลาออยแล้วก็ S เดียว
Finally utilize that dev cup that comes of the academy. I believe there was this a small thought process, maybe putting academy on that mel, but end up with just a free solid items.
The Academy
Nah, I think
showdown
Aaron.
between Day2 against Tor, and we'll see who comes out ahead.
Yeah, there was the upgraded Alawi on that other
ผม
side.
คิดว่าเราน่าจะแจก
But now we've got
เสื้อช่วงเบรกปะช่วงพักเบรกหน้าปะ
It's going to help quite a bit. The Moonlight to actually itemize around
ดิสโซฟ
the Zyra
มูลไลท์ครับเวล9นะครับ
hitting the higher cost units, so finding a way to just try and get some power on the board.
This top clearly understood the.
แต่ดูทรงแล้วน่าจะเชมเบอรอนน่าจะ1แล้วล่ะ
Bleed out to second, third, perhaps, because Xperion, if the players did the math, was cashing out 500, and unless something odd would have happened, he is winning out the lobby.
วิก
And a
เตอร์
really tough game 3 for CN, for one of
นี่
the
ไม่ไหวแล้วครับ
rising stars from CN all the way back in Inkborn Fables. Tuchuan now on his last life was not able to snowball this Conqueror start. It's a risk all the way from 2-1. You are committing to this line, and you're saying, if I, at any point in time, lose some of the tempo, lose that snowballing effect, is GG.
Only
I really
100
dislike
stacked.
playing Victor over 4 form swapper here. It's just straight up weaker. Like you need that extra damage that comes of it, because like so what that you're gonna see.
พี่บูมได้ที่
damage output on
5อ้าวทำไมเกมจบเร็วจัง
Just the Mordekaiser being 1 star. The items are
เกมห้องนั้นจบเร็วจัง
on the Mordekaiser. He would do plenty of damage, but just not an upgraded unit just yet, and maybe just not having enough gas.
ที่ 5 ก็คือ
through these 3
4 คะแนน
side.
4 คะแนนไม่แย่นะ
Singed alone can just tank, and we've seen a little item swap, putting the damage. What's the name? It reduces the damage incoming, and given after all the buffs in some matchups, it's often better than regular items.
My only concern for Kion here is that he's on 10 HP. The moment he faces Experian again, he is probably out. So it's a ticking time bomb in terms of having lost so much HP early in the game, trying to go for these 3 stars with the Morgana.
Big find here for Dish Soap as he finds the LeBlanc plus a Black Rose emblem on there. Shatoran with another Ezreal. I believe he was on 7 already. That's going to take him even closer.
The Rebel plus 1 for Day2 is interesting with the Ezreal board he has currently with Academy.
At this point, we're gonna have some match.
ยังไม่จบเหลือ 4 คน อ๋อ
Dodge
ห้องนั้นใช่ไหม
Reaper.
Yeah, I mean, Dish Soap is really hoping Kion can find experience soon enough, because
บอดนี้วนไปเจอบอดเชมเบอรอนก็ตายแล้วนะ
this last round, so it's not like he's completely out of it, but he was really on salvage mode with the Moonlight Zyra just trying to have any carry.
I mean, the board is not looking too bad. Like we have a good, decent augments, we have upgrades, but it's nothing too fancy in the retrospect of the whole board.
It's also, I mean, Sorks with no Zoe, right? You're just playing around.
บอดดิสโซฟอะดูดีนะแต่ว่า
the frontline upgrades, which is definitely salvaging everything here.
อาจจะได้สักที่ 2 ป่ะ
Was lacking, and maybe the LeBlanc can help stabilize this even more.
Look at the Zyra sniping Morgana.
อุ๊ย
twice.
อ๋อ ผมตกใจนึกว่าบอดเชม
I mean, that should just be Dish Soap doing
นี่บอดบอกกันหน้าเรียบร้อยไปดิ
out of here and grabbing himself another placement.
He doesn't need people to be
เรียบ
doing
ร้อย
damage for him. He can take out them himself.
Yeah, Kion not being on the right side. He had a solo tank in the Singe, so the right side completely open for that.
Yeah, who needs Zoe to snipe backlane? We have Zyra. Zoe at home.
And the HP really evening out here. The preservation of HP early in the game is going to be so impactful in terms of if you're facing Experian, you know you're losing. It's pretty likely that the board is just really strong after the huge cash out and a setup.
6 Sentinel 5 Rebel
Dissope and Ironbog, the two kind of middle of the route players in this lobby, now on top with 38 HP, just looking to outlast everyone. Hopefully claw a little bit further.
เขาจะซื้อโซอี้ไหมวะเนี่ย
Sitting on 50 gold. If he can go 9, preserve a little bit of HP off of win here against Dissope, this match could be so impactful for the top 4.
Look at the Zyra again on the side with the Ezreal. Potential to reach once again. Not seeing it from the initial cast, but she's getting plenty of damage out. Does get stuck on the crystal a little bit, wasting quite a few casts from that Zyra. The Jace paying dividends as it keeps spawning in front of her. But this Garen is just invincible. It cannot be dealt with by the spread damage of the Ezreal as we get to the very end. One more cast, but it's too late. And Dish ends up taking the loss. Just so many crystal spawns making all the difference.
And considering Day2 was sitting on so much gold, that is just a massive
เอสเดียวรูนานคือแบบ
chances of placing highly in
ยาวๆอ่ะ
I mean that Ezreal was working overtime, just taking one by one.
ทุกคนจบเกมนี้ผมน่าจะได้แจกเสื้อว่ะ
Absolutely crazy.
ทุกคนอยู่กันก่อนนะ
It's not a free cost when you handed Hurricane or 2.
Experion still having a good time so far. He's going to be heading over to level 9, and I think it's undoubted that he's just going to be winning this lobby at this point. Don't really see Dissope, even with his good win there, contesting. I'm wondering if Shitoron has found that Ezreal 3. I think that's the other big monster of the lobby, but considering he's already on a 3 lobby,
3 ทุ่มครึ่งพอดีปะ
not. Oh!
Well, there it is. I guess so. It's just not finding the wins, yeah.
I mean, just get contested Ezreal, no big deal.
เอสเดียว3ครับ
Totals of Mel being online for Torrens also could be
แต่ว่าอีลาออยไม่ฮิตนะ
buying one more round, potentially saving himself from a Grim Reaper.
อุ๊ยมาแล้ว
Experian could be really impactful here.
Well, and this was maybe the missing piece with the 3-star Ezreal was the upgraded front line, and finally finding that Alawi, getting that online, it might make the difference against anyone who's not named Experian in this lobby.
Another mirror match.
Not quite a common board.
Ezreal mini-me.
We usually see 6 Sentinel paired with some rerolls or Academy, but with Rebel it's more of a rare outcome. But we see that Ezreal double Hurricane 3-star.
แต่เขากันตายได้ทีหนึ่งนะเนี่ย
for the Daisy.
Yeah, and the difference earlier was that Day2 had the
น่าจะเป็นสปอร์ตที่3ป่ะประมาณที่3
Now the difference is
หรือไม่ก็ที่
3-star Ezreal versus not, and it makes it up at the end of
เพ
the
ราะว่าดิสโซฟก็อาจจะแบบ
Is not happy.
โดน
He has Experian in his matchmaking pool. He could be in trouble now. 12 HP, just 1 life, and no Mel.
ทุกคนแจกเสื้อหลังเกมนี้นะ
You mentioned Rebel.
แจกเสื้อหลังจบเกมนี้นะครับ
It's because of those extra +1s as well, which really allow us to happen.
Really think Shitoran is going to go second place here. If you can reach level 9, you get the 6 Academy in, a massive buff to all the items, especially with the sponsored Hurricane. If they want to take him lower, they have to kill him before 9.
Day2 does run into the Grim Reaper here.
Oh, the train came
for the world. Get out of the way, Day2! Get out of the way!
There is no one to
เดซิยังมีกันตายอยู่นะ
moment.
โอ้แต่น่าจะโดนเต็มบอร์ดแรงไปปะ
Onto his board, all the others have been hit. Jace is down. It's just Ezreal left alive. He's a hero, but he can't do that much. Experian.
เมลไม่มีเมลเหรอหรือว่าคนละคนละคน
Day2 despite the high tempo stage.
คนที่มีเมลคือพี่ชิทุเลน
Dissope going to be the other player losing out in that spot, and I don't think he's run into Experian.
อุ๊ยบอร์ดนี้ยังอยู่อีกเหรอเนี่ยเราไม่ได้ดูบอร์ดนี้เลยนะเนี่ย
Just waiting for his
พี่ไอรอนบอก
with the Reaper.
Fun composition.
เอสเดียวมันดีขนาดนั้นเลยเล่นกัน2 คนมันเป็นลูนานะครับลูนาอะคาเดมี่ถ้าปกติเอสเดียวมันก็ไม่ได้เก่งหรอกแต่ว่ามันต้องถ้ามีลูนานเป็นอะคาเดมี่อ่ะหรือว่ามีอักเมนลูนานอ่ะมันจะเก่งนะ
And the Reaper has once again found its target. Dissope is going to be running into Experian, so it looks like we may find our placements right here, as long as we see if Satoran can take out Iron Bog, but also there's the Mel, so there's always that additional life.
That's Mel should guarantee pretty much Satoran second place here, given that he's also able to.
พี่ชิทุเรนน่าจะท็อป2แล้วอ่ะ
HP, we're still alive. Only 4 units on Shitoran's board. 1 HP in a dream. Iron Bog.
ไอรอนบอกเลือดเหลือ1หรือว่าตายไปแล้วเนี่ย
There we go. Dissope likely completely evaporated by Experian, and we do see that happen there. So just 3 people making it to this last carousel of the game. as Experian continues his march
เราต้อง
towards
บอกที่
first
สาม
place.
ว่ะ
Because of
ผม
that,
นึกว่า
now,
Dissolve จะได้
it
ที่
feels
สาม
like we kind of see our placements already, and is there any way that Ironbog can even attempt to try and turn this around and hold out? Have to dodge Experian for quite a while.
I mean, maybe Warwick 2
Or
star,
beat him.
which is maybe more.
พี่ชิทุเรนหยิบตาแบ็คโรสเหรอ
That feels like more cope than
เพื่อ
dodging
เอา
him for like
ลัมโบ
3
หนึ่งตัว
rounds.
It's a really interesting call here where Ironbog actually went for the experiment +1. I wonder if he's looking for the stun potential.
there was a Warwick on the board, so it's pretty
Mundo as
easy
well.
to pair.
Mundo, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I just blanked a while there. You're right.
I don't blame you. It's Mundo.
I just forget about that unit. It's like, oh, Blitzcrank itemized, right? So
I'm not familiar, actually.
I mean, hey, we could there could be like a quick Warwick 2 just for the save. I don't know if that would be even enough against Experience board.
True.
Well, it's not going to be the case. Just the Warwick 1, and Experian has found Ironbog. Looks like this might just be doomed for him as we just watch these final moments between these boards, and this is just what you get with the 500 cash out. So much power, already having the start, and then finding the war for the Undercity.
I mean,
Oh,
finding the
Leung.
10 to Seal could do after the cashing out was just pretty much a smooth walk. Experiment at this point was locked in, getting a pretty good cash out, and it's just a matter of time. And who he is gonna run over.
จะไปกล้า
High
ทู
risk, but as we see here, really high reward. Have to pay respects to the two potential heroes of the lobby. Nandade trying to save the game. Kion in stage 2. Both stage Experience was attempted to be griefed, survived.
ค่าโดนตัดแล้วนะ
Made it to this point in
แต่
time.
ว่า
and
โล
now
4-1
by
ได้
far
เซเว
was
กา
the
นะ
strongest player in this lobby.
Shitoran has 37 gold. He needs to go levels 9 to have a chance with that 6 Academy and the 9% for sponsored item damage amp. But
เนี่ยเอา S เดียวยัดไปด้านหน้าเลยครับกะจะให้ S เดียวมันยิง
Try and get around the front line,
ไอ้นี้
but
ให้ตายนะ
he is
แต่ว่า
already there, and so it is
เอามายืนหน้า
not
เหมือน
going
S เดียวน่าจะตายก่อนนะครับ
Experian just going to be able to take this down. We still are going to have an additional fight.
นี่ภาพครับ
Well, keeping Satoran alive. However, this was big. Satoran in the last game, first place, keeps him alive in the tournament at 35 points, gets away from those tiebreakers, and now a top 2 to try and inch his way away from that bottom 8. He can't escape the Reaper Experian, but maybe the Reaper of bottom 8 in this tournament.
Experience Sitoran being 2 players who didn't reroll single time during the day 1, and Sitoran again, once you mentioned that he did win out last time, and we see a masterclass of playing pretty much for tempo and just finding this high caps. Like in this case, you can't win out because it's just too much for you, but showcasing the masterclass.
And the power of Ezreal. We saw it there. Day2 unfortunate bot 4, but all in all, if you see Rune as a sponsored item, you have to be considering going down this line, trying to play for Ezreal carry in stage 3 and 4 especially.
น่าจะจบแล้ว
Just waiting for
Mordekaiser 2.
finding more upgrades. Hey,
As if he needed anything else to help his board win this next round.
Yep.
Shitoran has to sell his
5 รีเบล
TG on the Jace is not really ideal for Experian, as if that
I mean, like
matters
it
either.
matters.
Vow Redemption maybe could have fronted the Jace, but maybe we're missing some damage.
Still talking about this like he has a chance.
Listen,
I don't know, David.
giving the viewers some copium, okay? Our CN English broadcast viewers need some help.
Building some narrative for the poor Sitoran, okay. Maybe there is a chance because Experian lower on PG, being on the back.
So
Whoa, close.
happy.
กินน้ำโชว์ไปหนึ่ง
Ready for the next game and locking himself in. 38 points plus 8 now, 46 coming into game number 4. A pretty good spot for the French player.
just needs 4 top 4s in a row to kind of make it. We still have 4 games left.
Cyprian.
And on the other side, I do want to mention we have another streak going on, which is Nanda 40 points in day 1, 3 points so far.
มาทุกคน
Two.
เดี๋ยวผมจะแจกเสื้อแล้วนะ
Right. I mean, he still has a little bit to be fair. I mean, even at 43, he's still kind of in the running to make it. That's
มีใครอยู่บ้างเนี่ย
much of a lead he bought himself, but this can't continue, and that's why just griefing a spot and introducing that risk when you really just need to play for top 5 seems.
I mean, we've seen.
อยู่กันไหมครับ อยู่กันไหมครับ มีใครอยู่บ้างครับ
It didn't stop Experian from going for the 500. It still was recoverable spot.
And the open for from Nandade, moving off of your comfort comp, which you were able to get 4
มีใครอยู่ไหม
day 1, dropping a 40 bomb with 4
พิมพ์หนึ่งมาพิมพ์หนึ่งมา
2 smeeches At 2-1,
แจกเสื้อครับแจกเสื้อ
all that up to take the responsibility of trying to save the entire lobby, and even then it didn't work. A huge risk on his own part as well, and just backfired completely.
And I do want to point out how lucky was that Savika right there, actually making the turns over to 2. He could still have made it to 500 on 3.
พิมพ์หนึ่งมาพิมพ์หนึ่งครับ
Gives him a little bit more buffer and Xperia on a huge win now.
มีอีกไหมครับวันนี้
Hey, it
มี
was
แค่นี้เองเลย
Relax. It was always planned.
We'll mention as well, I think, we talked about Morgana Visionaries, the reroll version with Morgana 3. You have to have very good
Map.
to play into it. We
Team
didn't see
Map.
it made until after the stage 3 carousel. We didn't see that many copies of Morgana early on. Kion still pulled the
กี่คนแล้วเนี่ย
and it didn't work
1
out.
2 3 4 5 6 7
Eventually to
8
stronger players. So it's a combat that's very good, but you have to play it
มีไหมครับมีไหมครับ
in stage 2.
Put his faith in Starry Night and just didn't hit on time. And I think the blue buff was actually the biggest catalyst of not being able to save HP early. So he didn't have enough time to
วัน
actually
นี้เนาะ
And the Singe main carry instead of the Rel.
There is interesting dynamic that we can see sometimes on day 2 when players look at the day 1 stats. And
Okay.
oh wow, Morgana 2.x.
มา
Hey,
ใครที่ได้เสื้อไปวันนี้
Morgana gameplay. But hey, not every spot is the right spot to go for it.
I feel targeted. This is
ใครที่ได้เสื้อไป กดติดตามด้วยนะครับ กดติดตามช่องด้วยนะ
Say no more.
ทุกคนต้องทำอะไรวะ วงล้อปะวงล้อ วงล้อ
Having a really rough tournament with Mars already being eliminated, that pretty much leaves on the board for the big win for the region, our second largest region across the globe.
I mean, I think the big thing to look at for Kion is once again needing to switch
Map.
defenses. I mean,
คนหน้าคนตานะ
an 8th. This wasn't even a 7th, right? He was able to grab that 6th place.
วันนี้ใครจะเป็นคนที่ได้
Maybe a first or a second in the
เสื้อ
second
ไป
game, but still evade that bottom 8 spot.
แต่ถ้าใครพลาดนี่
Look at the standings and see
กลับมาใหม่พรุ่งนี้ได้นะ หน้าเดิมๆได้นะ
how much he's gonna need to escape.
พรุ่งนี้แจก3ตัวเลยนะครับ
VN's hopes dash there as they're both in 22nd and 23rd.
Wajan as well, really rocky last 2 games, double 8s for the Americas player. Tartman as well had a pretty good start in day 1, not able to find a top 4 in these first 3 games.
Yeah, it's a rough go for some of these players at the bottom. I mean, we said, oh, they'll need a first to maybe get there, but it's possible some of them won't even be able to get there with the first as we see how these scores are increasing. And this middle table, I mean, 46
ครบแล้ว
from 9th to 16th.
Coco with a wind up, pretty much going into day
สลับไหม
solid
สลับ
Farad getting back in there to the straight to the top 8.
มา
And the cutoff looks like it's
พร้อม
going to be 46. Boomhay
เอานะทุกคน
out of the top 8. Our biggest
เฮ้ย บูมแฮ
pack. Now here,
บูมแฮอยู่ที่
someone can take his place up there.
Show the underdogs though, both Boomhay and Fallhub being
9 วันนี้คุณบูบูไปไหนนั่นเด็
the APAC region. Not too surprising, I think every single
เขาน่าจะเล่นเกมอยู่เปล่า
APAC brings
มาผมจะหมุนแล้วนะ
that really perform at a high level internationally.
เสื้อ1 ตัวนะครับ
Struggle playing in the weaker lobbies.
กดติดตามด้วยนะครับ กดติดตามช่องด้วยนะ
To the strong lobbies.
ใครได้เสื้อไม่กดติดตามผมไม่ส่งให้นะ
Going on, they perform.
ไป
Wait, what happened to the Eastern tier?
Lun.
TN, APAC?
Do we shake
They were the best
hands?
regions, right?
Do we shake hands right now, David?
can't reach you, Castle, but-
โอ้โห ชื่ออะไรอ่ะ เลียวเหรอ
Because that's 4 Americans.
The celebration.
That's 3 EMEA.
I'm sorry, Clement.
Clem, you wanna join?
ยินดีด้วยครับ ยินดีด้วยครับ
PV for the win.
Let's go. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. As we got BO at the top spot. I guess it is still too early to
มันหนีไปกินข้าวทิ้งคิด
Wait a minute, I just
ดี
hear the producer. He's telling me to get unmiked.
เหงาเลย
He's like, yeah, Clement, get
พี่
out
หน้า
of here.
เก่าก็
We don't-
จูกันไป พี่ริว
No
พี่ริว แคป
succeed.
I will say,
แคปจอให้เห็นชื่อช่องตัวเอง
both Lucas and
นะครับ แล้วก็
Theo
ส่งมาใน
are
เพจ
top
Facebook
8
ผมนะ เพจ Facebook ผมชื่อเดียวกับไอ้นี่ผมเลยนะ
Really, I think an expectation
ชื่อเดียวกับ
for Bio, who has been ramping
ช่อง YouTube นั่นแหละ
you know, in a legendary way since set 10 onwards since remake
นะครับ
Rumble. It's his third
แคปแล้วส่งมานะครับพี่ริว
almost
วันนี้ห่างไกลวันนี้ห่างไกลพี่โฟตี้ว่ะ ไม่ฉิวแต่ว่าฉิวเฉียดพี่เอ็ด
So many games left to stay.
Yeah, and we got
ทักผ่านช่องทางไหนครับ
Lucas here.
DM Facebook Page ครับ Facebook Page ครับ
Doesn't always happen when we get
เพจ
to the
Facebook
tag
ครับ
round, but it just shows
ชื่อเดียวกับ
how much he is capable of,
YouTube เลยครับ
because this is a player who
เลยอีกแล้ว
stats for him, because
มัง
they're
ก
never
ร
gonna tell you how good he actually is.
มังกรคืออะไรครับ
10 sets. I think Brazil is due. One of our earliest regions to ever play, ever since Flooper hasn't found that entry into the
ยินดีด้วยนะครับ
I know
พรุ่ง
there's
นี้
a lot of passionate
พรุ่งนี้มาใหม่นะครับ ทุกคน พรุ่งนี้3 ตัวนะ พรุ่งนี้3 ตัวมันต้องมีคน
great moment for the region. I hope they
ชาวหน้าเก่าก็ต้อง ผมว่าต้องได้บ้างแหละ ชาวหน้าเก่าอ่ะ
How about another exclusive reveal
ดีแล้วครับ หัวใจจะวาย
behind the scenes at the TFT office in LA? Let's take a look at Elise.
It wouldn't be Cyber City without
เฮ้ย
summoning giant
สปอยอีกแล้ว
Nitro Champs
สปอย Cyber City
a robot based on their star
ริวมังกรอ๋อริวมังกร
robot and eventually
ภาษาญี่ปุ่นเหรอหรือภาษาอะไร
Welcome back, T-Hex. We missed you.
ทีเฮก
And if
T-Hex
you're
คืออะไรครับ
Nitro robots, there's even an augment that grants a laser firing turret from your backline.
หุ่นยนต์
Nitro is a splashable summon trait with only 4
มันต้องได้สิมันต้องได้แหละผมว่านะ
after activating the trait. You'll want to get into
พรุ่งนี้ต้อง3แบบ
upgrading your robot.
โอกาสลุ้นคูณ3อ่ะ
Look at that, another one of the units. We kind of got the sneak peek out yesterday. Now we get the trait, Nitro. Welcome back to the T-Hex. I don't know if anybody missed Piltover.
You had me at summon trait. I just love him all the way
ขอบคุณ
back.
ทุกคนที่มาร่วมสนุกกันนะครับ
T-Hex stays on the
แต่
board
ว่า
this time around. I think he's
พรุ่งนี้
always
เรามีอีกนะ
cool to see these summons doing their thing in
สกิล
Day2.
จูแอคทีเวต
Iconic
จูยันเซต14
putting summoning units on the planner and then screaming, baby, I'm locked in. Maybe reroll.
I can't help myself.
I really like summon traits where they don't require you to put a lot of units on the board. This is very different from things like Kale that we saw earlier or the
โอเคผมเห็นแชทพี่ริวละ
Inkward Fables. This is more like the elementals from set 1.
เดี๋ยวผม
don't have a big commitment.
I was about
เดี๋ยวผมตอบกลับนะ
You wanna feel
เดี๋ยวขอลงสตรีมก่อน
Go back to set 1 and look at Elementalist. Clement was already there.
Do you guys even remember what was summoned in set 1?
Yes, Golem.
Daisy.
Yes, Daisy.
ตอบกลับเลยก็ได้
Good old Daisy.
Oh,
I miss her.
beautiful. Miss her already. That looks very exciting, but let's get back on track because we've got another lobby coming up. And this
ไม่เป็นไรนะครับ
is
ใครที่ไม่ได้เสื้อก็
elimination. We're gonna lose another 8 players.
พวกคุณจะอยู่ในใจผมเสมอนะ
Game. So what do these players have to
ไว้เดี๋ยวผม
focus up when you're on that bubble? Who feels safe at this point? Because we felt like some of the players
เดี๋ยวมีอะไรเอาของมาแจกอีกแล้ว
feel safe, but I don't even know where that point cutoff is gonna land.
I felt safe with double earlier today, and that wasn't the case. So it's really just a lot of surprises. I think we're going to see a lot more Chem Baron once again. That should be the flavor of this next game. Players going for those high risk, maybe Smeech once again trying to find an angle into a first place.
Will we see much defense again coming from some players?
I don't think you should. I think you need to play for your own placements.
If you learned some lessons on this last game, defense is not the way.
I mean, maybe
full offense.
Maybe there was some jackpot opportunity, triple A in a row.
Offense is the best defense in my opinion
I'm
here.
with you, Kasa.
Just score as many points as you can. Who cares if that guy goes first? Get what you get.
I just want to say, I feel bad for Smeech because Smeech actually took Nandoda into that first place. And even with a Smeech pair on 1-2, he still decided to play defense.
ขอดูคะแนนบูบูหน่อย
Disrespectful.
ไม่ใช่คะแนนบูบูเลยคะแนนบูมแฮร์ไอ้เหี้ยบูมบูไปไหนบูมบูมาจากไหนเนี่ย
Maybe there was respect. They're just saying, oh, Experience can have all of them. I'm good. I'll just stay away.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
ซับ16น่าจะได้นะเนี่ย
Well, let's take a look at our next lobby. This is a much more
โหคนคะแนน4-6คือแม่งแบบแน่นเอียดอ่ะ
We've got a couple players
จะโชว์หลบทุกรอบให้ดูครับได้ครับ
Hartman and
พรุ่งนี้เดี๋ยวหลบพรุ่งนี้ต่อนะ
39 respectively. I mean,
อันนี้มีบูมแฮร์ไหมเนี่ยไม่มีบูมแฮร์
really need a big performance.
เซ็งว่าอยากดูบูมแฮร์
French players still left alive with Experience. We just saw him and these three here.
บูมบูไปแข่งกันแล้ว
And Tartman. Day2 and Lakoko on the same team gentlemates, but all 4 of these French players are in the same prep group. They have very similar meta reads. I'm curious to see how this lobby is affected by that if these 3 players are trying to go down the same lines at 2-1.
Yeah, we've seen them pretty much understanding the strongest line. Form swappers reverses their default tempo with some, whenever there is less resources, it's being Sorks. Understanding if you go for rerolls, which rerolls you want to go for. I'm looking at Wink Wink that restart.
ครึ่งหลังบูมแฮร์ต้องเอาเรื่องเราว่ะผมว่าต้องมีแบบถึงจะเข้าไฟนอลล็อบบี้อ่ะมันแน่นเกินไปอ่ะตอนเนี้ย
Heavily towards that direction. He was actually able to grab first in the last game. I'm not sure if he was on Sorks, but he did grab first in this lobby just previously in the last game, and he'll see if he can repeat that success because it rocketed him into the current top 8 standings and should have made him pretty safe from this next elimination round.
We see the players are very close to each other.
แล้วบูมแฮร์ต้องเป็นคนที่แบบแพ้ไทยเบรกตลอดเลยเหรอ
between the players can either make it all the way to the crown or just drop off right here.
And I would say some players that need to be extremely careful in a lobby like this, Bintam and Spencer. They're relatively safe-looking points, but that's kind of the slot we saw double in, where maybe an 8th or a 7th ends up taking you from a position that
ผมเข้าห้องน้ำแป๊บ
suddenly to the bottom 8.
I have to look at Bintam right here. If you look at his past history, 2 finals appearance, 1 9th place, it would be a big shock if he finally comes back to TAC round and drops out here. Bintam is always one of those players I worry about because he believes the game is perfectly balanced and he plays whatever the game gives him. So he's not exactly a player that likes to force himself into those first place positions. He's going to have to change it up.
You know what they say, 6 times the charm.
Oh, okay.
I've heard Alan say that just now, actually. So yeah, I mean, I guess they do say it.
Both players that have been on their 6th time in this TAC round are already gone. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
We do have one past set champion in this lobby as well with Liluo, who's sitting on 44 points, relatively safe. But Clement, how much confidence do you have in your fate angle that you sold to us on day 1 in terms of Liluo arcane set? Is it really his time? Is he going back into that top 8?
The master of arcane.
Well, I gotta say, I'm a person that believes in fairy tales. I think that there's a higher plan for all of us. And if I look at Liluo and how lucky he's been recently in the last few games, I believe one of his games, he was able to get a 3-star Mbessa on the board and just dominate through everyone. So, you know, luck is with him. He's not a top 1 player, but he doesn't need to be right now.
One more interesting consideration for this lobby is the fact that 2 of the players here were top 8 at Macau. Jeduzor and Liluo, 2 players who have already felt what it feels like to be in a high pressure, you know, really stacked lobby in this set, and they still performed at a very high level. Jeduzor finishing 4th. Liluo, of course, oh so close to glory.
And it's not the first time we've seen success at that LAN lead to success at the set championship at the end. Malala, when he won Vegas, then won the TAC crown. Yeah, neither of them won, but top 8 is huge. And the fact that they're continuing that success throughout the entire set is amazing to watch once again.
Let's look at the Tarte, because he is kind of struggling on the points, but he was already, this is not his first performance at the Tactician crown, he was already here at set 11 and he ended up 9th. He's just looking to beat that score and then not end up below the top 8.
If you like a dark horse story, though, you have to look at Fall Help. He is the first time here at TAC Crown and already within the top 10, breaking a lot of our expectations. If you look at his split, nothing special. He averaged 120th in terms of cups, able to make it through leaderboards. Can he go further?
All right, let's jump into game 4 here. It's going to be Jinx as our
jealous. Well, without the crab rave music, maybe not so jealous.
True. Will we see some raving from the crabs here? We do see some raving. Oh, let's go, baby. I'm eager to see some eliminations on stage 5.
Yeah, see if anyone gets eliminated from the entire tournament by a crab.
Okay, that would be traumatic. Alan already knows if it was me playing, I'd be eliminated for sure. I have a personal vendetta against this crab.
I wonder if the crab eliminates you, does the crab get to go into the finals? I think that makes sense, right?
I think we should make an exception.
Placements. Take your prize pool.
-1 spot in final lobby.
มาเหรอเกมมาเหรอ
Tarman has
4 ทุ่มมีแจกเสื้ออีกไหมไปกินข้าวมา มีพรุ่งนี้ พรุ่งนี้มี3 ตัวเลย
You're going into these kind of like crab rave lobbies, you're looking at high sustain options here. The melee carries are usually the most stable ones to not get eliminated. Some of the backline options that you're seeing, you know, visionaries are probably fine, but things like Sorks, they can't have taps on stage 5.
Twitch as well could be problematic. Building Redemption makes a lot of sense later into the game to try and mitigate some of that crab damage.
เดี๋ยวผมดูเกมนี้เป็นเกมท้ายละ
in terms of what players go for.
ดูว่าบูมแฮ
If they can pick up an econ augment there as well.
ดูว่าบูมแฮเข้ารอบไหมนะ
Because if you have all this extra econ and you don't have a very clear idea of what you're playing in stage 4 and 5, maybe something like Rebels, you could be in big trouble.
Yeah, easy to get lost in the sauce when you're drowning in gold with no direction. So I definitely can see trying to find some of that can help out quite a bit, especially if you end up in a spot where you have to make that decision so swiftly.
Panda, what's that? I see Tristana on board.
ผมเหมา3
Jeduzor played 2 games of Rebels yesterday, had a lot of success in that.
ผมเหมา3 ตัวนะ
Maybe go down that same path, knowing that he's gonna have the extra econ to maybe
เหมาไปขายครับ
guarantee a Jinx 2 in stage 5.
Call the
กะตั้งตัวได้เลย
Star rerolled on the
No step
Galaxy.
today. No step.
I'm looking for late game specialist in this lobby. I think that would be one of the better options to secure a high placement.
อันนี้อัพเมนเงินนะ
Component buffer, given it's a portal encounter where we see more components, so you can control that various a bit, but we'll see. Oh my god, that's a Zeri from the Caretaker? They just see right?
That seems like a condition where you could play Zeri reroll and feel okay about it.
I will
I'd
say
be more than okay with it.
the only player who played a game of Zeri
อันนี้ได้
yesterday
เซอร์ลีเหรอ
made it into day 2 is in this lobby. It is Bintum. He managed to
ไอเทมก็พอได้อยู่นะท
was played 3 times in
เปิด
total. The
ล็อต
other 2 players were cut off in that bottom 8 coming into day 2.
I want to note Zeri looked very powerful at the America's Golden Spatula, but statistically didn't do well over the course of the tournament. It was great on our streamed lobbies, and it feels like finding the perfect circumstances for Zeri, it still can be incredibly strong. And when you're getting them for free, that's a pretty great way to do it.
We have talked a lot about Zeri's shortcomings, and it's just the fact that she doesn't have good single target damage in the meta. A lot of smeeches just run onto her, and of course you can't deal with the visionaries very well.
Yeah, but the upside of having Caretaker Zeris, you can go actually 8. You don't have to reroll her. You can finish her off on 8, maybe get it even of 9, given its extra resources grab
ำนี่เป็น Quick Striker นะ
some sort of 4 sniper board with that Caitlyn, with that Twitch as a secondary or third carry.
And Bintum right away locked into Quick Striker with a +1 off of branching out. We've seen a lot of players playing Quick Strikers from low roll spots, not really able to make it work. I think Quick Strikers needs very specific condition in terms of econ or artifacts to really
ไม่แย่นะตา Quick Striker บวกมีทวิตเฟส มันเป็นอักเมนเงินอะตา Quick Striker ก็ไม่แย่หรอก
If that ends up being enough for Bintum to have this line work out.
I do want to soothe the nervousness of a lot of our Korean viewers out there. The points are not updated.
แต่ Quick Striker ดูแบบทำผลงานได้ไม่ค่อยดีเท่าไหร่เลย
A little bit of leverage.
สำหรับ
Okay,
ทัวร์
when we
เนี้ย
see the Quick Striker emblem, I'm just thinking, oh, that's a Mordon 7-6 Conqueror and play around 2 Quick Striker instead. That sounds a bit better than
Hey, I mean, if he can plot out his entire game, sure, I'm down.
Hey, you don't like it?
We think alike. I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's one of the best emblems to
I'm just reaching my hand, so we have some APAC players in the top 8.
All right, we've got our other branching out, going to be artillerists for Lakoko.
This could be Tristana. If it is, that maybe gives Tristana a little bit of an extra cap. We saw, I think it was Ironbog last game yesterday, pick up artillerist plus
มีได้ Artillerist ครับ
off of Tristana, played a very
มี
flexible
เจสนาแต่ว่าเหมือนน่าจะโดนลาดแหละ ดูทรงแล้ว
did not have that work at all and fell out of that top 8 because
ถอด
of it.
ของมาแล้วน่าจะเล่นลูสติกนะ
Decides to play playing defense. Tries to go probably for the component he wants to lose to get the prio and get that free loss streak early on, and faces the Jedusar with to get that Zeri 2 of the Caretaker.
One of the ways this can go crazy for Coco is another +1 artillerist. We saw this from Bio in the Americas, playing around an Urgot 3-star and ended up with the 6 artillerist. You don't have to do the Urgot side of that, but 6 artillerist itself is just so much AD that actually has a way for you to cap out very high.
Looking if there is extra bows
เอาวงแรกมาครับ
because he is looking for that Guinsu's Rage Blade. Oh, there
it's
is
a bow on a Zeri. Doesn't make it that far.
Aha, yeah.
ธนูบาทเดียว
Does his own teammate grief him? Like,
อ๋อไม่ใช่ธนูเซอรี่
no.
ได้อยู่ครับ
Don't frame the team.
เนี่ยแค่กดขึ้นเวลป่ะ เพราะว่ามันต้องกดเลเวลมันถึงจะได้เซอรี่
Right, Spencer, we're
ก็อาจจะไม่ได้โล
But
6
yeah,
ป่ะ
Coco should have picked the 1-cost bow just to leave it open, perhaps for the last pick, right?
ทาย back to December ค่ะ
can be slammed on his
โอ้โห
Zeri.
ไม่มีให้ทายแล้วนะ
Not bad.
Are you not very pleased?
Not bad at all.
Are you not entertained?
ชื่อคุ้นๆจังเลย
Pass me in stage 4.
นักแข่งคนนี้
Especially with so many rods open across the board, it felt like if anyone
โอ้
else wanted Ginsu, I mean, those bows were right for the taking.
What
แก๊ง
is
แพง
with
สอง
these
ครับ
MEA carousels? What?
Very strong
P2
setup
on stage
right
2?
away.
This is a
สปอร์ตแบบนี้น่าทำแก๊งแพง
Everybody
3 เลย
gets
นะเนี่
what
ย
they need.
And we'll see
มันน่าจะเก่งกว่าไปเล่น
really has to play
หนู
for
ท่อ
this game, 39
เป็นไหนๆอะ
3 points under that next lowest point total in this lobby. And we're seeing someone else who is also maybe considering playing for a first Prestivan, loaded in with the Camberns already online.
ดีค่ะเพิ่งว่างเลยหลังสอบมาวุ่นมาก อย่างนี้ก็ปิดเทอมเลยใช่ไหมครับปิดเทอมยังครับ
At a more comfortable position, but another first here for Prestivan actually puts him in great striking distance to try and finish this out and make a top 8.
สวัสดีคุณเลนนี่ครับ กดไหมคืนนี้แรงกด กดแน่
making it this far for so many sets in a row. So happy to see him finally here.
And first time we're going to be taking a look at Fall
แต่ต้องไปท
like it's the Rebel and a
ำนู่นทำนี่ก่อนนะค่อยมากด
Not a line that he's typically known for, but we know that Rebel has been a very strong performer in the past.
เดี๋ยวผมดูเกมนี้เกมท้ายนะครับ เพราะว่าแม่งเล่น7เกมเยอะเกิน เดี๋ยวขอดูสกอร์ก่อนว่าบูมแฮร์แบบเป็นไงบ้างนะ ว่าเข้ารอบ16ไหม
Let's see if we're gonna see
ปิดแล้วค่ะเพิ่งสอบ A level อาทิตย์ที่ผ่านมาเสร็จทำดีพร้อมลั่นจะขึ้นชาเลนจ์โหวันนี้กดมาได้ที่2วันนี้กดมาได้ที่2แล้วก็แตก8แตกปีกแต้มเท่าเดิมคนเล่นนี่สอบคือจะสอบขึ้นมหาลัยแล้วใช่ไหม
And there is no problem for the Lilo to take down the board. 2-item Darius is just such a menace.
Yeah, he's a beast. Able to hold on to that win streak. Day2 still a great spot with having the items for the Zeri coming through.
ขึ้นลงเป็นหุ้นเลยไม่ต่างกัน
He's going to be the one with the win streak through Krugs and then the loss streak going to Precedent. And it looks like Coco as well able to hold on to it.
And this start from Coco is reminding me of this.
นี่ขึ้นแบบ 1,000แล้วก็ 1,100 แล้วก็ตกลงมา 1,000 อีกขึ้นมา5รอบละมั้งเซตนี้ใช่ค่ะ
to make it work and fight for that top 4 yet again. He finished 2nd and 4th last time around in day 1. We'll see if he can do the same here.
He's just setting himself up for a very good finish. If he goes level 9, you can
get
4 emissary for Warden and 4 artillerist. You don't need to luck out on the double
อันนี้ไปเล่นอะไรครับเนี่ย
necessarily.
บัตเตอร์ไททันโอ้เป็นไปซ่าต้องปูรวย
A lot of gold coming in at Krugs here.
Ambessa while playing 3 quick strikers. That's pretty handy. With good slams as well.
Yep.
Yeah, great pickup available for Lilo.
4 ควิก
Going to be contested in that line with Bintum, but you don't have to stick.
แต่มันก็มีคนเล่นควิกนี่
We might just find a player that has a Morton speed dial today.
Well, he is the chosen one for the arcane set, right?
If someone has to have him on speed dial, it has to be Lilo.
Yep. On the other side, Tarte rocking with the GP2 since stage 2. 3 items, looking pretty strong. And he loaded the top TG from the
ทำของแบบนี้ดีดเอมเบซ่ามาให้เจริญเกมชิวๆป่ะสเตจนี้แต่ไม่รู้จบบอร์ดอะไรนะมั่วไปก่อน
Maybe I was mistaken, sorry.
Yeah, and going to be fighting against Lilo. They're both the ones
ทำของให้ทวิตเฟดด้วย
only lost the first round.
จบบอร์ดอะไรวะ
Gangplank is massive. If anyone's going to take down Lilo, it should be the 2-star Gangplank, but not having a front line to get it done.
Came off.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Barrel? Barrel?
Oh my god! The Gangplank that was promised.
Oh, that was so close. I mean, maybe if the items from the Darius to the Ambessa would have changed them off.
And Tarvin needs a win. Maybe this is the round. This is the win streak. This is a little bit of extra econ that allows him to get into a strong position going to stage 4.
I love this unit. I know it's not really good enough right now to realistically play reroll Gangplank, but I've enjoyed it in some kind of meme games where I find one early and some good items. And so I played around the 2-star Gangplank a lot, and it is so fun to watch.
This is bad news for Bintum because the powered shields
most likely
Lilo is going to stick to this line.
We said instead of defense, play offense. This is very offensive from Lilo.
เหมือนเก็บตัวตำรวจไว้นะ
You want to cut like a nocturne to come
เพย์เราตำรวจหรอมั้ง
emblem. However, you can just play around any comp that can utilize that
เวล 7
emissary
โอ้
unit
ขึ้นเวล 7
and then just put it on
3-2
any other unit, to be fair.
I don't want to sound harsh to Bintum,
โคตร
but
รวย
this is my favorite spot to observe him in bad situations where he needs to pivot somewhere. That's when you knew the true.
มัน4 ควิกมันเอาของให้เอมเบซ่ามันเก่งกว่าปะตอนนี้ไม่กล้าทายบอร์ดเลยกูมาเมื่อวานเหมือนอยู่ในกะลาคนแข่งเขาคิดกันฉีกจัดห้องโปรนะเนี่ยอาจจะแบบมัวๆไป
Back-to-back TF 1v1s as well.
Able to find the win there.
You can only pull that many barrels out of the sleeves.
Especially at the speed at which GP takes the cast.
Yeah.
The initial patch that came off GP would have won that.
Bintum seems to be rolling. It's gonna be a very interesting 1v1 match.
มีโลหะ
Bintum and Lilo.
ทวิตเฟส2ไหมครับไม่2
Are paying off 4 win streak for now for Bintum.
Yeah, and the Loris upgrade is just going to add on to that.
เงิน20
Bintum currently in the standings is 1 point behind
TF
the
left
cut.
behind.
Uh-oh. And it's Lilo, so once again finding a very strong board that he has to play against. However, the Akali might sneak right into the back line.
Yeah, she's locked in.
ผมว่าชิลบอร์ดควิกไซเคิลก็เก่งนะแต่ว่า ผมว่าเขาก็ไม่น่าคอนเทสกันปะแบบ
should be wrapping that with all the shielding that comes of the quick striker takedowns. I don't like that Lilu is holding on the Darius items given there is 4 quick strikers. That cannot be possibly correct.
โดนตัดเวนสเตกละ
Looking impressive at now, 38 HP already at this stage. Silco not going to be here on the carousel, so no free 5 Chem Baron for Pressman. Going to have to work for it at 3-5. Lekoko though picks up the Corki, huge for the Artillerist +1 player.
Yeah, already having second Corki on bench, so that is going to be the pair at the very least.
Yeah, now just looks for either +1 Artillerist from the Augment or perhaps a calling card on Tristan to just guarantee it.
And taking a look at Fall Help, he does get the Rebel +1, so there is a chance for a very, very high cap out here. He also, I believe that is a trait tracker being selected there. I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem like a very high cap out angle for him with the spare spatula.
กอด
See, is Coco able to find Urgot 2 has the 4 artillerists on
ขึ้นเวล7ว่ะ
pair going to help out so much, and because the lobby's pretty accelerated due to the crab rave,
ไม่ได้โลทิสนานะ
level 8 to try and actually find
ไม่รู้จะไปวันไหน
and get fully online.
There's a great argument on top of the branching out, having the noble
อันนี้เซอร์ลี3 ดาวแล้วครับ
just to resist. So
ขึ้นเวล7 มา
eventually the 6 artillerists hopefully
เงิน
ramp up.
18 ไอเทม3 ชิ้นได้อยู่นะ
For now, 2 Sniper has an open slot with a double Vander.
แต่ว่า
Has his area 3 already. As you mentioned, Alan not having to stay on 6.
สเตจ4น่าจะไหวแหละมีการเล่น
Adding in more snipers along the way.
Having Twitch already, you can go for the 4 sniper ASAP. Is definitely a handful and
ซอยไปครับซอยนกคุมลี
so he should be able to go on Care 4 too.
Just quickly got the confirmation that Fall Hall is on that trade tracker, so we'll have to keep our eyes to see it when that pops.
Did we see 5 Chem Baron for Prestivan is the big question. Did he roll for a Silco at all after this carousel? 9 loss streak now.
He must have. There, because it's just
he rolled. Did he hit is a question.
Oh.
And the answer is going to be no. 4 Chem Baron still on 70 gold level 7, so didn't even consider
น่าจะแค่
time.
I just wanted to say that Coco might be
อาจ
worried
จะ
if Prestivan
เป็นเวอร์ชันนูนูป่ะครับเป็นไปได้นะ
looking at the board and
แต่เวอร์ชันนูนูถ้าเกิดสมมติว่ามันเป็นของเชมบารอนมันก็
quite pleased.
มันก็ใส่นูนูไม่ได้นะใส่ได้แค่เลนนี่
Does not have the HP to go 5 rounds at all. This is looking pretty dicey.
Yeah, slams the items on the Heimer, try and get a couple of kills here, but it is going to be that gangplank now with some actual frontline to work with as well. Does seem like the Heimer is getting the job done, and in fact, this fight is relatively close. Might be a perfect loss, but maybe even a win.
1v3.
โอ้แกงแพงตัวนี้แม่งเอาเรื่องจัด
That is very fortunate for Prestivan. That would have
Well
been
calculated.
a disaster.
Is this GP unit the most entertaining unit in the game in Stage 3? Every single fight comes down to
There's
a
a reason I
1v1
like
here.
playing this unit, David. Even though I know it's not that good, it's just very fun.
You want to feel something while playing.
Cat
the
up.
I do.
เลนนี่
Ooh, the best pretty much item for the Visionaries. And on top of that, with the 2-star Rennie, that's the best cash out Prestivan could have hoped
โอเค
for 300.
เหลือแค่โลให้เลนนี่3แล้วก็ไฮเมอร์2ครับจากสปอร์ตตรงนี้
Heimer 2 coming in and how much gold has to be rolled to get there.
Already rolling. Fancy Vika, but a bit too late.
Yeah. A lot of gold still for Prestivan, so does have plenty to work with, plus a lot of gold coming from PvE rounds.
I would have held him to the Kali maybe, just to, try and mess with the chances of we will.
No defense.
Look at
no
the
defense.
You have to go for the
I'm
components.
just saying.
There is no chance you have slots for that. He has to roll.
One little free slot. One.
นี่น่าจะขวาหาของแทงปะ
Roll. So much to do because the component buffet providing all the
เลนนี่
components.
3 ตัวเท่านั้นนะครับ
Up the slots, and we need to find
Rel.
Two off the Rennie.
เราหาไฮเมอร์แล้ว
The Heimer as well is going to be big here.
โอ้มาซาฮา
Azahar. Rennie,
One more Rennie. So
ไม่
much
ทันนะครับโลไม่ทันนะครับ
We are still on 2 lives.
that's. I don't know if that's one of Nuno or.
นูนูครับไม่ซื้อ
Yeah, shop a bit delayed here, so we're catching up and we'll see. But it's 1 off the Rennie, looks like 2 off the Nunu after it's all said and done. But that is a huge spike. Just the Rennie 2 with the items might be
Hang ตัว
enough.
เดียว
The problem is the damage being a little bit low from just Heimer.
Sonic
One.
has
โอ้ย
It's so close, but he takes the
บอร์ด
loss.
ฝั่งนั้นเขาก็โลเหมือนกัน
Barely wins it, and Prestivan is now down to 1 life. Lekoko
lost.
rolled all his gold as well, down to 10.
He got lost.
โอ้เลือดน้อยไปว่ะอาจจะไม่ไหวก็ได้นะ
Prestiven rolling like 80 gold, fighting 0 Hymas in this
โลทิ้งแบนกลางอากาศ
Halo, he did pivot off of the Quick Strikers into 6 Enforcer now. Prismatic Augment coming through at 4-2.
Another good use of the powered shields as Enforcers does give you that extra juice.
กลางว่ะ
Is it time?
อุ้ยใช่ป่ะเขาเรียกอะไรอะ
Blazing Soul for Prestiven. Really good pickup.
He stole out of the new news
One
to
off
try and
Rennie
find
though,
the
no
Rennie.
gold.
Oh.
This is it. The matchmaking pool here is going to matter so much. He's facing off
เรียบร้อยครับ ให้มือหนึ่งดาว
It is
เลนนี่ขาดตัวหนึ่ง
Bintum, who I imagine had to have had a pretty deep
เรีย
roll
ก
to
11
try and hit all of his upgrades, playing the Quick Strikers reroll.
I do want to mention, I think he was 5 visionary with 2 Rennies on board in the previous round, which was. Oh.
And look at
Slightly unoptimized.
เข้ากาดแสงอ่ะ
Oh,
เบิ่ม
That looks like a problematic unit to deal with.
I don't know that he has enough damage to kill it, even if it takes out the rest
โอ้
of
โห
the
ไม่ไหววะดาเมจไม่พอวะ
He's kind of stuck.
Yeah, she got stuck on the Rennie enough. That's good for Prestiven.
ยังรอดอยู่ครับ
able to find the hit, but still on level 6.
Interesting choice by Bintum going for that Refractor to put it on the Akali and upgrading the Crown Guard, but might not be just quite it.
รีเมคได้ไหม
Really making that Zeri work. Still streaking
เรเบลครับเรเบล
falling a tiny bit in the
ต่อครับ
now 26 HP for him.
เพจแท็กเกอร์มา
And Bessa, but no Zoe. One singular copy of Alawi here.
The trade tracker cash out here.
Yeah.
Break it down for me, Alan.
He does have.
I mean, I don't know why are we on the Rebel. I'm just constantly thinking, how did we not end up in some scrub?
ต้อง
Because
ทุบ
the
ว่ะ
only reason people usually play the trade tracker is to go for the scrub, because no matter what you hit, you can just utilize the scrub sheet.
Yeah,
ของหน้าไป
big-
เล่นสแคป
big
มากกว่าปะ
reforge there, which actually got a bunch of very good ones for scrap and no additional rebel +1.
And like there is no way we can pivot here. Ambusher is okay. Ambusher Rebel are nice. Sork is nice, and Sentinel is nice. Firelight is also nice.
Yeah,
But
for
like we
Echo
need to
as
find
a
Echo.
secondary carry.
And even Bintum is being able to take down Fallhope another HP. However, Prestiven stays alive.
There's no time, there's no goal. There's Echo on the carousel. First
Timer
pick
for
for Fallhope
Prestiven.
right in front of him as well. Goes for the LeBlanc instead.
Yep.
Big pickup for the Prestiven. We don't know yet if it will combine into the Heimer too, but definitely big pickup.
Meanwhile, Jedusor just streaking very comfortably right now, like 87 HP and still burning through the entire lobby at this point.
Has the 4 sniper, has the Kog'Maw already online. The Garen still 1-star, so there is still a bit of a spike.
So the thing is, Jedusor has the Calculate Enhancement, which is a great tool for the final cap out, but he does need to find extra.
ไอเมอร์สองเลนนี่สาม
That's a shot.
Heimer on
แต่
the carousel.
ห้องปูนะครับ
finds
ห้อง
the
ปู
Rennie
นะ
free.
ผม
This is
ว่า
exactly what Prestiven
ไม่รอด
needs
อยู่
to
ดี
try
ว่ะ
and hold on.
อาจจะได้
Look at
แบบ
the
เพลสเมนต์บวก
discrepancy.
ขึ้นมาแต่ว่าอาจจะไม่ท็อป
Long
โฟ
way
อ่ะ
to go to try
ชีวิต
and
สุด
find
ท้ายอ่ะ
placements.
Has Jedusor
ถ้ามันถึง
in
จุด
his
ที่แบบ
rotation as
เจอ
well.
บอร์ดเวอร์จริงๆ
That's
อะนะ
gonna be the tough
ก็
one
เรีย
compared
บ
to
ร้อย
Spencer and Full Help.
The problem with for the Jedusor is this board pretty much counters him. Given all the sustain, like this Rennie is not dying. Let's be honest. And like also this board does have absolutely 0 damage in comparison to this Heimer. So like I can't see a possible scenario where Prestiven is losing this kind of fights.
Yeah, and this is big Prestiven going to be potentially just taking down Fallhope here, putting
It'd be a
himself
really
in a
big
much better
loss.
position.
16
That's,
HP.
I think is
Is
that
that lethal?
All the way
ต้องลุ้น
down.
ไม่ให้มีของมีแบบบอร์ดเวอร์ๆนะ
Stage 4, right before anomaly. Yay!
That's the spirit.
Maniac cheers.
Comeback story, of course.
เซนไซด์ว่ะเอาปะ
That's a reasonable
I
take.
think
Don't
it
play
has to be
Rennie.
Heimer. Oh, you calling card for the Coco.
It's time.
Oh, this is what we were
6
talking about.
Artillerist.
This is the exact way
หก
it
อัลเทอร์เรส
happened
ขาด
before
ก่อน
as well. It was calling card on the Tristana, get the artillerist for free, and go up to 6 artillerists. And he was able to win out with it.
This is
But
very
where's Urgot?
Nowhere got 3 this time though. That's the difference.
ไม่เป็นไรหลังเนี่ยนี่ค่อยจ่าย
The
หลัง
hunger
คลิป
for power was just too high. Sold all the Urgot.
จะบินเอาวะเนี่ยหก
far into
หก
space.
อัลเทอร์เรส
Got earlier. He had Nurgot 2 on the board.
Just no respect.
Some keeping
Oh, Artillerist Corki.
for the Heimer to get Academy item. However, now looks for the dear Urgot to come back.
And very far off going 9 to have that extra slot to fit everything.
Just have to gonna sacrifice probably that Heimer for now. And
5 เลเบล 4 ซ็อก
will most likely go down.
The Zoe mirror match here. Kill
So
streak
Ian.
on Spencer Zoe. How much in this
Unless I'm
swing
putting
hang
some
on
more.
for?
Yeah, Spencer Zoe is 2-star though versus the 1-star on the side.
Uh-oh,
but
Zoe.
โอ้แต่ว่าสไนด์แนวหลังได้ครับ
bounce and it goes in the favor of Fallhop instead.
I spoke too soon. Fahal just staying alive to see another crops.
Coco's gonna need to find that Urgot fast, down to 21 HP. I think the 6 artillerists could be enough to keep him around, but before you get that spike, the calling card is actually worthless.
Jedu sort of finding some losses at the end of the stage 4. Understandable, given calculated enhancement buffing only pretty much one unit. Oh, he did find that set of items for that Twitch, but needs slightly more. Needs to find that Caitlyn.
ปล่อยพี่เจดูซอน่าจะเซฟเลือดได้ดีครับ
Is going to be taking deep roots on the Garen here. Has enough damage in the back line. Just needs more tankiness in front.
คุณซูบวกหนึ่ง
Razor Blade for the Twitch.
Ooh. Can you get the
Garen too.
That's a really big upgrade.
Now we just need Caitlyn.
ตรงนี้น่าจะขึ้นเวลได้หรือปะ
Red buff is a consideration. With 4 sniper, it might be better, but like it just needs a bit more probably tank items.
ของไม่ค่อยดีครับ
The Gangplank has been rewarded. 3-star Gangplank comes online for Tartman.
I mentioned
Gang
this
Slam.
build exists. I didn't expect him to actually commit to it. I really enjoy this way. 4 Form Swapper, 4 Emissary probably is the
มีรูป
strongest
ใหญ่ด้วยนะ
unless you have like Pit Fighter emblems and you can go very vertical there. That can also be a strong way to play around the Gangplank.
Is the Tartman gonna be a wall for the fall home?
I think he could be. I mean, he did just hit the 3-star Gangplank and his front
Could be
line
a bet
is quite
onto the
strong.
Zoe. Almost killed her
What
off.
is Zoe?
Is there a barrel going that
There's no
way?
barrel.
It did just get there.
Can the
There's the
Gangplank
cast.
clear?
Gangplank gets it done. Fallhop taken down.
And Fallhop hits with the car.
And Prestevan still streaking, had a very dicey position earlier in stage 4. Has made it work for now. The Coco also a big win. Maybe found that Urgot finally to fit in the 6 artillerist.
Gotta say, for Fallhop, that's gotta be scary. He was at 45 points going in, which feels relatively okay, but 46 doesn't feel like it's guaranteed to make it to the next stage.
You see, Prestivan managed to stabilize, push to even level 9 of his board. Very impressive.
The board for Tartman as well, we didn't mention it, has
เหมือนจะทำนามิ3นะ
two lucky gloves at 4-2. 4
เอาขายไปแล้ว
built really fits perfectly into form swappers especially.
Did you see the 3-star Twisted Fate picked up by Bintum as well? So the rerolls fully coming online. Had the Akali earlier, able to upgrade another carry.
Will Gangplank claim another?
The battle of the emissaries here, but on one side, it's a very scary setup from Tartman.
Yeah, I love to see it. This is going to be the Form Swapper version, so it's a lot of upfront damage. Not having that much true damage, but if he does have the 2 Pit Fighter and he still gets that true damage to get through the front lines as well.
So much damage.
But Coco as well takes a loss. 7 HP for the French player. Both Spencer and Coco now on the chopping block.
พี่คิดเล่นเก่งมากยังไม่ได้เล่นเลยครับ
Find the Urgot. There might be still
ไม่ได้เล่นเลยนะวันนี้
copies, but I mean, believe like with uncontested units such as it should be.
Spencer sitting at 41 points, so if we were already kind of worried about Fallhop just taking an 8th here, Spencer really cannot afford this 7th. He really needs to climb an extra placement or 2 to feel even remotely okay about trying to make the next round.
And Lilo, we saw on the side, 2 big upgrades, both the Day2 and the Elise to stabilize him on 38 HP. It will be Coco up against Spencer, EMEA versus America to stay alive in this game.
6 artillery คอกิ
Hold on, triple Warmogs up against so many death blades on the side
โอ้
of his artillery.
ปั๊บ
They need to burst through this front line. The Garen is still holding on. Has he bought enough time? The battle of the birds.
On the Zoe.
The cast comes through, and
แรงมาก
Coco is able to
ตายไป
win
แล้ว
the fight. Spencer taken down in what looks like 7th place. Bintum now also down to 1 life.
What will likely end Spencer's run here. He had a great run last set as well, but couldn't quite crack
พี่
that
บูมได้ที่
hoping for something different and not able to get
6 เดี๋ยวรอลุ้นคะแนนว่าจะได้เข้าท็อป 16 ไหมนะ แต่บูมแพ้น่าจะต้องลั่นๆแล้วล่ะถึงจะได้แบบเข้าท็อป 8
grab just a giant slayer as we see Prestivant picking up that static shiv.
Really want to see that backline artillerist Jace 2 going into that one. That's going to be a fun sighting. He can make it fit somehow.
It's not even a slot. I mean, we have to start cutting on those. Oh, yep.
That's
There's
one
a
way
slot.
to do it.
There's slot.
There we go. Crab raid.
เจ๊เอาเทอร์ราลิสปะล่ะ
Ending stage 4, but all of a sudden
มัน
the
ต้องเจ๊เอาเทอร์ราลิส
massive
ว่ะ
that comes through.
Artillery
ถอดออกมา
come over the
If you hit a wall, make a door.
And quick warning to our viewers at home, get ready. The crab is coming. We're getting closer and closer.
And we have multiple players that would be eliminated by the crab.
อันนี้
if
ฮิต
they lose.
TF3 แล้วนะแต่ว่า
afraid for Preston.
เนี่ยมัน
I'm a little bit afraid too.
เหมือน
I'm not sure if that
ไม่ไหวนะ
scale
กับล็อบบี้
fast
นี้
enough.
Jedusor might also take a loss.
ล็อบบี้โวนะ
Sniper should be able to do
ควิ
it.
กสไตรเกอร์ดูแบบไม่ไหวเท่าไหร่
That's true.
Oh my
This
Bin
TF is in
just
big
gonna take a
trouble.
loss.
The Vi dishing out the damage. And Akali
Bro,
cannot
the
do
Sakali cannot kill
anything.
even a Rumble one. Like, please.
May
Coco
carry
found the
on
weak.
wrong side.
Maybe that's part of Liluo holding so many of those quick strikers in stage 3, making it that much harder for Brinton to play into his econ, having to roll so much extra gold.
โอ้แต่ว่า6กับเทอร์ราลิสก็
Another player we have to be worried
เลือด
for
น้อย
here.
เหมือนกันนะ
3 points. That's just going to put
ชีวิต
Binton
เดียว
5.
Scenery
That's
Forger
even
coming
lower
from the
than
Coco.
Paul.
กลายเป็นเหมือนไม่มีบอร์ดไหนที่เวอร์สู้บอร์ด มอสฮาเลยครับ
What a hit for Coco.
แต่ตอนนี้มีเจส2ดาว6กับเทอร์ราลิส
That was a pretty spicy one. We have triple
จะคัมแบ็กได้ไหมครับ
artillery carry. That could be actually a win out.
It's the Aurelia doing most of the work here.
She's doing
True,
the
true.
pew-pewing. And he will face Lilu. He's actually clamped on the backline against the Caitlyn. That actually might end up in the tragic way.
If the shots actually go through.
Just the Caitlyn one,
The
but the
elite stun
items
comes
are
in.
Look at this
huge.
stun.
Hexcore, come on, pop up.
There's a
โอ้แรงจัดอะ
round on the Vi if she doesn't go down from this barrage. The
Oh my
Hexcore
God, the
pops up and
damage.
saves it.
Uh-oh.
Cast for
Uh-oh.
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn.
อู้
Ooh, not quite enough. The Corki holds on.
This was way too close.
ถ้าคิริน2ไม่ไหวว่ะ
And Prestivan still streaking, 11 HP. The crab
The
up here.
crab. Okay, we need to see Prest event. Okay, this board is always beating crab. We need to see the Prest event fighting the crab.
Yeah, stuck with just a Heimer, not much sustain.
นี่คือ
for
ปู่
any of the
เต้นนะ
backline members. It's really all at the Rennie, but
ผมว่าไหวหมดแหละ
Redemption check. There
Oh,
you
there
go.
you go.
Okay, it's something.
All right. We have some emissary.
has the gunblade on the Heimer as well, which can at least mitigate a little bit.
Okay, okay. I mean, there is Malzahar also.
หรือบอร์ดนี้จะไม่ไหวกับปูแล้วหรอ
Okay.
Okay, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, the Rennie's holding on here.
Yeah, the
Damage
Blazers
แรงอยู่
are
ครับ
helping. Yeah, this-
ดูดเลือด
Oh, wait, crab? No, there is.
No, we're good, we're good.
Not as close
Rennie
as we
got
thought
this.
it would be, but it's still a little scary.
Yeah.
But Coco cleared. Jedusor.
Lilu clears.
Jedusor?
Jedusor, you got
Jedu.
Oh!
เจดูซอไม่ไหว
No!
Whoops.
No cake too. No luck.
Well,
for this.
Jedu now goes from maybe 2 lives on, just a 1-2 unit loss to...
That's not even a single. Maybe Sunfire one compo. Oh, there you go. One anvil at least.
Okay.
แพ้
Now
ปู
we're
ครับ
talking.
It's still dicey though.
I mean, is he even beating anybody?
Oh, this bot 4 would be tragic considering how good his spot looked at the start of stage 4 with how much HP he had.
Lilo just hit the Caitlyn 2, and we already saw it looking quite strong at Caitlyn 1.
I mean, glad that Coco didn't find him when it was Caitlyn
Yeah.
too.
Prestivan also just picking up Mouse too.
And not really.
บอร์ดตำรวจอาจจะชนะบอร์ด
I'm not going to be as impactful as it
วิชั่นก็ได้นะ
players who have that third spot open on one
วายมันอาจจะแบบ
tanks.
เข้าไปพัง
So
โพ
it's
ซิชันอะไร
definitely the
เงี้ย
weakest player in the lobby. So whoever he
เพราะมัน
faces
แทงตัวเดียวไง
And Liluo, two
เลนนี่
very
แทง
strong players.
gets the Coco. Actually, good news for Coco because he could have faced someone stronger like Prestivan.
Tragic that 2 teammates face off against each other at this point in the game.
6 artillerists versus the 4 snipers. Looks like the damage is on the side of the artillerists, and the front line is stronger there as well. And Jedu is gonna go down. May have just gone down there anyway, even if
โอ้
he
บอร์ด
hadn't lost the crab, but
Lilu with the
บอร์ด
Caitlyn
ตำรวจไปแล้วปะ
also go down.
ตายแล้วปะ
Probably taken down by Prestivan.
โอ้งี้บอร์ดนี้น่าจะ1แล้วว่ะมอสฮา2
I
ว่ะ
mean, and the spot Prestivan was in, did we really expect he was gonna be able to claw it all the way back? Hitting that Heimer and the Rennie when he did was paramount to this actually working out.
I will say Lotus into Blazing Soul, into the cash out that he had for 300 was maybe the best he could have hoped for. It looked dire a little bit,
Blazing Soul
half
ว่ะ
into stage 3, but at 4-2 specifically, it all looked a lot better for Prestivan.
Now
อย่าหาวนอน
in the matchmaking, Tartman.
หาวนอนแล้วเกมไทยนะ
One could say live again.
One could.
Are there any wraps possible
Ui.
in this composition?
Wait, the
Like,
20
ไหวดิ
kinda dead. Hold up. Is
Yeah.
TP cooking?
The flamethrower.
GP 3เอาให้โอ้โหนิดเดียวเองครับ
Still there.
มอสฮามัน
With story GP, he's even stronger now.
ร่วงอ่ะมอสฮามันแบบ
I was looking for this Vika
มัน
look
กด
to
มัน
kinda
กด
take
ตาย
out
หมดเลยอะ
that Rennie in the middle.
Now we'll see the
Ui.
Coco.
ไม่มีตังค์ซื้อลัมโบ
And has the
เกมหมานะครับ
as well,
เกมหมานะแบบนี้
but doesn't have the goal to upgrade, doesn't have a unit to
เราไม่ไปเจอบอร์ด
swap
วิชั่นไปเจอบอร์ด
We
นี่
knew that
เจอบอ
Coco
ร์ด
already faced the Ghost last fight, so this is a guaranteed fight between those two players. So one of them will go down, and Prest Event will get a Ghost.
This is huge for Tartman. He was at 39 points coming in, so even 6 points here, a third, might not be enough. 45 is looking a little scary from what we've seen
บอร์ด
so
แก๊งแพง
far.
อะไร
And so this fight is massive for Tartman against Coco. You have to watch the GP. Where do the barrels land? Can they deal with the artillerists? The front line on both sides disappearing, but Gangplank Cast comes through
he's
and
targeted.
takes them
โอ้
down.
แก๊ง
And
ลัมโบ
Tartman's
สอง
gonna
ดิฟ
at least get one more point. Keep him one more point ahead of maybe that.
ลัมโบสองดิฟ
That being said, Prestivan
ถึงกับยกมือขึ้นเลยยกมือขึ้นเลยอย่างงี้
continue throughout 2 stages at this point in
ด่า
time.
เกมหมาไป1 ทีครับ ตามสูต
Is
ร
there anything on this carousel that could swing things? Well, Lugo is dead, so the Enforcer Emblem does not matter here.
Maybe Declo for the
ดี
Tartman,
คอปะ
given it's just all IP.
How
it's
can-
a bit
how can
low
I
from
say?
lane, but there is just a bunch of TGs. I don't know if there is even a place to fit it in.
Just so many tank items, especially on that carousel.
That would be so poetic if a GP manages a win.
I love it. I mean, I'm so happy right now because I was really not expecting to see any all weekend, but we actually get one from Tartman here. It's possible the true damage from Pit Fighter does kind of let you get through the Rennie. It is kind of the build when you can go the vertical Pit Fighter that you could get through a board like this. I'm not sure. The Form Swapper is more damage, but less true damage. And we'll see if it's still enough, though, to
Certificate 2
get through this Rennie. The first would make Tartman feel a hell of a lot safer. And we're going to see those first barrels coming down. Can it deal with the Rennie? There's the cast. Not
It
quite.
doesn't. The
อุ้ย
CP
แนวหลังตายหมดแล้ว
Everything else got blown up. Prestivan
เรียบร้อยครับ บอร์ดแก๊งแพงเอาเรื่องจัด
Swappers, the base damage, the comeback story fully stacked. The barrels, who cares about the Rennie? We pop the board.
Look how chill he looks. He's just zero emotions. Zero emotions. He knew.
Listen.
4 mystery 4 ฟอร์ม
In Inkborn Fables, he's not celebrating yet. He wants to make sure he can get maybe a few more
Puts
first.
him up to 47. That I will
safer.
feel pretty safe
Yeah.
about. And I feel so validated, but even so, I didn't think the comp was good enough that we'd see it. And the fact that we
49 อ่ะ 49 น่าจะเข้าแหละครับ
Glory was really just amazing to watch.
That was a nail biter all the way. 4 units in the last second, gone in a flash.
คิดว่าผมเห็นน่าจะเข้าล็อบบี้ เข้า
right there where the Rennie
รอบ
solo,
16 นะ
they were trying to position it with 3 other units to prevent perhaps a Jace coming in through or a side wrap or something like that one. But in the end, the Gangplank
และ
fleet
เก๊ก
enough
ด้วย
to
เก๊ก
that
โชว์ไป1 ทีเลย
That was close.
Think about all the 1v1s that Gangplank won in stage 3. That was the extra HP you preserved to make it into this fight.
เดี๋ยวรอเขาสรุปคะแนนกันนะครับ
Absolutely. And that GP, that comeback story was just a bit of the inch he needed to push it through.
จริงๆอ่ะเขาเหลือชีวิตสุดท้ายบอร์ด บอร์ด เชมบารอนก็มาได้ถือว่ามาได้ไกลแหละ แบบจังหวะนั้นนะถ้าเขาไม่ฮิตเขาก็แบบ
I will say a great game from Coco as well. The Artillery's +1, same exact story we saw.
สามารถแบบว่าฮิตเลนนี่ฮิต
on the broadcast. Low roll spot.
ฮิตไคเมอร์แล้วก็ต่อมาฮิตมอสฮาได้ครับทำให้จากสปอร์ตจะแตกที่ 7 ที่ 8 ก็ขึ้นมาเป็นอันดับที่ 2 เลยนะ ผมว่าก็หนีตายมาได้ดีนะ
Contested quick strikers for Bintum and for Fall Help. Really got his the trade tracker online pretty late and didn't have that one round where he was able to slam everything, had to wait a while, and also just playing the Rebel line was a little bit weird. I feel like he was trying to gamble high roll a little bit too much on the Rebel +2.
And the cash out for Trade Tracker post roll down makes it very hard to actually make the best use out of those
แต่
emblems.
แก๊งแพงมันเก่งจริง
I mean, it was more dictated by the tempo slams he made, and that's what led him to going into Rebel, even with the trade tracker, relying on getting this.
แก๊งแพงเป็นหนึ่งในตัวละคร3 บาทที่ผมชอบมากเลยนะแบบชอบทำมัน3 ดาวอ่ะมันแบบฟินดี
Funny enough, a lot of scrap units were getting contested out of the pool anyway. There was early Corkies on a board, and then also just a ton of Gangplanks missing that you normally would be able to easily find.
And for Day2, the fact that he picked up the Zeri off of his first augment, had to play into that in Crab route, which I think you just don't have a good matchup against the Crab. That loss to the Crab is what maybe dictated the bottom 4 as well. So really unfortunate for the French player.
All right, well, the thing we've been dreading, but also the most excited about is seeing who we are going to be losing here. Let's check out the standings to see as we make this cut from 24 to 16.
It's gonna be a brutal
อันนี้น่าจะเป็นคนที่หลุดนะครับฟาวฮาร์ฟ
two
แน
American
นเดเดนี่ทำคะแนนมาดีมากนะสำหรับ
going down
พี่แนนเดเดวันแรกอ่ะเขาทำคะแนนมาดีมากนะแต่วันนี้เขาจัดไปที่1112คะแนนนะเดทำให้ตกลงมาที่18อ่ะ
One surprise overall, Nandita, another 7th, went from first to eliminated before the top 16.
Not just that, but Day2 as well, one of the rising stars from the
พี่วาเซียนก็น่าจะใจหลุดไปแล้ววะ7111
On top of that, Milo and Kian not making it. Great performance.
VN is out.
Yeah. But hey, I don't see
บูมแฮเข้านะบูมแฮเข้านะเดี๋ยวไปเชียร์กันต่อช่องอื่นนะครับบูมแฮ14ว่ะต้องเอาโอ้โหแต่คะแนนแม่งแน่นปักอ่ะ14-9-49-49แล้วก็50-50-50บูมแฮแม่งคือแบบแพ้ไทยเบรกตลอดเลยอ่ะเห็นแล้วแบบใจไม่ดีเลยว่ะบูมแฮต้องทำแบบคะแนนฉีกๆว่ะใน3เกมสุดท้ายอ่ะเพื่อเข้าไฟนอลล็อบบี้อ่ะแต่จริงๆคะแนนมันเบียดกันขนาดนี้มันต้องท็อป4 3เกมอ่ะอาจจะแบบอาจจะไม่ต้องที่1แต่มันก็ต้องท็อป4 3เกมอ่ะโอ้โหแต่ว่าเดซิกทำคะแนนแบบโอ้โหโคตรฉีกอ่ะพี่อิมกับพี่เดซิกน่าจะไหวชิวอ่ะส่วนคนอื่นก็แบบแน่นอ่ะโซน51 50 49อ่ะแน่นจัดเลยต้องทำคะแนนฉีกคะแนนไม่ห่างมากมีลุ้นท็อป8แต่ว่าประเด็นคือบูมแฮก็ต้องทำคะแนนให้ฉีกอ่ะเพราะว่าเขาแพ้ไทยเบรกหมดเลยอ่ะเขาจะเป็นคนที่อยู่หลังท้ายตลอดเลยบูมแฮแพ้ไทยเบรกถ้าเซฟเลยก็ต้องแบบท็อป4อ่ะท็อป4อ่ะมันการที่เราท็อป4เยอะๆมันทำให้เราได้ไทยเบรกดีขึ้นด้วยนะถ้าเราได้ที่1ได้ผมทักไปในเพจแล้วครับขอบคุณครับพี่เร็วผมเห็นแล้วนะโอเคไปแล้ววันนี้ขอบคุณทุกคนที่มารับชมนะครับพรุ่งนี้เราจะดูครบทุกเกมอย่างแน่นอนเพราะพรุ่งนี้เราจะลุ้นว่าใครจะชนะบูมมีพลาดไหมครับยังเข้ารอบอยู่ครับบูมยังเข้ารอบอยู่ครับแต่ถ้าเกิดอยากเข้าไฟนอลล็อบบี้บูมต้องทำคะแนนให้ฉีกกว่านี้ครับเพราะว่าโซนที่บูมอยู่คะแนนมันแน่นมากนะฝากไปเชียร์กันต่อนะครับแล้วก็พรุ่งนี้เรามีแจกเสื้อ3ตัวนะครับสำหรับใครที่พลาดไปวันนี้พรุ่งนี้มาชมกันต่อนะครับไปแล้วครับใครชอบฝากกด Subscribe กดไลค์กดติดตามกดอะไรได้หมดนะครับไปนะครับวันนี้สวัสดีครับทุกคน